Chapter 533. Chapter 533, House Yu's attitude. Hearing that House Kong had something to say, the people in charge of the houses all stayed behind. Most of them understood what House Kong was doing. It had to have something to do with the skin-beautifying golden creation. In one of the meeting rooms of House Yu's auction house, Yu Haitian received the heads of the houses. Wu Gonggao, the head of House Wu, was absent, and Wu Qintian was the representative. Xiao family, on the other hand, sent out their second son, Xiao Ben. Shuaixing didn't show up either, which surprised House Kong. After all, Yu Shuaixing was the one in charge of House Yu's external affairs, and Haitian was only the person in charge of House Yu's external businesses. In the morning, although Shuaixing wasn't there, Dr. Kong wasn't an idiot. He had already guessed that Shuaixing was controlling Haitian from behind. He thought that after throwing out enough chips, he would be able to see Shuaixing at night. But Shuaixing did have the right to put on airs, and Dr. Kong didn't think too much about it. Plus, this unexpected thought was fleeting. Very quickly, Dr. Kong was overwhelmed by the joy and hope of becoming a noble house. Dr. Kong's second uncle has something to do tonight, so he won't be coming. He asked me to represent him, Haitian said faintly as he looked at Dr. Kong. His tone wasn't as warm as it was in the morning. But miracle Dr. Kong didn't mind. He thought that Haitian was doing this on purpose for others to see. After all, House Yu was the organizer of this event, and they couldn't just stand behind the other houses. That would cause a huge chain reaction. It's okay, Mr. Yu is busy, so he doesn't have to participate. Hearing Haitian's explanation, Dr. Kong thought that Haitian was giving him face, and he was even happier. Old Kong, why did you call us here? The one who spoke was the head of House Song Xiangwen. House Song was one of the four great worlds, an ancient martial arts house. There was a mystic class master in the house, and he was the younger brother of the head, Song Xiangwen. But because he had no hope of breaking through, he went out to train and had yet to return. Otherwise, House Song wouldn't be any less famous than House Wu. But even so, Song Xiangwen's words were still very firm, and this had something to do with his strength at the peak late phase of the golden class. I've called all of you here because I have a piece of good news to announce. Dr. Kong stood up and nodded at the representatives of each family. Then he continued, after many years of dedicated research, our Kong family has finally made a breakthrough and developed the skin-beautifying golden creation. I won't go into too much detail about the effects of this medicine. It's just that it's still in the research phase and can't be mass-produced, so we've only produced a small batch. Apart from the 2 batches that will be auctioned off, we're prepared to give the rest to the aristocratic families first. Song Xiangwen nodded with satisfaction after listening. Your approach is very good. Don't let the goodies flow to the outsiders. Song Xiangwen was old but strong. After his first wife died, he remarried. Just now, his second wife was urging him to snatch the 2 skin-beautifying golden creation medicine. Song Xiangwen was a sly old fox. Naturally, he would not do such a stupid thing. As a matter of fact, as soon as the auction ended, someone came knocking on his door. All the aristocratic families have a share, and the price is very good as well. It's only 5 million per bottle. Dr. Kong saw everyone's expression and knew that his plan worked. These people seemed to have a good impression of him. 5 million not expensive? Song Xiangwen nodded. Other than Xiao Ben, the other aristocratic families here didn't care about 5 million. They only cared about their face. As long as it was cheaper than the auction price, it would be giving them face. Plus, it was half the price. I've prepared a total of 20 bottles. Apart from the 2 that were sold in the auction, there are 18 bottles left. There are 9 aristocratic families here, and each house can get 2 bottles. Dr. Kong smiled. But if any house doesn't want it, you can give it to someone else. Who wouldn't want something like this? Only an idiot. But there really was an idiot. But was the person who appeared really an idiot? House Yu doesn't want it. If any of you want it, you can take it. Yu Haitian's brainless words made the atmosphere turn cold. Even Dr. Kang's expression froze. He didn't know what Yu Haitian meant by this. Yu Haitian saw everyone's expression and smiled faintly. As the host of the auction, House Yu shouldn't fight with everyone. I was scolded by my second uncle yesterday, Naturally, Yu Haitian wouldn't say that the same thing would appear tomorrow, and the price was only 1 million. House Yu naturally didn't want to increase the number of aristocratic houses, even if they were weaker than the 5 small aristocratic houses. They took advantage of them. If that was the case, House Yu naturally wouldn't give House Kong anything to talk about. When everyone heard Yu Haitian's words, they immediately understood. So that was the case. Hence, the remaining 2 bottles of skin-beautifying golden creation were snatched away by the other aristocratic families. Although Dr. Kong didn't have anything to do with the promotion, he believed that everyone here knew what House Kong was thinking. Now that they were benefiting from House Kong, even if they didn't support it, they wouldn't cause trouble for House Kong. So with this, House Kang's promotion to a noble house was a done deal under House Yu's leadership, as long as there were no accidents. Walking out of the auction hall, Dr. Kang's face was filled with excitement and relief. Based on my dragon grandson's performance this time, you have made a great contribution. Dr. Kong looked at Xiaolong, getting happier and happier. He felt that under his leadership, House Kong would definitely prosper. Kong Guifeng was happy as well. His son's performance was good, and the position of the head of the house was basically set. Even if the old man passed away one day, Cuepu wouldn't be able to compete with him. Xiaolong was already the third head of the house. What else could Cuepu fight for? Grandpa, you're flattering me. I'm just doing my duty. I'm also a member of House Kong. Naturally, I want the best for House Kong, Xiaolong said humbly. Yes, we're all doing this for House Kong. Dr. Kong nodded. This time, there shouldn't be any accidents with House Kong becoming a noble house. Grandpa, why do I feel that Yu Haitian's attitude is a little weird tonight? Xiaolong frowned. He felt that Yu Haitian's attitude wasn't right, but he couldn't tell what it was. Weird? House Yu won't openly support us in front of other people. They have to put on an act for others to see. Miracle Dr. Kong was so excited that he couldn't listen to anything else. Chapter 534. Phew. Linny laid on the bed in the hotel room and let out a long breath. He thought that he would be able to face House Yu calmly. In fact, Linny tried his best to stay calm. But after he calmed down, he couldn't help but think of that beautiful face and her sad eyes. Ning, are you okay? Linny shook his head in self-mockery. It was all in the past. Why was he still holding a grudge against her? Did he leave because he thought that his identity was not good enough for her? Or was it because he couldn't give her a stable life? Or was it because he was young and didn't want to be restrained by love and family? Or was it because he found out about her secret and chose to escape? Linny didn't know. He couldn't explain it either. His state of mind then was completely different from his current state of mind. Back then he was nervous all the time. But now he was relaxed. Linny got up from the bed and went to the bathroom. He turned on the shower and walked in. He felt much more refreshed. He silently channeled the art of dragon mastery. Golden class mid-phase made Linny smile. Last night he recovered to golden class mid-phase. The speed was fast. But this wasn't something to be happy about. The closer he got to his original strength, the slower the progress. In fact, Linny recovered to golden class mid-phase in the first half of the night. There was no progress in the second half. After taking a shower, Linny dried his hair and looked at his phone. There were 2 missed calls. He thought that it was Tang Yin, but it wasn't. One was Xiao Xiao and the other was Kong Xiaobo. Linny called Kong Xiaobo first. Kong Xiaobo picked up quickly. Boss, why didn't you pick up? I took a shower. What's the matter? Linny asked. Boss, did you get into an argument with sis-in-law Tang Yin? Kong Xiaobo asked. No, what? Linny paused. It shouldn't be an argument, right? You just stood her up. Tang Yin wouldn't be that petty, right? I saw sis-in-law Tang Yin's eyes were red as if she cried the whole night. Kong Xiaobo said. Did something happen to her family? Her family? Linny paused, thinking that it was possible. Maybe Tang Yun's family was in trouble, and he didn't know Mr. and Mrs. Tang's phone numbers, so he didn't know how to contact Tang Yun. This lass even turned off her phone. It was really worrying. So he said, help me ask her or Lu Xinwen tomorrow and then give me a call back. Since Tang Yin could still go to school, it shouldn't be a big problem. But Kong Xiaobo said that Tang Yin cried the whole night. Her eyes were red and it made Lin Yi's heart ache. He wasn't someone who was good at expressing his emotions. Other than training, he was on missions. The only family he had was his master and his old man, but they were very strict. I'll ask now. I have Lu Xinwen's number, Kong Xiaobo agreed. After hanging up the call with Kong Xiaobo, Linny called Xiao Xiao back. What's up? I helped you so much today. Aren't you going to thank me? Xiao Xiao giggled. I'm busy. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up. Linny was waiting for Kong Xiaobo's call. He didn't want to waste time with Xiao Xiao. Hey, what do you mean? He doesn't want it anymore after using it? Xiao Xiao was panicking, accusing Lin Yi of being unreasonable. Use it? Throw it away? Lin Yi was speechless. Wasn't that a little too ambiguous? What did she mean by throw it away? It sounded like he did something to her. Then how do you want to thank me? Lin Yi could only ask. Treat me to a feast. I want to eat good food. Xiao Xiao said. I can't afford seafood. Beef noodles then. You don't have to eat if you don't like it, Linny said faintly. Oh, okay, Xiao Xiao nodded casually. It doesn't matter what we eat. The important thing is who we eat with. Linny was speechless. He didn't know what was wrong with Xiao Xiao's brain. She was either hinting at him or confessing. Linny didn't believe that this girl would fall for him after teaching her a few lessons. Wasn't she a masochist? Not long after, Kang Xiaobo called back. Boss, did you break up with Tang Yun? Why did Lu Xinwen say that you're ungrateful and don't want Tang Yun anymore? What? Linny blinked. Don't want Tang Yun anymore? Broke up? When did that happen? You don't know? Kang Xiaobo blinked as well. I've been in Yanjing the whole time. How would I know? Linny smiled bitterly. Lu Xinwen didn't lie to you, right? I don't know. Who knows what happened? I called and Lu Xinwen started yelling at me. She told me to tell you that Tang Yun doesn't want to be with you. You don't want her anymore. There's a lot of people waiting in line for you. Xiaobo was quite troubled as well. It was a wasted call. I'll ask Fan what's going on tomorrow. All right, help me ask her tomorrow. Linny frowned. Was there some misunderstanding? Tang Yun wasn't that petty. She thought that he didn't want her anymore just because he stood her up once, right? Less than a minute after he hung up on Kang Xiaobo, Xiao Xiao called again. Linny, why did you hang up on me? Is this how you treat pretty girls? Xiao Xiao was really pissed. What right did Linny have to ignore her? She wanted him to treat her to a meal, but he didn't even want to. It was as if she really wanted that meal. Is Uncle Feng back yet? Linny didn't linger on the topic of Xiao Xiao. If he did, there'd be no end to it. He just changed the topic. This was something he learned from Yushu. Oh. What, you're in a hurry to see your father-in-law? Xiao Xiao teased. Linny didn't expect Xiao Xiao to bring the topic back with just one sentence. He couldn't help but admire Xiao Xiao. This girl was quite a match for Yushu. One acted dumb and the other acted like an oddball. Neither of them were easy to deal with. Then call me when Uncle Feng comes back. I'm going to sleep. Linny was about to hang up. Hey wait. When are you going to treat me to beef noodles? I want a big bowl with meat. Xiao Xiao said. Chapter 535. Master Bing is here, then you can't go back on your word. Xiao Xiao reminded. I won't. Linny said helplessly. All right, I'll let you go for now. Xiao Xiao hung up the phone satisfied. She waved her fist excitedly. Yeah. I'll make you treat me to beef noodles when we get back to school. I'll piss Tang Yin off. Songshan Starlight Hotel in the top private room. Sihua stood beside a young man and filled up the wine glass in front of him. Master Bing, do you have any new instructions from the boss? Oh, my dad didn't say anything. He just wanted you to cooperate with me. Qibing waved his hand nonchalantly, as if he didn't put Sihua in his eyes at all, this big boss of the underworld who could shake the entire Songshan city with a single stomp. However, Sihua wasn't annoyed. He understood his position. In the eyes of the boss he was just a dog. Although Qibing was his illegitimate son, he was still the young master. What good would it do to him if he didn't serve him well? Of course, I'll do whatever you say, Master Bing. Sihua said respectfully. How's the real estate company I want? I heard that it's very profitable. Have you settled the company yet? Qibing asked bluntly. It's done. All the procedures are ready. I've already informed Jianghu. He'll be here soon. Sihua said quickly. We're just waiting for you to give the company a name. Jianghu? Is he the chairman of Pengzhan Industries? Qibing clearly had an impression of Jianghu name. He lost to that old fox Pengzhan and got kicked out of the company. Sihua said. But it doesn't matter. It won't affect your company. Jianghu invested his own money to open a real estate company for you. Oh, at least he's smart. Sihua nodded in satisfaction. Since he's the investor, I'll give him 20% of the shares later. He'll be the general manager and help me manage the company. Jianghu will be grateful if he knows about it. He'll work for you with all his heart. Sihua said respectfully. There was a knock on the door just as they were talking. Who is it? Sihua asked. It's me, Jianghu. Gubang's voice sounded from outside. Come in. Sihua said faintly. Gubang pushed the door open and saw Sihua standing respectfully beside a young man. He paused for a moment before remembering that this was the legendary Master Bing. Master Bing, Sihua bro. He said with a flattering smile. You're Jianghu? Sit, tell me about the real estate company. Master Bing nodded and pointed at the seat across from him. Thank you, Master Bing. Gubang's heart was bleeding, but there was nothing he could do. His previous actions were a double loss. Not only did he lose his position as the chairman of Pengjian Industries, but he was also kicked out of the company. Now all his assets were used to set up a real estate company. After he walked out of the room he was penniless. Sihua, tell him what I said just now. Let him know what's going on. Qibing ordered. Sihua nodded. Old Jin Master Bing is a good master. He won't mistreat loyal subordinates like us. Yes, yes. Gubang replied, smiling bitterly in his heart. That's for you, he won't mistreat you. You tricked a real estate company from me as a gift. Wouldn't he reward you if he was happy? What about me? I'll have nothing if I give you the real estate company. Master Bing said that you're the one who invested in this company, so he's going to reward you with 20% of the shares and hire you as the general manager. You'll be working for Master Bing in the future. Do you have any objections? Sihua asked. Gubang paused. Giving him shares? Making him the general manager? Wasn't this a good thing? Although it was a bit too much to reward him with the shares of the company he started with his own money, the situation was pressing. Gubang was already surprised that Master Bing would treat him like this. Plus, he was kicked out of Pengjian Industries, and the relationship he had with Pengjian Industries wasn't working anymore. He didn't have any funds in his hands, and it was basically impossible for him to make a comeback. Qibing, on the other hand, was giving him a chance, and Gubang was pleasantly surprised. Besides, working under Zhao Qibing was very beneficial as well. With such a strong backing, the company would definitely be able to prosper. At the very least, Sihua was on his side now. Everyone was working for Master Bing, and his position would rise as well. He'd settle the score with Pengjian then. Master Bing, you're too good to me. I, Gubang, don't know how to talk, but I'll do my best to live up to your expectations. I'll do anything for you. Gubang clenched his fists, feeling that his life was full of hope again. Alright, don't think I don't know what you're thinking. You want to use my power to expand the company and get revenge on Pengjian? Qibing said faintly. Master Bing, I didn't mean it that way. Gubang was startled. He'd thought that Master Bing was just a spoiled brat, but he didn't expect him to have such sharp observation skills. He'd seen through his intentions in such a short amount of time. You know better than anyone else whether you have it or not. Qibing curled his lips. But you don't have to be afraid. I like my men to be ambitious, and I'm happy to see you use the power I give you to get rid of your enemies. But what I want is your loyalty. As long as you're loyal to me, I'll give you what you want. Yes. Don't worry, Master Bing, I'll do what you ask of me. Gubang clenched his teeth. I'm your dog, Master Bing, I'll bite whoever you want me to bite. Although it sounded like he was insulting himself, Gubang had thought it through. It wasn't easy for him to find a backer like this, and whether or not he could prosper in the future depended on Qibing. Qibing nodded, satisfied. Alright, since we're on the same side, there's no need to be so polite. Eat and drink and we'll discuss the company's development. Chapter 536. Pinliang on the move, you don't have to be so nervous. Don't you want Pengjian's company? Qibing smiled nonchalantly. I want to do it too. Ah. Gubang paused, not understanding what Qibing meant. Pengjian's daughter is quite pretty. I've been wanting to play with her for a long time, but I never had the chance. I can't do anything before Pengjian loses his power. Qibing chuckled. I don't mind playing with his daughter after you destroy his company. Oh, okay. Master Bing, don't worry. Under your leadership, I'll destroy him sooner or later. Gubang patted his chest confidently. Alright, let's put this aside for now. Tell me, how can our real estate company make money? Zhao Qibing didn't lack money. His company was purely for fun, but it wasn't completely for fun. He also wanted to make some achievements. Although he was an illegitimate child, Qibing still wanted to be recognized for his ability and return to his family. Right now, the slums are one of the better places in Songshan, and if we can get the development rights there, our company would be able to make a name for itself. Gubang said. That's what I suggested to Sihua bro. Sihua bro nodded. That's what I suggested. Oh? If you say it's so good, then why hasn't anyone developed this area yet? Qibing wasn't an idiot. He asked immediately after hearing Gubang's words. Unruly people. There are too many unruly people. Gubang explained. Pengjian Industries wanted to develop this area too, but the people in the slums banded together and demanded a high demolition fee. It wasn't worth it at all. Pengjian is also a stubborn person, refusing to pay for quality. Naturally, there wasn't much profit to be made. The other developers are probably the same. Oh? Then we'll get profits from it? Qibing asked. With Sihua bro around, we can't deal with those unruly people? We'll kill them if they try to extort us. Gubang curled his lips. Then pay for the quality of the project. The quality of the houses doesn't need to be too good, just scan them. Don't let others talk about the quality of the house. I heard that the country has a new policy. The developer will be responsible for the quality of the house for life. This will hurt the foundation if there is trouble in the future. Zhao Qibing waved his hand. As for those relocated households, it doesn't matter. Let's look for benefits from them. No problem. Gubang was getting more and more convinced that Master Bin wasn't an idiot at all. On the contrary, he was quite thoughtful, not the type to act recklessly. He knew what he could and couldn't do. Let's go to the slums when we're free these few days, Qibing said. We need to get the development paperwork done as soon as possible. That's easy. The city has long wanted to renovate that piece of land. It's just that no developer has taken over. I'll go and settle the paperwork tomorrow. Gubang said casually, Right, Master Bin, what do you think the company's name is? Let's call it Qibing Real Estate, Qibing said casually. Pinliang had been in an unusually good mood these past 2 days. He felt that his luck had finally turned for the better. The person he hated the most, Lin Yi, hadn't come to school for a few days. Without Lin Yi messing around, he could carry out his plan smoothly. Xiaofu, how's your preparation? Pinliang asked Xiaofu. Liang bro, I found the cave. It's absolutely safe. Xiaofu chuckled. I've installed a security door inside. No matter how strong Meng Yao is, she won't be able to escape. Not bad. Your idea is very creative. It's much better than normal robbers. You're a natural-born villain. Pinliang laughed upon hearing Xiaofu's idea. Isn't it all thanks to you, Liang bro? I wouldn't have thought of such a good idea otherwise. Xiaofu was very pleased. Pinliang said that he would tie Meng Yao up in the cave, but Xiaofu was afraid that something would happen to Meng Yao after Pinliang left. What if there were wild beasts in the wilderness? And so, Xiaofu installed a security door. Now, no one would be able to open it without a key. There's food and toys inside, right? Pinliang asked. Of course, I've prepared everything. Xiaofu nodded. The rest is up to you, Liang bro. See how you can trick Meng Yao. That's up to me, I've thought about it long ago. Pinliang said confidently. I know Meng Yao pretty well. I can handle this myself. Pinliang walked up to Meng Yao and Yushu's table and whispered, Yao Yao, I have something very important to ask you. Meng Yao raised her head and frowned. I told you not to call me Yao Yao, call me Yao Yao sis or my full name. Why is your memory so bad? Yeah, Yao Yao sis, I think little Liang should eat some pills to nourish himself. Yushu nodded. Pinliang wasn't angry at all. Instead, he said seriously, All right, I'll call you Meng Yao then. I really have something to talk to you about. These names don't matter. What is it? Meng Yao asked impatiently. She was just about to go buy some snacks with Shu when Pinliang suddenly appeared beside their seat. She didn't know what he wanted. Shu, do you want to leave for a bit? Pinliang asked carefully. Yushu paused. Pinliang never asked her to leave whenever he was chasing Meng Yao. He would even ask her to stay and help him. What did he want today? Today's business is a bit secretive. It might involve Meng Yao's privacy, so? Pinliang said in a roundabout way. Pinliang, if you have something to say, just say it. If not, Shu and I will go shopping. Meng Yao's patience was at an end. Shu is my best friend, I don't want to hide anything from her. Alright then. I'll say it. Pinliang actually didn't want Yushu to get involved, because of her identity. Pinliang couldn't help but be wary of her. Do you have something to say or not? Meng Yao glared at Pinliang. Yes. Meng Yao, you're an only child, right? Pinliang asked carefully. Only child. Meng Yao paused. What do you mean? In other words, you're Uncle Chu's only child, right? Pinliang explained. Chapter 537. Chapter 537. Someone similar to you? Oh, Yao Yao sis, I got it. Yushu spoke up suddenly. Liangzi realized that he couldn't get you, so he turned his attention to your sister. Meng Yao was taken aback by Yushu's words. Was that really what Pinliang meant? So he looked at Pinliang, confused. Pinliang was stunned by Yushu's words. He didn't think that Yushu would be able to come up with such an excuse. He coughed dryly and explained, I didn't mean it that way. Oh, did he find out that Shield Bro is Uncle Chu's illegitimate son? Yushu asked curiously. Don't talk nonsense. Meng Yao's heart tightened when she heard Yushu mention Shield Bro. She glared at her. How could she let Pinliang know about this? Yushu stuck her tongue out. I'm just joking. Shield Bro? What's that? Pinliang was confused. What were these two girls talking about? Nothing, just say it. Meng Yao clearly didn't want to explain. Pin Liang didn't want to talk anymore. Who cared about Shield Bro? He needed to focus on his own matters first. He said, "What I mean is, Meng Yao, do you have any sisters or anything like that?" "Sisters?" Meng Yao blinked. "What sisters? My sister is Yushu." "I'm not talking about sisters, I'm talking about Uncle Chu. Do you have any other daughters?" Pin Liang asked carefully. "Other daughters?" "Pin Liang, what are you trying to say? Why are you stuttering? Can't you just say it all at once?" Meng Yao was a little angry. What was this guy trying to say? Was he trying to say that her father had an illegitimate son or daughter outside? "Hey Meng Yao, I might have seen wrongly." It's fine, it's fine." Pin Liang waved his hand and was about to leave when he added, "How can there be such similar people in this world?" Meng Yao wasn't interested in Pin Liang's words at first. She didn't want to call him back, but the second half of his sentence caught her by surprise. "Pin Liang, what do you mean by, like?" She called out. "Pin Liang, what do you mean? Is there anyone like me?" "That's right. Last night, I went to the Shuangyin Mountain Resort with my father. When I was climbing the mountain, I saw a woman who looked very similar to you. I should say, you're practically carved from the same mold. I thought it was you, so I called out your name." Pin Liang said, pleased that he'd gotten Meng Yao's attention. The woman's body shook and she turned around to look at me before leaving in a hurry. "What? Does he really look like me?" Meng Yao's breathing quickened as she stared fixedly at Pin Liang. "Yeah, but I took a closer look at her after she turned around. She's a little older than you." Pin Liang shook his head. "I thought she was your sister or something. Why would she turn around if I called Meng Yao?" Then did she say anything?" Meng Yao asked, panicking. "She didn't say anything. She glanced at me and left quickly." Pin Liang shook his head. "I was curious, so I followed, but I lost track of them." "Ah." Meng Yao gasped, her eyes staring blankly at something. She stood beside her seat, deep in thought. "Mom? It must be her mom." A voice called out in Meng Yao's heart, making her heart beat faster. How could there be someone so similar in this world? So, that person must be her mom. Meng Yao had seen her mom's photo when she was young, and she looked exactly like her. In fact, she hadn't inherited Ping Zhan's genes in terms of looks. She'd inherited her mom's excellent looks. So, when Pin Liang mentioned this person, Meng Yao's first thought was that he'd seen her mom. Pin Liang knew that his plan had worked when he saw Meng Yao's expression. He'd been chasing Meng Yao for 3 years. How could he not know about Meng Yao's family background? He knew that Meng Yao's mother had a conflict with Peng Zhan when Meng Yao was young and she left home. He hadn't heard from her all these years. It was impossible to say that Meng Yao didn't miss her mom. Pin Liang had grasped Meng Yao's psychological weakness, baiting her step by step. Now it seemed like he'd succeeded halfway. "Since you don't have a sister, then I must be mistaken. Forget it, pretend I didn't say anything." Pin Liang shook his head and walked out of the classroom, counting silently as he walked. 1, 2, 3, wait. Pin Liang heard Meng Yao's voice from behind. Pin Liang's lips curled into a smile. He didn't believe that Meng Yao wouldn't take the bait. "Meng Yao, is there anything else?" Pin Liang turned around, a fawning look on his face. "Are you going to give me a chance to chase you?" "Stop it." Meng Yao frowned. "I won't talk to you anymore if you keep this up." No, I'll talk nicely then." "Meng Yao, why are you looking for me?" Pin Liang said that on purpose. His goal was to make Meng Yao think that he didn't care about the girl who looked like him anymore. Instead, he cared about how to chase her. That way she wouldn't be suspicious. "Let me ask you. Did you really see a girl who looked like me at Mount Shuangyin?" Meng Yao asked. "Yeah, but she's older than you. Naturally, I won't be interested," Pin Liang said confidently. "Meng Yao, don't worry. You're irreplaceable in my heart. She only looks like you. I won't fall in love with someone else." "Who's asking you that?" Meng Yao wasn't happy. "Pin Liang, don't say useless things. I'm asking you, where did you see her?" "Where is it?" "That's hard to say. It's a big mountain, I might be able to find it if I go. It's hard to explain." Pin Liang scratched his head, troubled. "Bring me there." Meng Yao couldn't care less. She missed her mother for so many years. At this moment she couldn't care less about going to school. She didn't think about whether Pin Liang was telling the truth or not. She only had one thought in her mind. That was to see her mother as soon as possible. No. It's pretty late and school hasn't ended yet." Pin Liang said awkwardly. "Why don't we find a place to eat first? We'll talk about the mountain later?" Chapter 538. Chapter 538, Destroying Family Harmony. "Sigh, since you've said so, how can I not?" Pin Liang seemed disappointed, But the more he acted like this, the less suspicious Meng Yao was. Then let's go. Meng Yao was anxious, afraid that her mother would go somewhere else if she was late. All these years Meng Yao had been thinking about her mother all the time. She never said it out loud, but under her tough exterior, there was a deep longing for her mother. She was a 19-year-old girl after all. No matter how mature she pretended to be and how big sister she acted in front of Yushu, she still couldn't suppress her desire for family. Should she tell her father? Meng Yao shook her head. All these years her father had never mentioned her mother in front of her. It was as if he had forgotten about her, focusing all his attention on the company. This made Meng Yao a little unhappy, but she couldn't do anything about it. After all, her father was equally important to her. She didn't know why her father and mother fought, and she didn't know why her mother left home for so many years. But Meng Yao thought that if she could see her mother first and persuade her to stay, her father wouldn't be a problem. She might even be able to give him a surprise. Thinking of this, Meng Yao decided to see her mother in private. She had completely believed Pinliang's words, treating that person as her mother. All right. Pinliang nodded helplessly and shouted to Xiaofu, "Xiaofu, come here." "What's the matter, Liang bro?" Xiaofu walked over, confused. He had to admit that his acting skills were quite good. It seemed like he had rehearsed many times. "Come with me and Meng Yao to Mount Shuangyan," Pinliang ordered. "Why are we going to Mount Shuangyan for?" Xiaofu was surprised. "Why are you asking so many questions? Are you coming?" Pinliang obviously didn't want to explain. "Oh, let's go." Xiaofu stopped asking. Meng Yao didn't think that it was inappropriate for Pinliang to bring Xiaofu out. He was Pinliang's henchman after all. It was normal for him to bring him out. Pinliang and Xiaofu walked in front while Meng Yao and Yushu walked behind. The four of them went down the stairs and walked out of the school gate. "Sister Yao Yao, what's going on? Why do you want to go to Shuangyan Mountain? Also, who's that girl who looks like you?" Yushu asked curiously as they walked. "Don't ask so many questions, just follow them." Meng Yao couldn't explain it in a few words, and it was hard to tell if her mother was still there. "Oh, but I don't think it's appropriate for us two girls to go to the wilderness with Pinliang. Should we tell Shield Bro?" Yushu asked, seeing that it was getting late. "Just admit it if you want to talk to Lin Yi, there's no need for all these excuses." Meng Yao said mercilessly, seeing through Yushu's thoughts. "You miss him, don't you?" "Oh, I thought Yao Yao missed me." Yushu blinked. "Should we call then?" "Suit yourself." Meng Yao humphed, but then she thought that Shu might be doing the right thing. She should tell Lin Yi about her whereabouts. What if she got into an accident in the middle of nowhere? Yushu did miss Lin Yi a little, but she couldn't explain why. She was just used to living with Lin Yi. She wasn't used to missing someone all of a sudden. Poor little wife, always acting as the big wife's mouthpiece. Yushu took out her phone and mumbled to herself. "What did you say?" Meng Yao almost tripped. "What big wife, little wife?" "You're the big wife, I'm the little wife." Yushu wasn't afraid at all. "You damn Shu, do you want to have your tongue pulled out? Who's Lin Yi's big wife?" Meng Yao glared at Yushu. "Yao Yao really likes Shield Bro." Yushu raised her hands in joy. "I only said big wife and little wife, I didn't say Shield Bros." "You? I'm so pissed." Meng Yao knew that she was tricked by Yushu. The girl had been leading her step by step, but she really didn't say who the big wife and little wife were. The big wife and little wife thing seemed to be something the two of them had agreed on before, and it didn't specifically say who the husband was. She'd been tricked. She'd been tricked. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. "Open your mouth." Yushu shook her head with a smile. What? Meng Yao thought. Did this dumb girl learn to be smart? Did she know that she was going to tear her mouth off? "I'm not dumb, opening my mouth and having my tongue pulled out." Yushu screamed before she could finish. No. It hurts. It hurts." Meng Yao took the opportunity to tear Yushu's mouth. A dumb girl is still a dumb girl. Only a silly girl will be liked by others. Yushu covered her mouth and mumbled. "Yao Yao, you're too bad. You won't be loved in the future." "What do you mean?" Meng Yao asked. "You bully the little wife and ruin the harmony of the family. In ancient times you'd be an unloved queen." Yushu said. "You don't want your mouth anymore, do you?" Meng Yao threatened. "Oh." Yushu stopped talking and took out her phone to make a call, but Xiaofu was already in a taxi. She couldn't make the call. "Meng Yao, Shu, get in." Pinliang waved at Meng Yao and Yushu after seeing that Xiaofu had flagged down a taxi. Xiaofu hailed a 7-seater Turan cab, and Meng Yao and Yushu, on the other hand, sat in the third row since they were small. Pinliang, on the other hand, had no choice but to sit in the second row with Xiaofu. Pinliang was so pissed that he wanted to kick Xiaofu to death. Didn't you look carefully when you flagged down a taxi? You should have flagged down a 5-seater Jetta. What were you trying to do with a 7-seater car? Pinliang had wanted to sit with Meng Yao in the back seat. It was a 5-seater car, so there had to be 3 people in the back seat. He thought he could get intimate with Meng Yao, but it was all over now. But Meng Yao was sitting in the back seat and Pinliang couldn't get angry. He could only hold it in. In the car, Yushu sent a message to Lin Yi, telling him that she and Yao Yao were going to Mount Shuangyin with Pinliang and Xiaofu. Chapter 539. The plan went smoothly. The car stopped at the foot of Mount Shuangyin. It was a rugged mountain road, so the taxi could only go there. Sir, you can only walk to the resort up there. My car can't go up there. It's a staircase. The taxi driver didn't know that Pinliang had never been to this place before, so he explained to them. I know. Pinliang paid the driver. Obviously, the driver thought that they were students who came to the resort. Now that the living conditions were better, it wasn't strange for young men and women to go to the resort together. So, the driver didn't suspect anything and left after taking the money. There's a resort up there? Meng Yao had never been here before. There was no need for her and Yushu to go to a resort. There was no point in going to a resort with so few people. Yes, I came to this resort with my dad last night. Pinliang said proudly. He really did come last night with his old man, and it was Tsihua's treat, along with Jin Gubang and a young man called Master Bing. Tsihua was the one who'd invited him. This gave Pinliang a lot of knowledge and made him bolder. With Pinliang's background, he was a little hesitant to make a move. The cave and the plan had been prepared long ago, but Pinliang couldn't do it because he was afraid of Pingzhan's background. But after what happened yesterday, Pinliang got to know Tsihua and Master Bing. Master Bing was someone with a big background. Even Tsihua was respectful to him, and Pinliang's father worked for Master Bing and Tsihua. Would House Zhong have to worry about not being rich in the future? So, Pinliang couldn't wait to carry out his kidnapping plan today. Meng Yao nodded. She wasn't interested in the resort. She was focused on finding her mother. Pinliang, bring me to the person who looks like me. I can't say if I can find her or not. Pinliang said. Meng Yao, don't blame me if you can't find her. Why are you talking so much? Hurry up. Meng Yao said impatiently. Pinliang snickered inwardly, but maintained his composure as he led Meng Yao and Yushu up the mountain. The sky was already dark, but there were quite a lot of people at the foot of the mountain since the resort was located halfway up the mountain. This gave Meng Yao and Yushu a sense of security, even though they didn't know it. With so many people here, nothing would happen. If there wasn't a single person around, Meng Yao would be hesitant to follow Pinliang up the mountain. Although the mountain road was rugged, it was not shaky. The 4 of them were all young people, so it did not take much effort for them to reach the resort halfway up the mountain. Meng Yao, are you tired? Why don't we get something to eat at the resort first? Pinliang asked. What? I'm not hungry. Take me there. Meng Yao wasn't in the mood to eat. Alright, let's go then. Pinliang nodded unwillingly and continued up the mountain road. If it were in the day, there would be a lot of people going up the mountain to take pictures and sightsee, but the sky was dark. Naturally, no one went up the mountain. In the blink of an eye, the crowd was gone, and only Pinliang, Xiaofu, Meng Yao, and Yushu were left on the small path. That person was here yesterday? Meng Yao was suspicious. Even if Pinliang met her mother, what was her mother doing here? Yeah, I followed her here from the resort. I thought it was you, but then I realized it wasn't. Pinliang nodded. What do you think she's doing here in the middle of the night? Pinliang's question dispelled Meng Yao's suspicions. She had to admit that Pinliang had some brains. He wasn't an idiot, and this plan was executed after careful planning. And so, Meng Yao didn't say anything else. She followed Pinliang up the mountain, and after a few hundred meters, Pinliang suddenly turned and walked towards a small fork in the road. There were no stone steps on the fork and it was a dirt road. Meng Yao couldn't help but ask, why are you on a small road again? Chapter 540. A big discovery outside the cave. Meng Yao looked towards the direction of the cave anxiously. She didn't know how Pinliang and Gao Xiaofu were doing. Why wasn't there any movement? Shoo, why do I have a weird feeling? Meng Yao frowned. She felt that something was wrong, but she couldn't put her finger on it. In short, Pinliang was acting weird today. I've always been curious. Yao sis, why did you bring me here? It's not fun at all. Yushu scratched her head and frowned. Yao sis, you're not thinking of having sex with Pinliang, are you? Shut up. How is that possible? Meng Yao hit Yushu fiercely. Do that with him. You might as well kill me. Oh, then who do you want to do it with? Yushu asked. I want my ass. I don't want to. Meng Yao almost fell for Yushu's trick. She raged. Shu, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking of doing it? I'm just curious. I don't really want to do it. Yushu wasn't embarrassed at all. Instead, she was curious. Then you wait for Linny to come back and try it with him. Meng Yao said angrily. What about you? Yushu asked. What about me? Meng Yao was pissed off. Why did her best friend always bring up this kind of stuff? Was it because of the hormones in her puberty? Are you going to try it? Yushu ignored Meng Yao's anger and continued. I'll try it with you. Meng Yao was furious. Oh, I know. Yao sis, you really like me. No wonder you get jealous whenever I mention Shield Bro. You're gay. Yushu said. Meng Yao didn't want to say anything else. She knew that Yushu was joking. It didn't matter if she explained or not. The more she explained, the angrier she would get. After a while, Xiaofu felt that the incense in the cave was almost there. He nodded. Pinliang walked to the entrance of the cave and called out to Meng Yao and Yushu. Meng Yao, big discovery. Big discovery. Meng Yao raised her head and took a deep breath, suppressing her anger at Yushu. What discovery? You'll know when you come over. There's a door in the cave. Pinliang yelled. That's weird. Oh. Meng Yao blinked. Why was there a door in the cave? Pulling Yushu along, Lin Yi quickened his steps towards the cave. He looked in the direction of Pinliang's flashlight and saw a security door. There's a door here? Is there really a door here? What was going on? Someone lives there? I don't know. We've studied it for a long time, but we still don't know what's going on. Pinliang said worriedly, why don't we call it a day? This place feels weird. Go knock on the door. How could Meng Yao give up just like that? Especially when she saw the door, it meant that someone was living here. The first possibility Meng Yao thought of was that her mother was living in seclusion here. Although it was a little strange, her impulsiveness had overtaken her rationality. Pinliang could only nod. Since the beauty has a request, I'll give it my all. Sigh, but don't blame me if anything happens. We've been through thick and thin together. Why are you talking so much? Hurry up. Meng Yao was worried. Pinliang was taking his time, but she felt dizzy. She didn't know what was going on. Pinliang walked over and knocked on the door. Meng Yao's head was getting dizzier and dizzier. Her eyelids were starting to give out, and she was about to fall asleep. Shu, I'm so sleepy. Me too, Yao Yao, I want to sleep. Yushu said as she fell into Meng Yao's arms. Meng Yao, on the other hand, fell to the ground after being pushed by Yushu. Pinliang was overjoyed. It seemed like the incense was working, but he wasn't in a rush. What if the two woke up? After a while, Xiaofu spoke up after seeing that the two weren't moving. Liang bro, it's fine now. The owner said that they won't wake up for at least 10 hours. That's good. Get them into the house. Pinliang pointed at the door. You go open the door. Okay. Xiaofu took out the key and opened the door. Pinliang and Meng Yao hurriedly got Yushu and Meng Yao into the room. Pinliang and Xiaofu heard that the incense was powerful, but they hadn't used it before. They didn't have any experience, so they didn't dare make too much noise. They were very careful, afraid that they'd wake Meng Yao and Yushu up. After everything was done, Pinliang shook his head regretfully. It'd be great if I could touch Meng Yao's body. But he didn't dare to. He was afraid that he'd wake Meng Yao up. Yeah, leave Yushu to me. I like her. Xiaofu was drooling as well. If you want to die, you can touch her. Pinliang said coldly. I wouldn't even bother with her if I had a choice. Her background isn't something we can mess with. Xiaofu couldn't help but shiver. He'd been blinded by his lust, but Pinliang's reminder reminded him of Yushu's brother's glorious past. He quickly put away his unrealistic thoughts. Haha, I was just saying. Xiaofu laughed dryly. He knew that these two weren't the school beauties he could touch. He wanted to find a school beauty as his girlfriend, but other than these two, he couldn't touch anyone else. Tang Yun was the school beauty as well, but with a master like Lin Yi around, who would dare touch her? The new transfer Xiao Xiao was even more so. Xiaofu didn't dare touch her either. Xiaofu was a little dejected. This was his fate. He wasn't fated to be the school beauty. Keep these two phones. Pinliang handed the two phones to Xiaofu. Liang bro, you keep them for yourself, I don't dare take them. Xiaofu was very careful after the scolding, afraid that he'd get dragged into it. Coward. Pinliang humphed, not caring at all. He put the phone in his pocket. Let's go. Okay. Xiaofu didn't want to stay here any longer. He followed Pinliang out. Chapter 541. Chapter 541, Secrets in the Phone. Liang bro, it's fine. Didn't we already have a plan? Xiaofu could tell that Pin Liang was nervous. If Pengzhan accepts you, Liang bro, then everything will be fine. If he doesn't accept it, we'll just let Mengyao go. Mengyao doesn't know that we set this up anyways, and we'll just say that the cave owner set us up together. She doesn't have any proof, and she'll even thank us for saving her. Who knows, maybe we'll be the hero that saves the damsel in distress, and Mengyao will fall for us. Pin Liang nodded. This was also the main reason why he used the incense instead of force. Even if things didn't work out and Mengyao asked him about it later, he could always push the blame away and say that he'd fainted from the incense as well, but they'd only captured the two of them, leaving him and Xiaofu at the foot of the mountain. Although this would arouse Mengyao and Pengzhan's suspicions, it was just a suspicion. They wouldn't be able to do anything to him without any proof. This was also one of the reasons why Pin Liang wasn't afraid. If Pengzhan didn't agree to his relationship with Mengyao, then he could just let Mengyao go. He wouldn't be able to do anything to Mengyao then. He believed that Pengzhan wouldn't hold this matter against him. Pin Liang had Xiaofu hail a taxi after they got down the mountain, and the two made their way back to school quickly. As for Mengyao, he'd have to wait until Uncle Fu came to pick up Mengyao and Yushu after school. He'd only be able to meet up with Pengzhan then. During the self-study session at night, Pin Liang and Xiaofu acted as if nothing had happened. It was as if Mengyao and Yushu's disappearance had nothing to do with them. In fact, no one dared to ask about the whereabouts of the two young ladies. Since the two of them had left, the teacher had turned a blind eye to it. Pin Liang was bored and wanted to see if there were any private pictures in Mingyao's phone. It would be best if there were naked pictures. That way Pin Liang could look at the pictures and fantasize about it. Unfortunately, Mengyao evidently didn't like selfies. There were only a couple of pictures of Yushu in the album, and nothing else worth imagining. Pin Liang pressed the power-off button, deciding to put the phone back into Mingyao's backpack. He couldn't explain himself if he had it in his hands. As for Yushu's phone, Pin Liang didn't want to look at it. He didn't want to, nor did he dare. What if he saw something bad and Yushu found out? The girl wouldn't let him off the hook. Who knew if Zihua Bro and Master Bing would be able to mess with Yushu? But it didn't take long before Pin Liang's heart started itching again. He remembered that Yushu's photo was in Mingyao's phone. Could Yushu have Mingyao's photo in her phone? The two of them might even take photos of each other. With that in mind, Pin Liang pulled out Yushu's phone, turned it on, and opened the photo album. Quack. Pin Liang's eyes widened as the person in Yushu's photo album was none other than Lin Yi. This surprised Pin Liang. Why would Yushu have Lin Yi's photo in her phone? He flipped through it and there were photos of Lin Yi in school and there were photos of Lin Yi roasting the shark. There were many more similar photos. Pin Liang was speechless. This girl couldn't have fallen for Lin Yi, could she? But thinking about Yushu's personality, it was possible. But there was an 80% chance that it was just a crush. He couldn't see any relationship between Lin Yi and Yushu normally. Pin Liang let out a sigh of relief. If he let Lin Yi and Yushu get together, he'd be in deep trouble. The more he looked, the more depressed he got. He turned off Yushu's phone and shook his head. He didn't expect this at all. Did Mengyao know about Yushu's crush on Lin Yi? But it wasn't his business. Pin Liang didn't have the time to care about stuff like this, especially when it involved Lin Yi. He didn't want to care about it. What if he got himself into trouble again? When school was finally over, Pin Liang stuffed Mengyao and Yushu's phones back into their bags and walked out of the school alone. He didn't bring Xiaofu with him this time. There was no need. It'd be troublesome if Xiaofu got involved. Faubert's Bentley had been parked at the alley in front of the school for the past 3 years. Pin Liang remembered it very clearly. He found Faubert's Bentley easily. Pin Liang took a deep breath to calm himself down before knocking on the window. "What's up?" Faubert knew Pin Liang as well as that he was the nephew of the company's previous shareholder, Jianghu. He was also Mingyao's admirer. "Faubert, take me to Uncle Chu." Pin Liang ordered Faubert with an unquestionable tone. With that, he opened the passenger door and got in the car. "Oh, you want to see Mr. Chu?" Faubert frowned. He didn't expect Pin Liang to be this impolite, getting in the car directly. Even if Jianghu was a shareholder of the company, he didn't have the right to do this, did he? Not to mention that Jianghu wasn't. Faubert's sharp senses told him that something was amiss. If Pin Liang wasn't out of his mind, then he had something to rely on. So Faubert didn't chase him away right away. He wanted to know more about Pin Liang first. "That's right. This happened so suddenly. I have to talk to Uncle Chu face to face." Pin Liang said fearlessly. "Oh, then we'll wait for Yao Yao. You come with us." Faubert didn't say anything else after seeing how confident Pin Liang was. As for what he wanted to do, that was Mr. Chu's business. Falbert didn't have the right to ask. No need to wait. Yao Yao is at my house. Pinliang said proudly. She's my girlfriend from now on. The most important thing for you now is to bring me to Uncle Chu. I need to talk to him about me and Yao Yao. Falbert paused. He looked at Pinliang in disbelief. He started to suspect that Meng Yao had become Pinliang's girlfriend. This was impossible in Falbert's eyes. Falbert took out his phone and dialed Meng Yao's number. However, her phone was turned off. He dialed Yushu's number again. Was the same. Falbert put down his phone and said, "Since you want to see Mr. Chu, then let's go." Chapter 542. Live-in son-in-law. Falbert naturally didn't believe Pinliang's words. From Falbert's point of view, Pinliang was most likely making things up. His relationship with Meng Yao couldn't possibly be as he said. But Meng Yao's phone was switched off, and Yushu couldn't be contacted. Pinliang was the key person and he had to control him. And so, Falbert quietly started the car and said to Pinliang, "Mr. Chu is still in the company, but I need to make a call to confirm." "No problem, go ahead." Pinliang was sure that Falbert couldn't do anything to him, so he didn't care. So what if he notified Pengzhan in advance? He would see Pengzhan sooner or later anyway. Falbert nodded and dialed Pengzhan's number. Pengzhan's life had been smooth sailing for the past few days. Without Jin Gubang and Xie Guanghua, the company's second-largest shareholder Lin Yi had given Pengzhan full authority to make all the decisions. Whether it was the board of directors or the shareholders' meeting, everything had become Pengzhan's. No small shareholder dared to jump out and go against Pengzhan. After all, Jin Gubang and Xie Guanghua's fate was clear for all to see. No one wanted to be the next target. Pengzhan was in the middle of a shareholders' meeting, and no one dared to turn on their phones. Of course, Pengzhan himself was the only exception. No one dared to say anything. Pengzhan looked at the caller ID and picked up the phone. "Li Fu, what's up? I'm in the middle of a shareholders' meeting." "Mr. Chu, Mr. Zhong Pinliang wants to see you." Falbert cut to the chase. "Miss should be in his hands." "What? Yao Yao is in Pinliang's hands?" Pengzhan was stunned. He didn't expect Pinliang to be so daring as to kidnap Meng Yao. Pengzhan had gotten used to his authority recently, and now that someone dared to kidnap his daughter, he was enraged. Falbert wanted to explain, but Pinliang grabbed the phone from him. "Give me the phone, I'll talk to Uncle Chu." Falbert didn't insist and passed the phone to Pinliang. In truth, Falbert didn't know what Pinliang did to Meng Yao. "Uncle Chu, I'm Zhong Pinliang." Pinliang accepted the phone politely, trying to make his tone as respectful as possible. As far as he was concerned, Pengzhan was going to be his father-in-law soon. "Pinliang, where's Yao Yao?" Pengzhan wasn't in the mood for small talk. His tone was cold. "Uncle Chu, Yao Yao has agreed to be my girlfriend. We just confirmed our relationship today. She is resting in my house now," Pinliang said. "I was thinking about discussing our engagement with Uncle Chu." "Yao Yao agreed to be your girlfriend?" Pengzhan frowned. "Come to my company now." Pengzhan didn't express his suspicions. Some things couldn't be explained over the phone. He needed to see Pinliang first. He still hadn't figured out what Pinliang was trying to do. "Okay, I'll be there now." Pinliang saw that Pengzhan didn't suspect him right away, instead asking him to talk to the company. He thought that Pengzhan believed him and was overjoyed. He hung up and ordered Li Fu. "Did you hear that? Uncle Chu wants you to bring me to the company." "Okay." Falbert didn't say anything else. He put away his phone and turned the car towards Pengzhan Industries. Pinliang was in a very good mood as he looked at Pengzhan's skyscraper. He was about to become Pengzhan's son-in-law, and Pengzhan didn't have a son. Did this mean that the family business would be his from now on? With that in mind, Pinliang started calculating in his heart. When he saw Pengzhan later, he'd do whatever it took to convince him to accept him as his son-in-law. Pengzhan was in the middle of a meeting when he heard that something had happened to his daughter. He ended the meeting quickly and returned to his office. In fact, Pengzhan didn't really believe Pinliang's words. His daughter would have fallen for Pinliang a long time ago if she could. She wouldn't have waited until now. Pinliang's claim that Meng Yao had agreed to be his girlfriend was complete bullshit. But Pengzhan was puzzled. Why would Falbert be messing around with Pinliang? There could only be one reason. His daughter was missing. Falbert must have gone to pick up his daughter from school. He must have waited for Pinliang because he didn't get his daughter. With that in mind, Pengzhan gave Meng Yao and Yushu a call, confirming his suspicions after hearing that their phones had been turned off. Pengzhan was calmer than usual after the company's turmoil, and as anxious as he was, he didn't let it show on his face. He sat quietly in front of his desk, waiting for Pin Liang to show up. After about half an hour, Faubert brought Pin Liang to Peng Zhan's office. "Hello, Uncle Chu." Pin Liang bowed to Peng Zhan as if he was a son-in-law visiting his home. "Pin Liang, have a seat." Peng Zhan gestured for Pin Liang to sit. He then turned to Faubert. "Pour some tea." "How can I trouble Faubert? I'll do it myself." Pin Liang was overjoyed. Was Peng Zhan accepting him? Otherwise, what kind of status did Fu Bo have? How could he let him pour tea for him personally? Pin Liang knew about Faubert's identity through his uncle. He was a man of authority in the company. He might only be a driver, but he was Peng Zhan's confidant. Normal employees wouldn't dare let Faubert pour tea for them. Faubert only worked for Peng Zhan and Meng Yao. Now that Peng Zhan was letting Faubert pour tea for him, did that mean that he was accepted by Peng Zhan as his son-in-law? Pin Liang thought excitedly. He hadn't even said anything yet, and Peng Zhan believed him already? "You kidnapped my daughter?" Peng Zhan's cold voice rang out in his head. What? Pin Liang was just about to take the cup of tea from Uncle Fu when he jumped in fright, dropping the teacup in his hand onto the floor, shattering into pieces. "Uncle Chu, don't say that. How could I possibly do something illegal like that?" Chapter 543. Two possibilities. She's resting in my house. Didn't I tell you? Yao Yao and I are already in a relationship. Pin Liang said calmly. He knew that he couldn't lower his head. His plan would be ruined if he did. Relationship? What relationship? Peng Zhan asked. It's a boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. Pin Liang tried to calm himself down. Think about it, what relationship can there be? Then why is she in your house? Why didn't she come with you? Peng Zhan didn't believe Pin Liang. She's tired and fell asleep. You know, girls usually have trouble moving around when they do it for the first time. Pin Liang said embarrassedly. First of all, she was embarrassed. Second of all, I was worried that she wouldn't be able to move around, so I let her sleep at home and rest. Oh? Is that so? Peng Zhan frowned. He didn't believe that his daughter would have a relationship with another guy so casually. Although his daughter had grown up, this kind of thing wasn't something that could be done so casually. Even if Meng Yao and Lin Yi did it, Peng Zhan would still be suspicious, let alone Pin Liang, who Meng Yao didn't like. Unless his daughter was confused. Wait, confused? Could it be that Pin Liang had done something? Peng Zhan was enraged at the thought. If this kid dared to do it, Peng Zhan would kill him even if he had to give up his family business. Pin Liang felt a little guilty when he saw the unfriendly look on Peng Zhan's face, but he didn't want to back down. Uncle Chu, don't worry, Yao Yao's fine. She's just a little tired and fell asleep. Then tell me, how did you two get together? What did my daughter promise you? The more Peng Zhan looked at Pin Liang, the more he felt that something was wrong. He was someone who had been in the business world for many years. How could he not be observant? Not to mention a noob high school student like Pin Liang, even those old foxes in the business world wouldn't be able to tell if something was wrong under Peng Zhan's observation. Hence, Peng Zhan felt that Pin Liang wasn't telling the truth. Of course, there were two kinds of lies. Peng Zhan wasn't sure which one it was. The good news was that his daughter was completely fine, and Pin Liang was just bluffing. The worst-case scenario was that half of what Pin Liang said was true. He really did do something to Meng Yao, but his methods weren't that glorious. Uncle Chu, you also know that I have been pursuing Yao Yao. Wasn't he going to graduate soon? I thought that if I didn't confess now, I wouldn't have another chance. Pin Liang had already thought of an excuse, so when Peng Zhan asked, he went straight to the point. A couple of days ago, on the tree planting day, I prepared a show of my love for you guys that never sleeps. I used fireworks to form the words Yao Yao, I love you. That day all the teachers and students were there, they could all bear witness. So Yao Yao was touched, she accepted my confession and became my girlfriend. Really? Peng Zhan was starting to believe Pin Liang's words a little more after hearing his confession. Of course, he believed that Pin Liang had really made this confession, not that his daughter had accepted it. Of course, Yao Yao was so touched. Pin Liang said proudly. As the saying goes, sincerity can move mountains. I've been pursuing Yao Yao for 3 years, even a girl would be touched. Oh, so you guys went to get a room today? Peng Zhan nodded and asked faintly. It's not getting a room, it's going to my house. Pin Liang nodded embarrassedly. Uncle Chu, I'm sure you've been around this age as well. Since Yao Yao and I are in a relationship, everything else should be in order. But don't worry, I'll take responsibility. Peng Zhan nodded. Just when Pin Liang thought that he had passed the test, he heard Peng Zhan's sudden question. Yao Yao went to get a room with you, did Shu go too? Ah? Pinliang's forehead was covered in sweat. Yes, Mengyao went to get a room with him, but what was Yushu doing? Clearly, Peng Zhan had tried to contact Yushu, but he couldn't reach her. In his plan, Yushu wasn't included. He only wanted Mengyao to follow him up the mountain and lock her up. Who would have thought that Mengyao wouldn't tell Yushu to leave when he was talking to Mengyao? Yushu, the curious girl, followed them up the mountain as well. Pinliang had no choice but to imprison Yushu as well. Otherwise, what if Yushu went out and spread the news? At first, Pinliang thought that it was just one more person. It wasn't a big deal and it wouldn't affect his chances. But now that Peng Zhan asked, he realized that he was wrong. He was too naive. Since Peng Zhan couldn't find Mengyao, naturally the first person he thought of was Yushu. Since Yushu was missing as well, the lie he'd made earlier would fall apart on its own. He didn't need to bring Yushu with him to get a room with Mengyao, and he couldn't bring someone else with him. Was he trying to kill two birds with one stone? Pinliang thought about it, but he knew that it was impossible. Besides, he didn't have any feelings for Yushu, and he couldn't wait to avoid her. Killing two birds with one stone with her was suicide. What? Nothing to say? Did you not plan your lie well enough? Can't say anything now? Peng Zhan humphed coldly. How dare he show such a small trick in front of him? He was thinking too much of the business world. Alright, since you can see through it, that's even better. I won't waste my time making up lies. Pinliang didn't care anymore and decided to go all out. I've captured Yao Yao and Shu. But don't worry, I won't hurt Shu, I only like Mengyao. What did you do to Yao Yao? Peng Zhan stood up abruptly. He didn't expect Pinliang to be this bold, kidnapping Mengyao and Yushu. Peng Zhan didn't know what Pinliang did to his daughter. What else could it be? Pinliang didn't have to be polite anymore since he had already fallen out with Peng Zhan. He crossed his legs playfully. Boys and girls together, what do you think? Uncle Chu? Chapter 544. Chapter 544, Zhong Pinliang, I've already done it. What's there to be afraid of? Pinliang said calmly. Uncle Chu, since you already know, I'll be honest with you. You have to acknowledge me as your son-in-law, even if you don't want to acknowledge me as your son-in-law. I've already done what I should and I didn't use any contraceptive measures. I'm planning to give birth to this child. It's fine if you don't want to acknowledge me as your grandfather. My family can afford it. My father is more than happy to have a grandson or granddaughter with him. How dare you come to my office? Aren't you afraid that I'll send you to the police station? Peng Zhan couldn't tell if Pinliang was telling the truth or not, but he was absolutely furious. He hadn't been this furious even when Gubang and Guangbo were trying to take over Peng Zhan Industries. He was sad and regretful at that time, but now he wanted to strangle Pinliang to death. I don't think you would. Pinliang shook his head. Uncle Chu, you're considered a respectable person in Songshan, and Peng Zhan Industries is one of the top 500 companies in the country. Uncle Chu's family matters have a lot of media attention. If you're not afraid of losing face, you should blow this matter up. Let's see who will benefit from it. At most, my crime is drugging and raping Mengyao, who took the aphrodisiac drug. At most, I'll give in half. Let's not talk about whether we can find any evidence. Even if we can, I'll only be sentenced to a few years. Oh, I forgot to tell you, Uncle Chu. My father and Sihua Bro are working for Master Bing now. Master Bing won't let me go to jail, right? Peng Zhan naturally knew the name, Master Bing. He also knew that the deal between Gubang and Sihua was for this Master Bing. The so-called Master Bing was the illegitimate son of the heir of a noble house. That house was very influential in the province, and Master Bing was quite capable as well. This was also the main reason why Peng Zhan didn't retaliate after knowing who the mastermind behind the scheme was. Peng Zhan couldn't even arm wrestle with Sihua, let alone fight against Master Bing. Peng Zhan didn't want to have anything to do with people like that. He was a proper businessman and he wasn't Sihua's opponent. What surprised Peng Zhan was that Pinliang's father, Zhong Fabai, was working for Master Bing. What did Master Bing see in Fabai? Peng Zhan's expression changed and Pinliang knew that Peng Zhan was afraid. He was overjoyed. I knew you were afraid. Thus, he continued to add fuel to the fire. Uncle Chu, you have to think carefully. I'll go to jail for a few years at most, but the jail is full of Tsihua Bro's people, and I'll be taken care of after I get in. I'm going to enjoy myself for a few years and you're going to offend Sihua Bro. Most importantly, if you mess up Master Bing's plans, I don't have to tell you what the consequences will be. Whoever dares to hurt my daughter, I don't care who he is, I will make him pay the price. I'd rather give up this company. Peng Zhan stared at Pinliang fiercely. He had his reservations but he could do anything for his daughter. Why do you have to do this? I'm not a disgrace as a son-in-law. Since what's done is done, why don't we get engaged in a proper way? Pinliang said calmly. My dad isn't the boss of a nightclub anymore. Our family's background isn't any weaker than House Chu's. What do you think? What I said makes sense, right? You don't? Peng Zhan said coldly, if you really do anything to Yao Yao even with your background, I'll make you pay the price in blood. Don't think I'm joking. What? Why do you have to do this? Pinliang didn't dare to look at Peng Zhan's eyes and he laughed dryly. You know your daughter is already a broken flower. If this gets out of hand, it'll affect both your and Yao Yao's reputation. She doesn't have anything against me now, and if you understand the situation, I'll still respect you as my father-in-law. Otherwise, we'll continue to cause trouble. Alright, I'd like to see who's going to protect you. Whether it's Master Bing or Zihua, they'll stand up for you. Peng Zhan said slowly as he looked at Pinliang. Pinliang panicked. Why was this Peng Zhan so stubborn? It was said that businessmen cared about profits the most. There were no eternal enemies, only profits. In this situation he could only do what he said to achieve a win-win situation. Did Peng Zhan really want to fight to the death? But he couldn't show it on the surface. Uncle Chu, are you really going to sue me? Let me think about this. You can go back first. Peng Zhan didn't continue threatening Pinliang, but waved his hand indicating that he could leave. Pinliang was confused by Peng Zhan's attitude. What did Peng Zhan mean? Did he approve of him or not? Why did he want him to leave so suddenly? Pinliang knew that since Peng Zhan had asked him to leave, he couldn't stay any longer. That would only make Peng Zhan suspicious. He guessed that Peng Zhan couldn't make up his mind right now. After all, everything happened so suddenly. Although he proposed a win-win situation, Peng Zhan still had to weigh the pros and cons carefully. Was he going to fight to the death or accept him as his son-in-law? It was good that there was a chance. Pinliang sighed in relief after thinking it through. He said, Alright, Uncle Chu, think about it carefully. If you want to send me to prison, then there's nothing I can do. Peng Zhan didn't say anything and Pinliang could only stand up bitterly. Peng Zhan's attitude made it impossible for him to carry out the next step of his plan. His original plan was that if Peng Zhan accepted him as his son-in-law, he'd go to the cave in Mount Shuangyan overnight and cook Meng Yao. If Peng Zhan didn't agree, he'd release Meng Yao. Nothing would really happen to Meng Yao this way, and he believed that Peng Zhan wouldn't hold him responsible for anything. After all, Meng Yao was fine. If Peng Zhan continued to pester her, then he'd be an idiot. Master Bing and Zihua weren't people to be messed with. This was why Pinliang wasn't afraid. He was hesitant before, but after knowing the relationship between Zihua and Master Bing, he became bolder. Chapter 545. Chapter 545, Falbert's True Strength. Mr. Pinliang, please. Falbert gestured for him to leave. Pinliang nodded silently and left the office. He knew that Falbert wouldn't be able to send him back this time. He didn't want to embarrass himself, so he didn't mention it. Follow him. Check on Yao Yao's situation. Peng Zhan ordered Falbert after Pinliang left the office. Yes, Mr. Chu. Falbert nodded and left the office. He said to Pinliang, Mr. Pinliang, let me send you back. Pinliang was overjoyed. What did this mean? Did it mean that Peng Zhan still wanted to reconcile? Pinliang's mood brightened up at the thought of this. He was very confident that Peng Zhan would agree to this in the end. Then I'll have to trouble you, Falbert. Pinliang was already acting like a live-in son-in-law. Falbert didn't say much. He went downstairs with Pinliang and got in the car. Where are you going, Mr. Pinliang? I'm going home. Pinliang thought. He couldn't let Falbert see through him. Yao Yao is still waiting for me at home. I have to go back early. If she's hungry, I'll have to make her instant noodles. Oh. Since Miss Chu is at your house and you haven't eaten yet, come with me to the restaurant. Falbert said. I prepare food for Miss Chu every day. Alright, give it to me then. Pinliang nodded. He was glad that he had dinner now. After getting dinner from the restaurant, Falbert sent Pinliang to Pinliang's villa. Falbert wanted to go up with Pinliang, but Pinliang stopped him. Mr. Zhong, I'd like to see Miss Chu and ask if she needs anything. It's getting late, so I'm afraid I can't go back yet. I'll go buy some toiletries for her, Falbert explained faintly. Oh, no need. Pinliang wouldn't let Falbert go up. Wouldn't everything be exposed if he couldn't see Meng Yao? He quickly waved his hand and said, Falbert, Yao Yao is definitely not wearing clothes at this moment. If you go up, it is not convenient. Oh, then why don't you go in and let her put on her clothes? Falbert suggested. It's not convenient for her. You should know that it's the first time for a girl. It's not convenient for her to wear clothes. Pin Liang had an idea. Plus, I have toiletries in the guest room. I'll just get her a set. If that's the case, then forget it. Go up yourself. Faubert passed the lunchbox to Pin Liang and went back into the car. Pin Liang took the lunchbox and quickly went upstairs to his room. He looked out the window and saw that Faubert's car had already left. He let out a sigh of relief. Finally he left. I almost didn't manage to hide it from him. Thank God I was smart, or else I would have failed miserably. As long as he could endure these 2 days, Peng Zhan would have a plan and he would be able to see the light of day. Pin Liang opened the lunchbox in front of him and found that it was quite a sumptuous dinner. He couldn't help but eat quickly. In fact, Faubert's departure was just a facade. He didn't leave directly. He drove around and parked the car in a corner. He got out of the car and went to Pin Liang's villa, hiding behind a transformer box. He looked at Pin Liang's window on the second floor. Pin Liang was still there. Faubert let out a sigh of relief. He was afraid that Pin Liang would slip away in a blink of an eye, but it seemed that Pin Liang didn't leave directly. He didn't know if it was because he was being cautious or something else. After reporting the situation to Peng Zhan, Faubert continued to stay here to keep an eye on Pin Liang. Peng Zhan arranged for Faubert to come here so that Faubert could figure out what was going on with Meng Yao and Yushu. Peng Zhan and Faubert didn't believe that Pin Liang would be so stupid as to leave Meng Yao and Yushu at home. That was suicide. What Pin Liang said before was just a lie. What Peng Zhan and Faubert couldn't be sure was whether Pin Liang did anything to Meng Yao or not. In this case, Faubert could only follow Pin Liang in secret and find Meng Yao's prison location. Only then could they investigate clearly. Pin Liang wasn't that stupid. Although he didn't see Faubert's car from the window on the second floor, he didn't dare to go to the cave on Mount Shuangyan under these circumstances. Before Peng Zhan made a clear statement, it would be a waste of time for him to go. Plus, there was enough food and water in the cave. The 2 girls wouldn't starve to death. After dinner, Pin Liang watched a horror movie for a while and went to sleep. Fabai had been discussing the demolition with Master Bing and Sihua these past few days. He didn't have time to go home at all. How could he let go of this opportunity to build a relationship with his backer? Faubert saw that all the lights in Pin Liang's house were off, but he didn't act rashly. Instead he waited for a while. About an hour later, when a normal person should be asleep, Faubert jumped into the villa's courtyard and climbed up to Pin Liang's window. He looked inside through the gap of the curtains. Pin Liang was sleeping alone on his single bed. There was no one else in the house. Faubert was even more sure of his guess. Meng Yao shouldn't be in Pin Liang's house. However, he didn't dare to be 100% sure. Faubert planned to search the villa first. It was never wrong to be careful. Other than Peng Zhan, no one knew that Faubert was a golden-class physical practitioner. In fact, even Peng Zhan didn't have a clear idea of how much Faubert's strength had recovered. Faubert's current strength had reached the peak of the late phase of the golden class. However, it was impossible for a physical practitioner to break through to the mystic class without a suitable opportunity. So, physical practitioners like Gonggao who were in the early phase of the mystic class were very rare. Because Faubert only trained his physique, he used his body to achieve strong strength. The energy waves in his body weren't much different from a normal person. So, Lin Yi couldn't detect his true strength. Unless Faubert gathered his strength and attacked, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to detect it. However, when he was with Faubert, Faubert almost never attacked. Until now, Lin Yi still hadn't figured out the reason why Faubert's strength didn't exist. Chapter 546. Yao Yao's whereabouts. However, the secret room was filled with jewelry, cash and property certificates. Faubert wasn't interested in these things. After confirming that Meng Yao wasn't in the villa, Faubert left the villa quickly. Faubert was sure that it was impossible to hide one person in the villa, let alone 2 people. Since Pin Liang's villa was huge, the furniture was arranged loosely. It was easy to see if anyone was hiding there. After leaving Pin Liang's villa, Faubert gave Peng Zhan a call. Peng Zhan couldn't sleep tonight as he waited for Faubert's news. When he received the call, he was relieved. He knew that Faubert's search results were out. Whether his daughter was in Pin Liang's villa or not, it was good news. "Hello Li Fu, how is it?" Peng Zhan asked. "Miss Chu isn't in the villa. Pin Liang didn't do anything after he came home. He went to sleep after eating." Faubert summarized the current situation. "Oh, so Yao Yao is hidden somewhere else?" Peng Zhan breathed out in relief. It was very likely that Pin Liang hadn't succeeded yet. Young people were very obsessed with that kind of thing. Peng Zhan didn't believe that Pin Liang wouldn't do it again after the first time. He could even sleep at home peacefully. As long as he did it, no matter what Peng Zhan's attitude was, he wouldn't wait to do it again. Even if Pengzhan sent him to prison, he would do it after he had done it, right? If Pengzhan acknowledged him as his son-in-law, it would be normal for him to do it. How could he hold back? That must be it. Falbert said. Mr. Chu, I think Miss Chu is fine. Pinliang hasn't succeeded yet. I think so too. Pengzhan smiled. Li Fu, I'll have to trouble you. Follow Pinliang closely and pay attention to his movements. I understand, Mr. Chu. Don't worry, Falbert knew how important Pinliang was. As long as he followed him, he would definitely be able to find Meng Yao. Falbert wasn't worried that Pinliang would send someone else to look for Meng Yao. Some things could only be done by Pinliang himself. He couldn't ask someone else to do it for him, could he? So if Pinliang hadn't succeeded yet, then there was no need to worry. If he succeeded, then worrying was pointless. Right, Mr. Chu, do we need to inform Mr. Lin about this? Falbert asked. There's no need for that. Lily has his own things to do. I'd be happy to see him have his own career instead of just being a follower by Yao Yao's side. Pengzhan didn't know what Linny was doing, but he knew that Linny wouldn't be doing something useless. Plus, a man had to be strong. He couldn't live off a woman, could he? All right. Falbert was just reminding Pengzhan. He didn't say anything else since Pengzhan had already said so. Pinliang slept through the night and went to school as usual the next day. Fabai had been busy with Master Bing's company for the past 2 days, so he didn't have time to send Pinliang to school. Pinliang took a taxi to school on his own. Falbert followed him from afar, confused. Why did Pinliang come to school as if nothing had happened? Wasn't he worried about Meng Yao? In fact, Pinliang was very worried, but he knew that worrying wouldn't help. Pengzhan's attitude hadn't been decided yet, and he couldn't move on to the next step. He could only drag it out for now. It wasn't convenient for Falbert to follow Pinliang into the school himself, but Pengzhan was a shareholder of Songshan's first school. Falbert found a few random people and asked them to keep an eye on Pinliang. Naturally, these people fought for the job. Of course, Wang Jifeng was one of them. He was a person who was good at currying favor. He was worried that he wouldn't have a chance to build a good relationship with the higher-ups when Falbert gave him a mission. He patted his chest and promised that he would keep an eye on Pinliang's movements. Wang Jifeng didn't care about anything else this time. He grabbed a notebook and went to class 5 to listen to the class. It was normal for the dean to check on work, but this was the first time he did it for an entire day. However, Wang Jifeng didn't care about what others thought. He sat in the last row of class 5 and refused to leave. Coincidentally, he was sitting right next to Pinliang too. Pinliang was frustrated. What the hell was going on? He didn't even have the chance to discuss a plan with Xiaofu. He hoped that the god of plague would leave as soon as possible, but he didn't show any signs of leaving after a whole morning. At noon, Pinliang was about to go outside with Xiaofu to discuss a plan when Wang Jifeng called out to him with a dark face. Pinliang, where are you two going? Are you going to smoke in the bathroom? Pinliang looked like he was about to cry, but he didn't dare not answer. I'm going to eat lunch. Oh, then let's call this classmate. Xiaofu? Go buy it and eat it in the classroom. Let's go to the cafeteria. I'm hungry anyways, buy me some too. It's my treat. He took out 50 kuai and handed it to Xiaofu. Xiaofu didn't dare reject the dean's order. However, he couldn't understand why the academic affairs dean would treat them to a meal. Are you kidding me? Although it's just a bento box, this kind of treatment is unparalleled. Pinliang couldn't do anything about it. He didn't suspect anything though. Wang Jifeng didn't like him very much, especially after Gubang was no longer a shareholder. He'd always caused trouble for Pinliang. Who knew what was up with Wang Jifeng today? Pinliang really didn't want to piss him off. Uncle Fu didn't expect Wang Jifeng to be so responsible. He was practically Pinliang's bodyguard, but it gave him some time to sneak back to Pinliang's house in the morning. There was no one in the house, so Uncle Fu snuck back and did a thorough search. He didn't search Pinliang's room last night, so he might as well do it today. However, he didn't find any useful clues in Pinliang's room. At this point, Falbert was 100% sure that Meng Yao wasn't in Pinliang's house. But if Meng Yao wasn't in Pinliang's house, then where could she be? The problem was that Yushu was missing as well, and the two of them had disappeared at the same time. Where could Pinliang put them? Falbert wiped away all traces he left in Pinliang's house. A normal person wouldn't be able to detect Falbert's presence, but Falbert always had to be careful. It was a habit. Chapter 547. This is kind of awkward. The third auction was held as scheduled, and this was also the last auction organized by House Yu. In this auction, Lin Yi didn't have anything that he wanted to bid for. Originally, he didn't want to participate, but because the last auction item was a deluxe edition of the injury medicine provided by his company, Lin Yi had to participate. It was reasonable to say that the third auction was the main stage of the auction, and it was the time for the big families to make their moves. However, Lin Yi was not a person who attached himself to the arts, and he had no interest in the real top-grade jewelry and antiques. "Boss, is there nothing you like?" Fatty Lai asked worriedly when he saw that Lin Yi didn't give him any instructions and just put the catalog aside. "There's nothing worth me making a move." Lin Yi shook his head. "If you like something, just do it. I'm going to sleep for a while." Fatty Lai smiled bitterly. Lin Yi was probably the only one who slept in the third round of the auction, wasn't he? Xiao Xiao was still sitting beside Lin Yi. Even if Lin Yi wanted to kick her out, she wouldn't leave, so Lin Yi didn't bother to say anything. "Hey Lin Yi, do you think I'm the girl who knows the most of your secrets?" Xiao Xiao didn't want Lin Yi to sleep, so she pulled him over to talk. "What do you mean?" Lin Yi pretended not to understand. "Tang Yin doesn't know about your company, does she? They didn't know that you could cure illnesses, did they? Even your two young misses don't know you as well as I do, right?" Xiao Xiao couldn't help but feel a little smug, thinking that she was the one who understood Lin Yi the most. "Oh, maybe," Lin Yi said lightly, as if this matter had nothing to do with him. Xiao Xiao couldn't help but get a little annoyed at Lin Yi's nonchalant face. What kind of person was this? He didn't know how to flirt at all. If it were a guy, he'd probably be excited, wouldn't he? Was his tone not ambiguous enough? Xiao Xiao had never pursued a guy before, and she'd never been in a relationship before. All her knowledge came from the internet and books, so she didn't know what to do. All she could do was sulk. "If there's nothing else, I'll take a nap." Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao. "I'm a bit sleepy." "Then? I'm also a little sleepy." "I'll sleep too." Xiao Xiao gritted her teeth and laid down on Lin Yi's shoulder. "Good night." Lin Yi frowned and wanted to turn his body sideways, but Xiao Xiao's head was like a magnet, moving wherever he moved. Lin Yi couldn't just lie on top of him, could he? "Stop fooling around," Lin Yi scolded. "Fu." Xiao Xiao pretended to be asleep, ignoring Lin Yi. Seeing how shameless Xiao Xiao was, Lin Yi got even angrier. "Weren't you messing with me? Then let's see who gets the worst of it." Lin Yi put his arm around Xiao Xiao's shoulder, his hand moving towards Xiao Xiao's chest. "Ah!" Xiao Xiao gasped, her face turning red. She didn't think that Lin Yi would be so bold as to touch her chest. Xiao Xiao wanted to jump up and kick Lin Yi until he died. But Xiao Xiao came to a realization: she was seducing Lin Yi to get him to like her, so how could she do that to him? Now that he was touching her chest, shouldn't she be trying to resist? At that thought, Xiao Xiao started to fidget. Being touched by a guy was a bit of a disadvantage, but in order to get Lin Yi's heart, it was normal to make some sacrifices. If it were when she first met Lin Yi, she would definitely reject Lin Yi touching her, but now she really did feel like she was trying to resist. Ever since Lin Yi saved her from the sea and again at the hotel 2 days ago, Xiao Xiao's hatred for Lin Yi had lessened. She didn't know how she felt about Lin Yi now, but she just wanted Lin Yi to like her even more. Xiao Xiao hadn't had this kind of mentality before, so she didn't think too much about it. She just thought that if he touched her now, he'd feel like he owed her, right? Maybe he'd start liking her after touching her, and he wouldn't be able to stop. Lin Yi saw Xiao Xiao move a little, but let him put his hand on her chest, not resisting at all. He couldn't help but feel that it was strange. This Xiao Xiao wouldn't be willing to sacrifice her body for her plan, would she? If that was the case, then why did Lin Yi have to be so polite? Lin Yi wasn't a nice guy to begin with. He'd been avoiding Xiao Xiao because he didn't want her to keep coming up with stupid plans to screw him over. Now that Xiao Xiao was offering herself to him, there was no reason for Lin Yi to reject her. Plus, this was Lin Yi's first time actually touching a girl's chest. He and Yushu had only had a short misunderstanding before, so how could he touch her like this? Seeing that Xiao Xiao wasn't rejecting him, Lin Yi got bolder and put his hand all over. Yes, this felt good. Lin Yi thought that it'd be great if Tang Yun let him touch her as well. But Lin Yi felt that his thoughts were a little shameful. The person he was touching was Xiao Xiao, and he was thinking of Tang Yun. Xiao Xiao might have sacrificed her body for some reason, but she was still a girl, wasn't she? It didn't seem right for him to touch her like that, right? But Lin Yi didn't want to let go, and so Lin Yi pretended to be asleep as he attacked Xiao Xiao. Xiao Xiao was also pretending to be asleep, but her face was as red as blood, and her breathing was getting faster and faster. Finally, she couldn't take it anymore and hugged Lin Yi tightly, pressing her forehead against his chest, moaning softly. No one knew what she was saying. Lin Yi felt a little awkward as he realized that he'd gone too far. It was nice to touch, but he couldn't just touch it like that, could he? He'd touched Xiao Xiao out of impulse and now he was regretting it. He quickly let go, but he didn't know if he should push her away or let her hug him. Luckily after a while Xiao Xiao let go of Lin Yi and looked up at Lin Yi shyly. Is it nice to touch? Lin Yi thought that the old saying made sense. What did it mean to touch someone's hand was shorter? Wasn't he the perfect example? But Lin Yi wasn't the type of person who wavered. He didn't want to lie when Xiao Xiao asked, so he nodded. Xiao Xiao couldn't help but smile after getting Lin Yi's confirmation. You've never touched Tang Yun before? Lin Yi shook his head. Chapter 548. The same hardcover. Lin Yi wanted to say that he touched Yushu before, but he thought that it was a misunderstanding, so he nodded. It's my first time being touched. Xiao Xiao's smile turned shy. Lin Yi sighed. They weren't going to talk about taking responsibility, were they? This made Lin Yi feel awkward. It's fine, I'm doing this voluntarily. Xiao Xiao gathered her courage, wanting to threaten him with this, but she couldn't bring herself to say it. The words just came out of her mouth and they just turned into soft, silly words. Lin Yi didn't expect Xiao Xiao to say that. He looked at her in disbelief. I'm really sleepy. I'm going to sleep for a while. With that, Xiao Xiao closed her eyes and laid on the back of the chair. This time she didn't listen to Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't understand Xiao Xiao's attitude. Was this still the Xiao Xiao he knew? What was she trying to do? This scene made Lin Yi's understanding of Xiao Xiao a little blurry. All of a sudden, her attitude changed. What was going on with Xiao Xiao? Seeing that Xiao Xiao didn't want to talk to him anymore, Lin Yi closed his eyes helplessly. Lin Yi found it very strange that Xiao Xiao would let go of this so easily. How could he be in the mood to sleep? The auction went on as planned and many of the items were sold at very high prices. Miracle Dr. Kang's family didn't buy anything, but they were still very happy sitting there. Dr. Kang felt that he was going to become the head of a noble house soon. He would be like these people with an extraordinary position in society. As long as he had the title of a noble house, his path would become wider. Whether it was buying materials or selling, he would break through his current bottleneck, ushering in a new era for House Kang. Today it was obvious that the noble house's attitudes towards Miracle Dr. Kang were much warmer than before. This was the reason why Miracle Dr. Kang was so confident. Only House Yu's attitude was a little vague. Haitian nodded at Miracle Dr. Kang calmly, not saying a word. But Dr. Kang thought that House Yu was just trying to avoid arousing suspicion. House Yu was the organizer of the noble house meeting. If they were too close to House Kang, how would people think of them? Sure enough, the third auction is filled with good stuff. Kang Guifeng looked at the people who won the auction enviously, taking all the rare treasures for themselves. Next year House Kang will return with a full load. This year is a year of development, and we need to use our funds in the right place. Dr. Kang was envious as well. But thinking about the bright future, he was full of confidence. Seeing that the last item was won by a noble house's disciple, Dr. Kang closed the auction catalog in his hands. He was about to leave when the auctioneer continued, "This auction will be the same as yesterday. There will be an additional finale item. This item is provided by Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company, Injury Medicine, Special Edition." Injury Medicine, Special Edition? Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company is also making Special Edition Golden Creation? That's called Injury Medicine, not Golden Creation. But isn't the effect the same? Is there a difference? The audience was in an uproar. Everyone was paying close attention to Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. In the first auction, the 3-pill of life extension and toxin cleansing provided by Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company were sold at a sky-high price. So, the third auction item that was added at the last minute had everyone talking about it. But after hearing the name, most people thought that it was something similar to the golden creation that Dr. Kang's medical company provided yesterday. Dad, why did Guan Xuemin come up with something similar to our golden creation? Does he have the formula for our golden creation as well? Kang Guifeng frowned when he heard the name of the injury medicine. They're calling it injury medicine, so it should be different from our golden creation. Besides, it's hard to say if it's effective or not. Dr. Kang wasn't that worried. His golden creation's formula was a secret, and no one would be able to analyze it. Even if they did, the ingredients were rare, and they couldn't be mass-produced. Most of the suppliers in the country were monopolized by House Kang. He must be copying us. Kang Guifeng scolded unhappily. How shameless. And he's still calling himself Miracle Dr. Guan? That's a pretty good imitation. Imitation is imitation, it won't achieve anything big. Miracle Dr. Kang shook his head and smiled carelessly. He chose the wrong time to come up with a special edition injury medicine for auction at a time like this. Yeah, Kang Guifeng nodded. Indeed, we've already auctioned the golden creation medicine yesterday. It's basically enough for the entire auction. Who else are they going to sell it to? What a finale. I think it'll be embarrassing if no one buys it later. Let's watch the show. Dr. Kang smiled. Looks like it was the right decision not to leave so early. We can still watch a good show now. Grandpa, why do I feel that Fatty Lai isn't that reckless? Xiaolong was confused. If they brought out the same thing, they'd probably think the same thing. Aren't they afraid of embarrassing themselves? Not that reckless? If he wasn't, why would he spend 20 million to buy a box yesterday? Dr. Kang didn't think much of it. Hasn't he heard of the story of buying the casket and returning the pearls? But he still bought it. This proves that this person's IQ is really low. He was forced to do it yesterday. He couldn't back down now, so of course he had to spend money to buy it. But I feel that Fatty Lai isn't that kind of idiot. Xiaolong shook his head and didn't say anything else since his grandpa didn't think much of it. The auctioneer was very satisfied with everyone's response. He wanted to personally introduce the effects of this hardcover injury medicine, but after thinking about it, it was better to let Lai Changyi personally introduce it. So when everyone was almost done discussing, the host said, I think everyone is very concerned about the effects of this hardcover injury medicine. Let us welcome the CEO of Miracle Dr. Guan Medicine Group, Mr. Lai Changyi, to the stage to introduce the effects of his company's new product, as well as the effects of this injury medicine. Chapter 549. Where did the formula come from? Fatty Lai was looking forward to this opportunity as well. Being able to promote the company was a good thing, so he stood up and walked to the auction stage. It was Fatty Lai's second time on the stage. Even the heads of noble houses didn't get this kind of treatment, but House Yu gave him this face. Of course this face was for Guan Shuamin. Only Guan Shuamin would receive this kind of treatment. Ladies and gentlemen, good day. I believe everyone is curious about what our company's injury medicine and special edition injury medicine are. Fatty Lai said calmly. Now I'll answer everyone's questions. Of course, other than Miracle Dr. Kang's family, the other noble houses and wealthy businessmen were all very interested in it. Even if it was the same as Dr. Kang's golden creation, they would still be interested. After all, having Miracle Dr. Guan meant that they had another choice. They didn't need to beg Dr. Kang's family anymore. Luckily we made the skin beautifying golden creation. Otherwise there'd be changes to the noble house promotion. Miracle Dr. Kang was gritting his teeth in anger. How did they get the recipe? Miracle Dr. Kang gritted his teeth in anger. They probably made it up, Kang Guifeng said. Fake products won't stand the test of the market. If it's something useless they wouldn't dare to take it out. Xiaolong saw it clearly. Grandpa's right, we're one step ahead of them. We made the skin beautifying golden creation, and we made it at the perfect time to be ahead of others. Fatty Lai naturally didn't know what the Kangs were talking about. If he did, he'd probably laugh his head off. This injury medicine is used to stop bleeding and nourish the muscles, allowing the wound to heal faster without leaving any scars. Fatty Lai's words caused an uproar. Wasn't this the same effect as Dr. Kang's golden creation? Dr. Kang's face was ashen. It was one thing to make a guess, but it was another to confirm it. His face wasn't looking good. Anyone can brag. The key is that it has to be effective. Kang Guifeng snorted coldly. Grandpa, does Kang Xiaobo's family have our recipe? Xiaolong suddenly thought of something else. Was the recipe leaked? I don't think so. You're suspecting that they have the formula as well? Dr. Kang understood what Xiaolong meant immediately. Yes, Kang Xiaobo has a good relationship with them. I'm afraid that the formula was leaked by Kang Xiaobo. Xiaolong frowned. Otherwise, why didn't they start the company earlier? Why did he set up the company after he met Kang Xiaobo, and why did he come up with the exact same medicine? Boss probably hasn't seen the recipe. Miracle Dr. Kang shook his head. He'd fallen out with his brother, but it was because of this recipe that they'd fallen out. He'd wanted to use this recipe to get rich, but his brother had insisted that he couldn't touch it or even look at it. That was why they'd fallen out. If his brother had seen the formula, then he wouldn't have had a falling out with him. The two of them could get rich together and that would be a different story. No, but how can there be such a coincidence in this world? Xiaolong didn't believe it. I'll go back and ask my brother. Dr. Kang frowned. If the formula was really given by his brother, then there was nothing he could do. After all, he didn't have the formula alone. But if it wasn't given by his brother, then he had to investigate. Xiaolong didn't say anything else. He raised his head and looked at Fatty Lai. He didn't know what he was going to say. The normal version of the injury medicine will be available in a month, and there won't be any shortage. The retail price is 199 yuan. Fatty Lai slowly advertised his company's product. He believed that in the near future the price and effects of his product would spread from the mouths of these people, and more people would know about it. From person to person, from 1 to 10, from 10 to 100. Soon, Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine would be known by everyone. Besides, his advantage over Dr. Kang's golden creation was that it was cheap and had a large supply. When people couldn't buy Dr. Kang's golden creation, they would settle for the second best, Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine. After using it once and realizing that its effects weren't inferior to Miracle Dr. Kang's golden creation, it was obvious whether or not they'd buy it again. There won't be any shortage? You're bluffing, aren't you? Kang Guifeng laughed coldly. Our house Kang has taken over all the raw material suppliers in the country. Where are they going to get the raw materials? Even with Guan Shuamin's reputation, they won't be able to get much. That's true. If we had enough raw materials, there wouldn't be a shortage. Who wouldn't want to earn money? Unless the raw materials were too expensive and couldn't cover the cost. But if that's the case, if they bought the raw materials at a high price and sold them for only 199 yuan, wouldn't they be losing even more money? Dr. Kang shook his head. He didn't understand. Even House Kang couldn't guarantee a national supply without any delay. How could Guan Shuamin do it? He's just bluffing. I don't think so. Xiaolong shook his head. First, they've already bragged about it. If they can't meet the demand, their reputation will be tarnished. This is fatal for a new company. If they can lie in one segment, then they can lie in other segments as well. If the media finds a weakness and attacks them, their reputation will be tarnished. Second, if they can't meet the demand, why would they advertise in this place? Wouldn't that be weird? Without enough production, there won't be any profit. Plus, the price is so cheap it's hard to say if they can cover the cost. Wouldn't it be great if they had the opportunity to advertise their other products? Guifeng heard Xiaolong's words and nodded. His son was right, but the more he thought about it, the more confused he became. Dr. Kang looked at Xiaolong, pleased. Xiaolong, you've thought this through. So, they really do have the goods? I'm guessing so, Xiaolong said. Either they've hoarded a large amount of raw materials at a high price, enough to last them for a while, or they're trying to lose money and expand their reputation, or they have other sources of raw materials. Yes, you're right. Dr. Kang nodded. Looks like the opponent is strong. We've underestimated him. Haha, don't worry. Xiaolong shook his head. Chapter 550. Guan Shuamin's bullying. It doesn't matter if they're buying at a high price or if they have other sources, the problem of cost is unavoidable. Xiaolong smiled. All the sources are monopolized by us House Kang, but they're still able to buy raw materials. What does that mean? It means that they're selling at a high price, squeezed out from somewhere else. If that's the case, their cost won't be enough. Our cost for a bottle of golden creation is around 150 renminbi, and they're selling it at 199 renminbi. After deducting the cost, the channel fees, and the retailer's profit, what do they have left? It's just enough. And that's according to our cost. If it's according to their high cost, they'll be making a loss. Yeah. Their price is too low. Kang Guifeng understood the crux of the problem. That's why we just need to wait and see. Xiaolong laughed coldly. I think the opponent is a very rich financial group, and with Guan Shuamin's support, they'll naturally want to become famous. But we've already taken over the market, and they can only do so by selling at a low price. If we want to take back the market, we have to lower our prices, and they'll definitely lower their prices again, forcing us to lower our prices. It'll be a vicious cycle. With them in the market, the price of raw materials will increase, and our cost will increase as well. This way, everyone will lose more and more money, and once our House Kang's cash flow is in trouble, we'll be done for. It's a very obvious way to compete in the market, but I have to say that it's very effective. Many people have fallen for it. Xiaolong's right. If we lower our prices for a temporary market share, we'll be falling for the opponent's trap. They'll continue to lower their prices and force us to our deaths. Since they're planning to lose money, they must be very powerful. All we have to do is sit back and watch. Dr. Kang agreed. We won't lower our prices and let them play. Let's see how long they can keep losing money. Son, your analysis is very thorough. I have to say, you're really mean. They're really unlucky to have a competitor like you. Kang Guifeng was very impressed with his son. Dad, are you praising me or scolding me? You said I'm bad. Xiaolong said it like that, but he was actually quite pleased with himself. He had seen through the enemy's scheme, and he felt like he was the fisherman behind the scenes. Of course, under normal circumstances, Xiaolong's idea wasn't wrong at all. In fact, it was quite accurate. However, this matter was unusual. This time, the product we are auctioning is the special edition of the injury medicine. Naturally, it is different from the one you can buy on the market. Fatty Lai continued on the stage. This is the special edition of the injury medicine. Naturally, it has extraordinary effects. Not only does it have the basic effects of an injury medicine, but it also has the effect of beautifying the skin. The magic of our injury medicine is that it can heal wounds quickly without leaving any scars, and this deluxe edition can repair some old scars, completely removing these old scars. Of course, this is only the main effect. There are many other auxiliary effects such as beautifying, improving skin tone, removing dull skin, shrinking pores, and so on. Fatty Lai's words plunged the crowd into an awkward silence and an instant uproar. This special edition injury medicine actually had the same effect as the skin-beautifying golden creation medicine that Dr. Kong had given him yesterday. What was going on in this world? How could something so coincidental happen? 2 days ago, 2 different pharmaceutical companies brought out the finale products of the auction, but they were shockingly similar. House Kang's face changed instantly. Miracle Dr. Kang's face darkened. He was now certain that his brother had taken a peek at the recipe and told it to Xuemin. Otherwise, why would Guan Xuemin have the formula for the skin-beautifying golden creation? But he didn't call it by that name. He called it the special edition injury medicine. They're obviously going against our House Kong. Guifeng's face was dark as well. No wonder they wanted that 1,000-year-old snow lotus yesterday. It turns out that they know how to use it as well. But they didn't get it, did they? Why are they still auctioning it? Aren't they afraid of running out of stock? If I'm not wrong, they've probably gotten their hands on a Millennium Snow Lotus before. Dr. Kong said, it's hard to find, but it's not impossible to find. Didn't we just find one? With Guan Xuemin's reputation, it's too easy for him to get his hands on rare ingredients. Grandpa, about us becoming a noble house. Xiaolong was most worried about becoming a noble house. I'm afraid that the situation has changed. Dr. Kong was worried as well, but he couldn't do anything about it. Who asked them to be so unlucky? Encountering something like this. No wonder House Yu was looking at us weirdly yesterday. They knew about it. They didn't even tell us about it beforehand. They're obviously trying to embarrass us. Hatred flashed across Xiaolong's eyes. If House Kong couldn't become a noble house, there would be more variables in the future. Guan Xuemin, you're too much. Kong Guifeng laughed coldly. Then let's see who's going to win. Fatty Lai left after the introduction. Next up was the auctioneer's job. In fact, there wasn't really a need for an auction. After what happened with House Kong yesterday, Fatty Lai suggested to Lin Yi to increase the number of bottles, and Fatty Lai reluctantly gave up 10 bottles that belonged to his family, making it 30 bottles in total. He also suggested to Lin Yi to increase the number of pre-authorizations by 50. This was also what he learned from House Kong. The goal was to attack House Kong. In any case, they had already become competitors. Fatty Lai wanted to spend some time to convince Lin Yi, but Lin Yi agreed immediately when he heard that it was to attack House Kong. Lin Yi was duty-bound to avenge his little brother, Kong Xiaobo. Lin Yi was especially impressed that Fatty Lai was willing to give up the portion that belonged to him. This made Lin Yi slowly accept Fatty Lai, and he was ready to make him his confidant. Chapter 551. You have to compensate me. House Yu didn't like House Kang's way of using the opportunity to blackmail them. They had no choice but to agree to become a noble house. But now it wasn't necessary anymore. What you have, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company has it too. What right do you have to become a noble house? On the other hand, if Guan Xuemin wanted to become a noble house, House Yu would probably cooperate with him. They might even become the 5th noble house. From this, one could see the importance of a miracle doctor. The auction quantity is 30 finished products and 50 pre-sale products. The price of the finished product is 2.99 million and the pre-sale product is 2 million. First come, first served. The auctioneer introduced the rules of the auction. Everyone knew the rules of this auction. There was a red button on the table in front of them. When the auctioneer said start, everyone could press the button to start the auction. The first person to press the button would get the item. Of course, no one would offend anyone in this situation. One person could bid for more than one item. Usually, the people would press the button according to the size of the family and the status of the rich and famous people. Only when there were more people left would they start the fair auction. This shocking price made the two wealthy businessmen who had spent more than 10 million on the pre-sale items the day before instantly dumbfounded. They spent so much money on the pre-sale product, but the finished product was only 2.99 million. Of course, this was Fatty Lie's last-minute price increase. Those who didn't bid were all glad that they didn't rush to the end of the auction yesterday. Otherwise they would have lost a lot. Dr. Kang's family was completely dumbfounded. They didn't expect Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company to take out 30 finished products and 50 pre-sale products at once. They were ashamed of themselves. Yesterday they were acting all mysterious, making people think that it was a good thing. They only made 2 trial products and they were even pre-sale products. Today they were mass-producing it. Wasn't it obvious that they weren't as good as Miracle Dr. Guan's? This was so embarrassing. Fuck, didn't they not get the Millennium Snow Lotus? Why are there pre-sale products? Where did they get it from? Kang Guifeng was so angry that he wanted to stand up and curse. Wasn't this too much? He felt his face burning. Dr. Kang didn't say anything, but from his expression, it was obvious that he was in a very bad mood. Xiaolong, on the other hand, was frowning. After a while, he relaxed his brows and smiled. Grandpa, Dad, did you forget what I said? If they are willing to pay, then let them pay. We will just wait and see. As long as we do our job well, it's up to them what they want to do. If they have the ability, they can pay for a year and continue to pay for next year's auction. Dr. Kang and Kang Guifeng slapped their thighs. What a wake-up call. Indeed, Xiaolong was right. If they were willing to pay up, then so be it. It wasn't like he could interfere. Let's see who'll be the one laughing in the end. Thinking of this, the people of the Kang family were relieved. They looked at the people around them excitedly bidding for the photos. They thought to themselves, go ahead and bid more. There won't be this price next year. The auction had come to an end, and House Kang didn't feel too good about it. The noble houses that had been so enthusiastic yesterday all seemed to have lost interest in today's auction. No one went to greet House Kang, and this made them very depressed. Although he had already expected this situation, no one would feel good if they were in his shoes. So you guys have that skin-beautifying golden creation too? This was the first thing Xiao Xiao said after waking up. She blinked her big watery eyes, evidently very excited about what happened at the end of the auction. She even forgot about the chest attack earlier. Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief since Xiao Xiao didn't mention it. But Lin Yi didn't know how to answer Xiao Xiao's question. It's different from theirs. Oh, I know. It's the special edition injury medicine. Xiao Xiao nodded. I'll give you one? Lin Yi asked after some hesitation. I don't want it. What's the use of being that pretty? It can't prolong my life. Xiao Xiao didn't care about these things that other girls would go after. Don't try to get on my good side. Don't think that a special edition injury medicine can make up for what happened before. Ahem? Lin Yi was startled. Xiao Xiao hadn't forgotten about what happened before. What's wrong? I'm talking about you peeing on my head. Xiao Xiao looked at Lin Yi, confused. What do you think I'm talking about? Did you think it was you who saw me bathing or that you touched my boobs? What? Lin Yi's eyes widened. He almost jumped up as if someone stepped on his tail. The Xiao Xiao couldn't just say things like that. He wouldn't be able to explain himself if Tang Yun heard this. What? You don't dare to admit what you did? Xiao Xiao glared at Lin Yi. That's not it. I saw you bathing because I wanted to save you. Lin Yi said faintly. You can threaten me if you want. Then what about just now? You didn't touch me on purpose? Xiao Xiao asked. I did it on purpose. Lin Yi nodded, not denying it. You admit it now, right? Xiao Xiao was very pleased. She finally had something on Lin Yi. So what? Lin Yi shrugged, but he felt that it wasn't right. So what? I'll tell Tang Yun that you touched me. Xiao Xiao threatened. She won't believe you. You don't have proof. Lin Yi said. I do. I took a picture. Xiao Xiao waved her phone proudly. Lin Yi's head hurt. He stared at Xiao Xiao coldly. I don't like it when people threaten me. You're getting serious? How boring. Xiao Xiao saw that Lin Yi was angry and softened. She put her phone away. Fine, I won't threaten you. You have to compensate me, right? I'm a virgin. You touched me and I'm no longer pure. You're a virgin now too. Lin Yi was speechless. How could she not be a virgin with just a touch? Then I'm no longer pure. You have to compensate me. Xiao Xiao tried to make her voice sound sweet. Compensate. Lin Yi couldn't really reject this time. How do you want to compensate me? I'll think about it first. Xiao Xiao didn't show it on her face, but she was very pleased inside. Kang Xiaobo was right. Lin Yi was amenable to coaxing but not coercion. She couldn't threaten him, so she just had to act pitiful. Chapter 552. It should be fine. Lin Yi, are you done with your stuff? Peng Zhan's voice sounded a little anxious. I just finished. What's wrong, Uncle Chu? Did something happen? Lin Yi asked. Yao Yao seems to have been kidnapped by Zhong Pingliang. Can you come back now? After the incident with the company last time, Peng Zhan was used to looking for Lin Yi whenever there was something he couldn't solve. He had asked Faubert to investigate and follow Zhong Pingliang, but Zhong Pingliang didn't come into contact with Meng Yao. Faubert didn't know where Meng Yao was. Peng Zhan didn't call the police because the situation was too complicated. First, he was worried about his daughter's reputation. Second, there wasn't enough evidence. Zhong Pingliang had Sihua's support, so Peng Zhan couldn't do anything. In a battle of this level, many things were hidden in the dark. Calling the police wouldn't solve the root of the problem. Peng Zhan didn't have the confidence to go against Sihua head-on. The power he represented was too strong. Even if Sihua helped Gubang to destroy his company's profits, Peng Zhan couldn't do anything to him. Kidnapped? Lin Yi was surprised by Zhong Pingliang's boldness. He didn't know that this kid was quite daring. He even dared to kidnap someone? Did you call the police? No, Zhong Fabai's been with Sihua lately and he's got a strong backer. I don't want to be enemies with him just yet. Peng Zhan didn't hide anything from Lin Yi and told him the truth. Sihua again? Lin Yi frowned. This guy didn't know how to stop. 2 golden class masters were dead and he was still jumping around. Lin Yi would have killed him if he didn't want to live a peaceful life for a few days. You want me to do it? Lin Yi asked. Yes. You're familiar with Zhong Pingliang and Yao Yao. It's best if you can find Yao Yao quietly. Peng Zhan said. It's complicated. We'll talk face to face when you come back. Okay, I'll go back tonight. Lin Yi agreed. When Lin Yi hung up, Xiao Xiao asked, You're going back? I heard you say kidnapped. Who kidnapped him? We'll talk about it when we get back. I'm not too sure myself. Lin Yi waved his hand at Xiao Xiao. I'll be going first. You won't wait for my father to come back? He still wants to see his son-in-law. Xiao Xiao didn't want Lin Yi to leave so soon. This was a good chance. Their relationship would change when they got back to school. Even if it was stronger than before, it wouldn't be as harmonious as it was now. I'll see you later. Lin Yi didn't have time to deal with Xiao Xiao. He still had business to attend to. Although Lin Yi didn't have the obligation to protect Meng Yao, Lin Yi couldn't just sit back and do nothing if something happened to Meng Yao. Even now, Lin Yi still didn't understand why he was sent to Meng Yao's side. What kind of mission was he supposed to carry out? He asked Peng Zhan a few times, but Peng Zhan always gave him vague answers. From the mist, the answer Lin Yi got was that he was a shield. Of course, Lin Yi didn't believe that it was that simple, but he had no other choice. And so, Lin Yi was like a butler. Whether it was Peng Zhan's company, the Mist Studies, or her best friend Shu, Lin Yi did everything he could to help. Not only did he have to be the babysitter for these 2 girls, but he also had to be a bodyguard. He even had to be a thug at school. But as time went on, Lin Yi got used to it. This mission was really complicated. From start to finish, it didn't seem like he had anything to do, but things never stopped. If it weren't for the old man's promise that the reward for this mission would be enough for him to retire, Lin Yi would have questioned it long ago. This miss really didn't let him have peace of mind. If something happened to her, Lin Yi couldn't just ignore it. It wasn't just the problem of Peng Zhan being his employer anymore. Lin Yi really did have some feelings for Meng Yao and Yushu. After all, they lived under the same roof every day. If they were in danger, Lin Yi would definitely help them. Although the auction had ended, there were still some follow-up matters to take care of. The seller and the buyer had to stay behind. Lin Yi said goodbye to Guan Shuamin and Fatty Lai and took the plane back to Songshan that night. He couldn't book economy class tickets anymore. He could only book first-class tickets, but Faubert booked them directly. After getting off the plane, Lin Yi saw Faubert waiting at the arrival gate. Faubert. Lin Yi walked over quickly. Mr. Lin, it's been a long journey. Faubert said apologetically. I made you come back in such a hurry. It's nothing. Something happened to Yao Yao, of course I had to come back. Lin Yi didn't expect Faubert to be so polite. In fact, Lin Yi felt a little guilty. After all, Meng Yao was in trouble when he was away. If one were to talk about responsibility, he was also responsible. Although Peng Zhan didn't explicitly say that he would be Meng Yao's bodyguard, he only asked him to be a follower. But this kind of follower was more complicated. Mr. Chu is waiting for you. This way, please. Faubert didn't say anything else. It wasn't appropriate for him to say too much. In the parking lot of the airport in Faubert's Bentley, Lin Yi saw Peng Zhan. Lin Yi didn't expect Peng Zhan to come to pick him up. It was obvious that it was an emergency. Peng Zhan couldn't wait to meet him. Linny, listen to this recording first. Peng Zhan didn't waste time with small talk. He passed a recording pen to Linny. Linny nodded and pressed the play button. Pingliang's voice came from the recording pen. Hello, Uncle Chu. It was a recording Peng Zhan had made during Pingliang's visit. It was the evidence Peng Zhan had left behind, but there was no need for him to go through the trouble of narrating the whole thing. The recording was enough to explain everything. Lin Yi frowned after listening to the recording. Pingliang dared to touch Mengyao? Uncle Chu, what do you mean? Lin Yi wanted to know Peng Zhan's plan first. Faubert already checked. Yao Yao isn't at Pingliang's house. Pingliang didn't do anything strange today. He went to school, left school and went home normally. Peng Zhan said. I thought Pingliang would find a chance to meet with Meng Yao, but he didn't. Then Yao Yao should be fine. Lin Yi sighed and smiled. Chapter 553. Dealing with it calmly, from the way Pingliang spoke in the recording, I don't think he did anything to Yao Yao. Lin Yi knew Pingliang better. He was probably testing your attitude, Uncle Chu. Before he left, he emphasized it a few times, asking you to think about it. Yeah. Peng Zhan wasn't an idiot. After Lin Yi's reminder, he immediately understood the crux of the matter. That's right, Pingliang is quite cunning. He was testing my attitude. Yao Yao should be fine, but if I silently agreed to it, Zhong Pingliang would take action. What was done couldn't be undone. If I don't agree and react violently, he will give up his previous plan. But didn't he say before that even if I go to jail, it's nothing? That's just what he said. Lin Yi curled his lips. Even if he knows that bullshit Sihua and some Master Bing, do you think Sihua would help him? Ever since Lin Yi killed Sihua's 2 golden class masters, Sihua had quietened down a lot. Lin Yi could imagine how he was feeling right now. He probably hated and feared Lin Yi, but he couldn't do anything to Lin Yi. So, with Lin Yi around, Sihua wouldn't go looking for trouble to help Pingliang. Pingliang was obviously putting on a strong front, making up lies to scare people. Peng Zhan nodded. I guess I was blinded by the situation. It seems like the reason why Pingliang didn't meet with Meng Yao is because I didn't say anything. There's no point in him meeting Meng Yao. That should be it, Lin Yi nodded. In other words, no matter what choice I make, Pingliang will meet with Meng Yao. This way we can follow him and find Yao Yao, Peng Zhan said. That's right, but Pingliang will always be a problem if we let him live. Why don't we use this opportunity? Lin Yi stopped there. If he didn't do anything to Yao Yao, it'll be hard to deal with him through legal means. Peng Zhan smiled bitterly and shook his head. What if it's an accident? Lin Yi asked calmly. Accident? Peng Zhan naturally understood what Lin Yi was implying. There were only 3 people in the car and they were all trustworthy. Peng Zhan didn't hide anything. It may be an accident, but Zhong Fabai will still blame it on me. With Peng Zhan Industries' current situation, it's not a good time to start a feud. Peng Zhan was worried about Sihua. Fabai would go crazy if Pingliang died, and if he gave Sihua enough benefits he might be able to force Sihua to avenge him. Peng Zhan, on the other hand, wasn't a weakling, but Sihua was a tyrant in Songshan. It was hard to say what would happen if they were to fight. I understand. Lin Yi sneered and thought of an idea. I will make this accident have nothing to do with us. If it was a normal assassination mission, Lin Yi wouldn't be overcautious. But since Lin Yi had decided to retire here, he wouldn't act rashly. It was easy to kill Pingliang, but it wouldn't be worth it if he brought unnecessary trouble to Peng Zhan. Then I won't say more. Peng Zhan believed that Lin Yi would know what to do. Let's talk about Yao Yao and Shu first. Should we contact Pingliang and follow him to where Yao Yao and Shu are being held? There's no need for that. I have a rough idea of where they are. Lin Yi smiled. Where? Peng Zhan was surprised. He didn't expect Lin Yi to know where Meng Yao and Yushu were being held. Mount Shuangyan. Lin Yi said, Shu sent me a message last night saying that she and Yao Yao were going to Mount Shuangyan. I didn't think much of it at the time, but now it seems that they got into trouble there. Then should we go there now? Peng Zhan stood up excitedly when he found out where his daughter was being held. He only realized that he was sitting in the car when his head hit the roof. He turned to Faubert. Go to Mount Shuangyan immediately. Meng Yao and Yushu woke up one after another. Yushu was awakened by Meng Yao's scream. Yushu was still in a daze when she woke up. She rubbed her eyes blankly. Yao Yao, what are you screaming for? Did you have a nightmare? It's the middle of the night and the sky is still dark. I need to sleep a bit more. Shu, wake up, we're not at home. Meng Yao shook Yushu's body in panic, trying to wake her up. Yushu finally woke up from Meng Yao's shaking. She said blankly, Where? Where is this? Why is it so dark? I can't even see you. I don't know. We were here when I woke up. Mengyao wasn't that scared with Yushu by her side. I thought we were at home too, but I felt a stone floor under me. We don't have our phones on us and we've completely lost contact with the outside world. Yushu touched her body and then touched her empty pockets. It was as Mengyao said, it was a stone floor and her phone was gone. But she was braver. Although it was dark, she wasn't afraid. Yao Yao, didn't we follow Zhong Pingliang into a cave? Are we still in the cave? Mengyao only remembered what happened after Yushu's words. Indeed, they came with Pingliang, but they didn't know anything after that. Could it be that something happened to them? Zhong Pingliang and the others are here too? Mengyao asked subconsciously. I don't know, I can't see anything. Should we stand up and look for them? Yushu was born brave, so she wasn't afraid. Mengyao wanted to agree to Yushu's suggestion, but she was a little scared. The unknown in the dark was the scariest thing for Mengyao. She wanted to know what was in the dark, but she was afraid of encountering something unknown. Then wait for me here, Yao Yao. I'll get up and look. Yushu said it casually, but she was still a girl. It was impossible for her not to be afraid. She was just a little braver. Let's go together then? Mengyao was more afraid that Yushu would leave and she'd be alone. That would be even scarier. Chapter 554. Intimate talk. In the small space of the cave, apart from a backpack, there were a few plastic boxes of unknown contents. It was too dark and Yushu didn't take a closer look. But one thing was for sure, there was no one else here other than the two of them. At this moment, the two of them realized that they might have been set up by Zhong Pingliang. Otherwise, why were there only the two of them here and not Zhong Pingliang and Gao Xiaofu? Yao Yao sis, it must be that bastard Zhong Pingliang who locked us here. Yushu was furious. I was wondering why he lured us here. He wanted to lock us up. Shu, it's all my fault, I trusted Zhong Pingliang too easily. Mengyao bit her lips, knowing that she was tricked. It was obvious that Zhong Pingliang had lured her and Shu here on purpose, knocked them out and locked them up. That so-called seeing someone who looked like her was a lie made up by Zhong Pingliang. Yao Yao sis, how can I blame you? I know that you miss your mother. At this time it's hard for you to think straight. Yushu didn't blame Yushu. Instead, she smiled and comforted Yushu. So, you know everything? Mengyao looked at Yushu in surprise. But she couldn't see Yushu's expression in the dark. Of course we're best friends. We grew up together. I know you better than Zhong Pingliang, right? Yushu sighed. I wouldn't have followed you here if I knew this. I could have thought of a way to save you outside. Now no one knows that we came out with Zhong Pingliang. Mengyao nodded. Shu, it's good that you don't blame me. I thought you didn't know anything. Alright, why do you think Zhong Pingliang locked us up here? With Yushu's understanding, Mengyao wasn't that afraid anymore. She calmed down. Especially after knowing that there was no one else in the stone room, Mengyao wasn't nervous anymore. I don't know either. Pingliang shouldn't have the guts to do something like that. Isn't he always so obedient in front of Yao Yao? Yushu couldn't understand why Pingliang would suddenly do something like that. Well, I don't know. It can't be that I kept rejecting him so he got angry and wanted to kill me, right? Mengyao was startled. It was a little unbelievable, but it wasn't impossible. Wasn't there a lot of similar news on the internet? Mengyao had laughed it off at the time, but now that she thought about it, she couldn't help but feel a chill run down her spine. Oh, no way. Then wouldn't I be in trouble too? Yushu said weakly, Yao Yao, I haven't lived long enough yet. Yushu didn't look scared at all, but her tone was a little funny, making Mengyao chuckle out loud. Who's tired of living? Hey sister Yao Yao, do you think we're going to die here? I don't have a boyfriend yet, it's such a waste. My best years have just started. Yushu said with a sad face. You're still thinking about these things in a situation like this? Are you horny? Mengyao was pissed. Why are you thinking about these things instead of how to escape? Escape? This is a security door. It wouldn't be called a security door if it could be opened so easily. Besides, we don't have tools or keys, how are we supposed to escape? Yushu said with a smile. We're going to die anyway, Yao Yao, let's talk for a while? Mengyao was in a rush to escape, but after hearing Yushu's words, she felt that it made sense. If a security door could be opened so easily, it wouldn't be called a security door at all. Thinking about it was a waste of energy, she could only settle down. But she was a little annoyed at Yushu's thoughtlessness. You can still laugh at a time like this? Should I cry if I don't laugh? Even if I'm going to die, I can't die from depression. Yushu didn't care at all. Yao Yao, let's talk? Mengyao was startled, but after hearing Yushu's words she felt a lot better. Yushu was right, even if they were going to die they couldn't die from depression, right? They might as well wait for death happily. Besides, they might not die from it. Okay, then what do you want to talk about? Mengyao asked. Let's talk from the bottom of our hearts? Yushu held Mengyao's hand. Yao, we haven't talked from the bottom of our hearts for a long time. In the past, we didn't have any secrets between us. What do you mean no secrets? Didn't I get tricked by you to tell you everything? Mengyao was angry when Yushu mentioned this. Her best friend looked dumb, but in fact she was very smart. She often tricked her out of her heart, but Yushu didn't. Hee, we're going to die anyway, it's fine to talk now. Yushu laughed dryly. Yao, what do you think of Shield Bro? Linny? Why do you like him? Mengyao asked. Yao, we're going to die and you're still like this? What's the point? I know you like Shield Bro too, right? Yushu blinked her eyes but remembered that Mengyao couldn't see. She wasted her eyes. Do you like him too? Mengyao caught on to Yushu's mistake. If you like him, then I have to like him. I'm a small wife for the rest of my life anyway. Yushu said matter-of-factly. I don't know if I like him or not. Mengyao sighed. This was the first time she seriously discussed Lin Yi with Yushu. Because I don't know what it means to like someone. Oh, I don't know either. I just think that Shield Bro is a good guy, not as boring as other guys. Yushu continued to lead Mengyao. Yeah, it's just that sometimes I think he's annoying, but sometimes I'm worried about him. Mengyao wasn't sure if she was talking to Yushu or just herself. That guy's so annoying, he still wants to go to Tangyun when he has us two beauties at home. Yao, are you jealous? Yushu asked. I don't know, but I don't feel comfortable seeing him with Tangyun. Mengyao shook her head. Oh, then do you like him? Yushu asked. Chapter 555. Am I going to die? Nope, I think Yao sis is the best. Yushu waved her fist. Don't worry Yao sis, I'll help you win back Shield Bro's heart. You're going to die soon, what's there to win back? Mengyao smiled. Shu, are you regretting that you didn't do something with Lin Yi? It's too late even if you die now, right? Nope, there'll be chances in the future anyway. Ugh. Yushu suddenly realized that she had let the cat out of the bag and quickly shut her mouth. Shu, what are you talking about? Mengyao was very smart. She could tell that something was wrong with Yushu. Are you hiding something from me? Actually, before I came, I sent Shield Bro a message telling him that we're at Mount Shuangyan. If he finds out that we're missing, he'll definitely come back to save us. Yushu saw that Mengyao had seen through her, so she couldn't hide it anymore. She stuck her tongue out and revealed her trump card. You stupid Shu, why didn't you say so earlier? You made me worry. You scared me to death. Mengyao was so angry that she jumped up and grabbed Yushu's neck. I'll strangle you. You knew that we could get out, but you pretended to be dead and told me so much. What do you mean? If I didn't say that, Yao sis wouldn't have told me that you like Shield Bro. Yushu smiled mischievously. Only a ghost would like him. Mengyao was furious. I was just lying to you. I knew that Lin Yi would definitely come to save us. I said that to trick you into admitting that you like Lin Yi. Oh Yao sis, you're angry now. Yushu waved her hands and ran away. Using the darkness, Mengyao couldn't find her. Come catch me. You can't catch me. I'll tear your mouth apart. Although Mengyao couldn't see, she could follow the sound to chase after Yushu. The two started playing hide and seek in the dark. After a while, both of them were tired, and Yushu surrendered. Yao, I'll stop, I give up. I like Shield Bro, alright? Let me go. Haha, you admit it, right? Mengyao said proudly. I'll tell Lin Yi what you said when we get out of here. So what? I've already confessed, la la la. Yushu said nonchalantly. Mengyao didn't really have a choice. Yushu had confessed to Lin Yi already, and there was no point in saying anything else. The two had been messing around for a long time, and they hadn't eaten anything for almost 5 hours. Yushu's stomach was growling. Yao, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I want to eat. Bear with it. Didn't you text Lin Yi? He'll probably save us after he receives it. Mengyao said. Oh. Yushu nodded, feeling wronged. But I'm so hungry and thirsty. Who told you to be so crazy? Mengyao was hungry and thirsty as well, but she had to bear with it. If she said the same thing, the two of them would starve to death. That's right, Yao sis, what was that bag we found just now? Could it be something delicious? Yushu asked suddenly. Maybe, but it might be poison left behind by Pinliang. If we eat it, we'll be committing suicide. Mengyao didn't think that the bag was food, but she couldn't understand why Pinliang would leave food behind after locking them up. It wasn't like he wanted her and Yushu to survive, because there was food and no water. It was fine if a person didn't eat, but if they didn't drink water, they'd die faster. So, Mengyao guessed that there might be poison in the bag and Pinliang left it behind on purpose so that they would commit suicide. This was also Pinliang's mistake. He thought too simply and didn't consider the problem of water. He thought that Mengyao and the others could survive as long as there was food. Oh, then I won't eat. Yushu was shocked and quickly gave up on the idea. But I still want to drink water and eat. Alright Shu, let's sleep for a while. You won't be hungry or thirsty if you sleep. Mengyao was also hungry and thirsty, but she had to act like an older sister. She comforted Yushu. Didn't you say that Lin Yi would definitely come to save us? Oh? Okay then. Yushu closed her eyes. Mengyao sighed softly. It must be night now because there was no light from the peephole of the door. Mengyao remembered clearly that the door faced the entrance of the cave. If it was daytime outside, they would be able to see the scene outside. Time passed and the two girls snuggled against each other. Mengyao could hear Yushu's even breathing, and she knew that Yushu had fallen asleep. Mengyao was tired as well, so she fell asleep as well. When the two woke up again, there was a sliver of light coming from the peephole. It was daytime outside the cave. Of course, the two of them were not awakened by this weak light. Instead, they were awakened by a parched throat. They hadn't drunk a drop of water for more than 10 hours, and both of them were extremely thirsty. Yushu didn't feel hungry anymore. She just felt thirsty and wanted to drink water. Yao Yao, I'm thirsty, I really want to drink water. Yushu said with a hoarse voice, struggling to speak. Shu, be a good girl. Just bear with it. Mengyao patted Yushu's back and said firmly, Lin Yi will definitely come to save us. Oh? Are you sure? Yushu didn't have much confidence now. She thought that Lin Yi would come soon, but it had been a night and Lin Yi wasn't here yet. She didn't know what time it was, but it must be the next day. And if he doesn't come, I'll fire him. Mengyao comforted. Yushu wanted to say that if he didn't come, how could she fire him? But in her heart, she hoped that Lin Yi would come. He was her last hope, and she didn't want her hope to be destroyed. Yao Yao, am I going to die? Why do I feel so weak? I just woke up and I want to sleep again? Yushu struggled to hold Mengyao's hand. No, you're just too hungry, that's why you don't have any energy. Mengyao shook her head. Oh, then I'll sleep a bit more. Yushu closed her eyes, but she couldn't fall asleep. Her stomach was growling and her throat felt like smoke was coming out. Chapter 556. Chapter 556, Brave Yushu, Yao Yao sis, what's the first thing you want to do when you get out? Yushu couldn't fall asleep and started talking again. I don't know, but I know that if you talk, you'll get thirstier. Mengyao reminded, you better shut your mouth. Yao Yao sis, my lips are cracked, do you have lipstick? Yushu was still talking. No. Mengyao said, I told you not to talk, why didn't you listen? Only then did Yushu shut her mouth. The two of them went to sleep, got hungry and woke up. The jet lag was messy as well, and when they opened their eyes again, the light from the peephole was gone. It was night already. Yao Yao sis, I'm really going to die. Do you think Shield Bro didn't get the message? Yushu was in despair. No, he definitely can. Mengyao was also panicking, but she still forced herself to be calm. No, I know we're going to die. Yao Yao sis, I can't hold on anymore. Yushu closed her eyes. Shu, be good, Lin Yi will definitely come, Mengyao comforted guiltily. If he comes, ask him to carry my body back, I don't want my body to be exposed in the wild. Yushu murmured. Mengyao was speechless. Shu, don't talk nonsense. If he doesn't mind, he can rub it on my corpse. I'll have a taste of what it's like to be a woman. Yushu was visibly dizzy from starvation, and her words weren't coherent at all. Lin Yi didn't ask Faubert to drive the car to Mount Shuangyan. Instead, he went back to the villa and brought General Wei Wu over. Seeing General Wei Wu, Peng Zhan and Faubert's eyes were filled with admiration. They didn't think of using this method before. Lin Yi was more meticulous. At the foot of Mount Shuangyan, Lin Yi and Faubert got off the car and started walking up the mountain. Even Peng Zhan followed. Lin Yi didn't think that Pinliang would lock them up in the resort. If they were in the resort, there was no way they wouldn't call for help. Even if they were tied up and had cotton stuffed in their mouths, the cleaning staff would still barge in. It was too dangerous. As long as Pinliang wasn't an idiot, he wouldn't do something so stupid. And so, Lin Yi shifted his attention to other places, leaving Peng Zhan and Faubert to search the resort. Lin Yi, on the other hand, continued up the mountain. Standing at the fork in the mountain, Lin Yi stopped. There were quite a lot of tourists going up the mountain, but there shouldn't be too many people going in the direction of the fork. Although the mountain was a scenic area, it was inevitable that there would be some grass crawlers, grass snakes, and the like. Especially in the summer, no one would go to such a dangerous place for no reason. Linny bent down and looked at the marks on the grass. It should be someone walked by recently, and after careful observation, it shouldn't be just one person. Linny placed General Weiwu on the ground. General Weiwu had been scared quite a bit along the way. It didn't know why Linny was carrying it. Was he going to kill it? It wanted to run, but it couldn't outrun Linny. It could only tremble and wait for what was about to happen. But now, as soon as Linny placed it on the ground, it could smell Meng Yao's scent. From its perspective, Linny was still very afraid of Meng Yao. As long as it found Meng Yao and asked for her protection, then Linny wouldn't be able to do anything to it. And so, without Linny doing anything, General Weiwu started searching for Meng Yao's scent. It went all the way to the entrance of the cave in front of the anti-theft door, but General Weiwu still couldn't find Meng Yao. He was at his wit's end. But General Weiwu didn't recognize the anti-theft door, but Linny did. The moment he saw the anti-theft door, he immediately knew that this must be the place where Meng Yao and Yushu were imprisoned. And Lin Yi's hearing was very good. The moment he entered the cave, he heard Yushu's mumbling, and he almost fell to the ground. Lin Yi's head was full of black lines. Yushu's idea was really something. He didn't have any perverted hobbies. Running to her corpse to have sex? Lin Yi coughed dryly and knocked on the anti-theft door. Yao Yao Shu. Oh Yao Yao sis, I'm really going to die. I'm hallucinating. I think I heard Shield Bro's voice, Yushu said in a daze. Linny? Is that you? Although Meng Yao was hungry and thirsty, her mind was very clear. She immediately shouted when she heard Lin Yi's voice. She was like a person who saw the light in the dark. She suddenly felt relaxed and excited. Shu, your Shield Bro is here to save you. Ugh. Yao Yao sis, you're lying. I'm hallucinating. Yushu said and suddenly sat up. Really? I'm not hallucinating? Linny looked at the anti-theft door. There was no one else around, and he didn't care about revealing his strength anymore. He raised his leg and kicked the anti-theft door, and Linny held back a lot of strength. He was afraid that the door would be sent flying and hurt the two girls. Yushu finally woke up from her stupor when she heard the loud bang. Shield Bro? It's me. Linny kicked a few more times, and the anti-theft door was completely destroyed. He walked into the cave. Are you guys okay? Wah. Meng Yao cried tears of joy. She didn't know how she got through this. Although she was scared, she knew that if she gave up, Yushu wouldn't be able to hold on anymore. So she gritted her teeth and held on. When Linny came, she finally couldn't hold it anymore and vented her feelings. I'm sorry I'm late. Linny held Meng Yao's hand and gently patted her back. Don't cry, let's go home now. Suddenly Yushu grabbed Lin Yi's arm and bit down on it. What are you doing? Linny stared at Yushu in pain. Oh, it's not a dream, I thought it was a dream. Shield Bro, you really came. Yushu's listlessness disappeared, and her excited face regained some color. I'm not here, I'm scared of having sex with corpses. Yushu's bite hurt and Linny was pissed off. Why didn't this girl bite herself? Was she using him as a guinea pig? He couldn't help but expose her. Yushu froze and her eyes widened. You heard it? Only if I'm deaf. Linny was speechless. Meng Yao, on the other hand, started laughing out loud. This Shu really knew how to make a fool out of herself. Linny even heard what she said. How embarrassing. Chapter 557. Help you take revenge. Meng Yao and Yushu remembered that Pengzhan and Falbert must be panicking after being away for a whole day. They quickly stood up. Yushu, on the other hand, was feeling a little dizzy the moment she stood up. She'd been very excited just a moment ago. Linny jumped in fright and quickly supported Yushu. Carry her. Her body isn't as good as mine, Meng Yao said to Linny. Can you? Linny saw that Meng Yao was also a little unstable. After all, who wouldn't be able to stand after a whole day without food? Yeah. Meng Yao nodded. She wasn't standing too stably either, but she was still stronger than Yushu. Let's go together. Linny carried Yushu with both hands and said to Meng Yao. Together? Meng Yao's eyes widened. Lin Yi, on the other hand, squatted down and hugged Yushu before stretching out his arms. You come up too. You? Can you do it? Meng Yao looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Usually, it was already very good to carry a person down the mountain. After all, the mountain path wasn't easy to walk on. But Lin Yi wanted to carry too? Wasn't he too strong? He can even kick down the security door. What do you think? Lin Yi wanted to say that it was dangerous to say that he couldn't do it in front of a man, but Meng Yao didn't mean it. Meng Yao was really tired. After a moment of hesitation, she remembered that Lin Yi was strong enough to kick down the security door. She fell on Lin Yi's arms. Lin Yi walked out of the cave with the two misses in his arms. He remembered that he didn't call Peng Zhan in a hurry. But now that his arms were occupied, he couldn't make a phone call. However, when he was going down the mountain, he saw Peng Zhan and Faubert at the entrance of the resort. The two had just come out of the resort, and it was obvious that they didn't get anything. They looked up and were overjoyed to see Lin Yi carrying two people. Yao Shu. Peng Zhan ran over in a few steps, completely losing his composure as a chairman. At this moment, he was just a father worried about his daughter's safety. It's okay. Maybe they're too tired. They fell asleep. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He didn't expect the two to fall asleep so quickly, but the smiles on their faces told him that they were sleeping soundly. Mengyao and Yushu, knowing that they'd been saved, were no longer as worried as before. All they wanted was a good rest. Faubert wanted to help Lin Yi, but he didn't want to wake up Mengyao and Yushu. He smiled apologetically. Peng Zhan, on the other hand, rubbed his hands in excitement. He found his daughter, and it seemed like she wasn't hurt. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to sleep so peacefully. When they got on the car at the foot of the mountain, Lin Yi had to put the two down. Mengyao and Yushu, on the other hand, had slept for quite a while. They were just a little tired. They woke up and rubbed their eyes. When Mengyao saw her father, she couldn't help but jump into Peng Zhan's arms. Dad. Pinliang, that bastard locked us up. You have to avenge me. Don't worry, Yao. It's okay. Peng Zhan sighed. It was the first time his daughter had suffered so much in her life. Mengyao had someone to talk to, but Yushu didn't. She looked at Mengyao, who was in Peng Zhan's arms, and turned to Lin Yi. She jumped into Lin Yi's arms. Shield bro, you have to avenge us. Yushu only wanted comfort. She didn't have any other intentions. She just hugged Lin Yi. Lin Yi patted Yushu's shoulder. Even without Yushu, Lin Yi wouldn't let Pinliang go. It was just that he had to do it in a roundabout way. Since Peng Zhan didn't want to add to the conflict, Lin Yi planned to shift the conflict to someone else. After returning to the villa, Lin Yi comforted Mengyao and Yushu for a while before going back to his room. He still had to deal with Pinliang. He used his computer to extract a part of the recording and called Jianghu. Jianghu picked up quickly. Lil bro Lin Yi? Jianghu didn't expect Lin Yi to call him on his own. He gave Lin Yi some money, but he wasn't sure if Lin Yi would help him find Mingyao's information. From Jianghu's point of view, Lin Yi wasn't someone easy to get along with. And bro, it's me. Lin Yi said. Do you have time now? Now. What's up? Jianghu was drinking with Taizao outside. He didn't know why Lin Yi was calling him. And bro, I didn't disappoint you. After a lot of hard work, I finally found some information about Mengyao at school. It's about her pursuers. Lin Yi said. Is it about Mengyao? I have time, where are you? I'll come pick you up right now and we'll talk face to face. Jianghu's interest was piqued immediately upon hearing that it was about Mengyao. He didn't have anything to do right now. Even if he did, he'd push it off first. I'm at Mingyao's villa. Come over then. I'll wait for you. Lin Yi said. Okay, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Jianghu said immediately. Mengyao and Yushu were back to normal by the time he walked out of the room. The two of them were stuffing themselves in the dining room, and it seemed like they were starving. I'll go out for a bit. I'll help you guys get revenge. Lin Yi smiled. The two girls looked really cute now. Okay. Yushu's mouth was full of food. She waved her fist excitedly when she heard Lin Yi's words. Mengyao didn't say anything. She only looked at Lin Yi. Be careful. Lin Yi wasn't used to the Mrs. Gentleness. He paused for a moment before nodding. Peng Zhan didn't know what Lin Yi was going to do, but Lin Yi promised not to drag Peng Zhan Industries into this. Where are you going? Do you want Faubert to send you? Peng Zhan asked. No need. There's someone here to pick me up. Lin Yi smiled. Lin Yi's words surprised everyone in the living room. There was someone here to pick Lin Yi up? Lin Yi smiled and walked out of the villa. Jianghu's car was already there. He got out immediately when he saw Lin Yi. Lin Yi bro, get in. Chapter 558. Chapter 558, Revenge comes. Of course, Lin Yi bro, I know about your hard work. Don't worry, I won't let you do it for nothing. Tell me what's the matter. Jianghu asked impatiently. And bro, listen to this recording first. Lin Yi handed the recording pen to Jianghu. Jianghu quickly took the recorder and pressed the play button, listening attentively. It wasn't long before his face turned ugly. He started cursing right in front of Lin Yi. Motherfucker, who the fuck is this bastard? I'll kill him if he dares to make me a cuckold. And bro, don't worry. I've already saved Yao. He didn't get what he wanted. He's just trying to blackmail Uncle Chu. Lin Yi told Jianghu his analysis. He had to make Jiang Wen feel at ease. Otherwise, Jiang Wen would think that Meng Yao was a second-hand good. What if he gave up on her? This would give him the confidence to take care of Meng Yao's love rival. Linny bro, you came at the right time. I can't thank you enough. If it weren't for you, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Don't worry, I won't mistreat you. Jiang Wen patted Lin Yi's shoulder emotionally. At this moment he was sure that after Lin Yi accepted his payment last time, he didn't hold any grudges against him anymore. Lin Yi was sincerely helping him. Jiang Wen couldn't be blamed for thinking this way. After all, Lin Yi was only Meng Yao's bodyguard. He had a girlfriend as well. There was no conflict of interest between them. He even gave Lin Yi a huge sum of money. Why wouldn't Lin Yi do his best to help him? Sigh, but in bro, Meng Yao's love rival needs to be taught a lesson. I can't guarantee that I'll be so lucky next time. Lin Yi reminded. If you don't tell me, I'll kill him. How dare he touch Yao Yao? He must be tired of living. Jiang Wen smiled coldly. What's his name? If you tell me, I'll kill him tomorrow. His name is Zhong Pingliang. I have his photo here, I'll send it to you with my phone, Lin Yi said as he sent the photo to Jiang Wen. Lin Yi, my old brother, originally I wanted to invite you to have dinner, but this kind of thing happened. You should also protect Yao Yao in the villa. Jiang Wen said. I need to get ready to teach this Zhong Pingliang a lesson, so I'll be going back first. I'll treat you another day. There's no need for a meal, but as for the expenses, you see if it's... Lin Yi said with a smile. No problem. Jiang Wen was much more satisfied than last time. After all, Lin Yi had really helped him with something this time. The money wasn't wasted. I'll transfer another 1 million to you tomorrow, Jiang Wen said straightforwardly. Ah, thank you, and bro. Lin Yi smiled. He didn't reject the offer. 1 million wasn't much to him, but who wouldn't want more money from Jiang Wen? Peng Zhan stayed in the villa for the first time. The next day, Meng Yao and Yushu stayed at home to rest. They didn't go to school. In fact, Lin Yi planned to let Jiang Wen deal with Zhong Pingliang first before letting them show themselves. As usual, Pingliang took a taxi to school. He didn't show it on his face, but he was panicking on the inside. Why hadn't Peng Zhan contacted him in 2 days? Did he agree or not? He had to say something at least, right? After getting off the taxi, Pingliang was about to walk into school when 4 bulky men stopped him. One of them asked, You're Zhong Pingliang, right? What do you want? Pingliang jumped. He didn't know what they wanted from him, but it was obvious that it wasn't anything good. He wanted to run away subconsciously. However, the 4 of them surrounded him from all sides. He had nowhere to run. The man who asked the question compared the photo in his hand and nodded to the others. Without a word, they grabbed Pingliang and dragged him into a van not far away. Jiang Wen sat in the front passenger seat and watched Pingliang get caught. He said fiercely, How dare he touch Meng Yao? He'll be arrogant if I don't teach him a lesson. I'll cut off your kidney and see if you can still be so cocky. Behind a garbage disposal station in the western suburbs of Songshan, Pingliang was pushed into a basement by 4 bulky men. The basement was filled with the smell of disinfectant, and Pingliang couldn't help but sneeze. Who are you people? What do you want with me? Do you know who my father is? Zhong Fabai. Let me go if you know what's good for you, or I'll make you pay. Pingliang yelled, trying to put up a strong front. Fuck. What are you yelling for? Do you want to die? A tattooed man walked over and slapped Pingliang's face. How dare you yell in here? You must be crazy. You. Pingliang was shocked and angry, but he didn't dare to provoke the tattooed man too much. This guy looked like a gangster. Although his father was also a gangster, he was like a tiger that was bullied by dogs. Who knew if these people wanted to kill him or not? Bring him in first and check his body. The tattooed man waved his hand to the 4 bulky men, and they brought Pingliang into a room. The tattooed man turned and walked into another room. Jiang Wen was sitting inside, playing with a sharp scalpel with a dark expression. Bro, do you want to do it yourself? The tattooed man asked respectfully. Yes, I'll do the first cut later. Inject him with the anesthetic that can make him feel but can't move. I want him to remember this lesson. Let's see if he dares to touch my woman again. Jiang Wen said coldly. Bro, he just said his father's name is something like Zhong Fabai. The tattooed man said carefully. Zhong Fabai? What does he do? Jiang Wen asked. He's a gangster in this city. He owns a casino and a hotel. The tattooed man introduced Fabai's background. What the hell is this? Do you even need to mention this kind of person? Jiang Wen lost interest immediately after hearing that it was just a gangster. He waved his hand impatiently and said, Hurry up and do it. Yes. The tattooed man saw that Jiang Wen didn't care about Fabai's background at all, so he didn't say anything else. He turned around and went to make the arrangements. Chapter 559. You better remember this. Unfortunately, he still had his senses and consciousness. He could still see the people in front of him and hear their words. However, he couldn't move or speak. His eyes stared blankly. It took him a lot of effort to even move his eyes. He wanted to call for help, but he couldn't. After a while, Pinliang was pushed onto the operating table. He was terrified. He wanted to scream and resist, but he couldn't. He was conscious. His body wasn't controlled by his brain. When bro, it's ready. You can use the scalpel now. The tattooed man said respectfully to Jianghu. Jianghu entered the operating room with the scalpel in his hand. He looked at Pinliang on the operating table. His eyes flashed with hatred. How dare you steal my woman in Songshan? I'll teach you a lesson. You won't know your place if I don't teach you a lesson. How do I do it? Jianghu walked over and raised the scalpel, ready to start. Pinliang's eyes were filled with fear. He didn't know what the person in front of him was going to do. Did he want to kill him? How did he offend such a powerful person? He wanted to call for help, but he couldn't. He wanted to close his eyes, but he couldn't control his eyelids. When bro, you just need to make a cut here. It's about this long? A doctor wearing a mask explained to Jianghu. Got it? Jianghu nodded. From his point of view, it didn't matter if the wound was bigger. It was just a few stitches. As for whether Pinliang was in pain or not, the more the better. The doctor was a cold-blooded killer. He wasn't nervous at all. He wasn't worried that Jianghu would kill him. After all, there were at least 8 to 10 people who died on the operating table. Fuck. You better remember this. There are some people you can't touch. If you dare touch Mengyao again, I'll kill you. Jianghu glared at Pinliang. I'll cut off one of your kidneys to teach you a lesson. Next time I'll cut off your head. Pinliang finally understood that the person in front of him was here to avenge Mengyao. But since when did Mengyao know someone like this? Was he sent by Pingzhan? Pinliang wanted to shout, "Don't you dare!" However, this was only his fantasy. He couldn't speak at all. Swoosh. Jianghu ignored Pinliang, not even bothering to listen to his explanation. He used the scalpel and opened up a large wound on Pinliang's body. Pinliang's face twitched in pain, but there was nothing he could do. Don't forget about it. With that, Jianghu tossed the scalpel to the side and walked out of the surgery room. Mengyao, don't even think about it anymore. With that, Jianghu threw the scalpel to the side and walked out of the surgery room. He wanted to stab Pinliang a few more times, but he was afraid that he'd damage his kidneys. A kidney could be sold for hundreds of thousands. That was money. The operation without anesthesia was already painful enough. If the kidney was removed without anesthesia, Pinliang would definitely die. After Jianghu left, the doctor gave Jianghu anesthetics and soon Pinliang lost consciousness. The doctor's movements were swift and precise. He cut off one of Pinliang's kidneys and had the tattooed man dump him at the entrance of Songshan's first hospital before leaving. If it wasn't for the fact that he didn't want the situation to get out of hand, Jianghu would have killed Pinliang directly. Fabai received a call from the hospital and heard that his son's kidney was cut off. He was furious and rushed to the hospital. His son was already awake on the bed. Fabai was shocked and angry at the same time. In Songshan there was someone who dared to do this to his son. Did they want to die? Pinliang saw that his father was here and started bawling. Losing one of his kidneys for no reason was a disaster from the heavens. He knew that a person's health would be affected after losing his kidney. It was hard to say if he could still be a normal man in the future. He felt so wronged. Most importantly, he didn't know who did it. Dad, you have to avenge me. I lost a kidney for no reason. I'm so unlucky. Zhong Pinliang started sobbing. Who did it? Fuck, if I find out, I'll kill his whole family. Fabai was furious. Pinliang was his only son. How could he not be angry? I don't know. They pushed me to the operating table, gave me anesthetics, and cut off my kidney. Pinliang cried, but the person who did the surgery said it was because of Mengyao. He told me to stay away from her. Oh? Mengyao? Fabai was stunned. Could it be Pengzhan? No, even if you were chasing after his daughter, he wouldn't cut off one of your kidneys, right? I think it must be. Even if it wasn't, it must have something to do with him. Pinliang wanted to keep it a secret, but after some hesitation he decided to tell his father what he'd done earlier. Fabai's face turned ugly. Pinliang was too bold, wasn't he? He dared to kidnap Mengyao? He even dared to threaten Pengzhan? When Fabai heard that it was Pengzhan who did it, he wanted to take revenge. But after listening to Pinliang's explanation, he fell into silence. After all, he was the one in the wrong. It was reasonable for Pengzhan to take revenge. But this revenge was a little too cruel. It would be fine if it was just a beating and a broken leg, but it was a kidney that was cut off. Although he had made friends with Master Bing these few days, Fabai was no match for Peng Zhan with his own strength. Now he could only discuss with Zihua and see if he could help him. After all, he was working for Zihua. He couldn't just ignore his son's kidney being cut off, could he? And so, Fabai left Pin Liang in the hospital. In order to comfort his son, he told him to focus on the treatment. Losing a kidney was nothing. At least he wouldn't die. Pin Liang naturally knew that losing a kidney wouldn't kill him, but he couldn't lose it for nothing. His body wouldn't be as strong as before, and he wouldn't even have the strength to pick up girls. This made Pin Liang sad, but there was no point in being sad. Revenge was the most important thing now. Fabai and Zihua were in the honeymoon stage, so when Fabai called to ask for a meeting, Zihua gladly agreed. The location was set at the Floating Cloud Bar. "Bro Zhong, why are you looking for me so early in the morning?" Zihua stood up to welcome Fabai when he came to the bar. This was already giving Fabai enough face. Chapter 560. Chapter 560, Trouble at Kang Xiaobo's house. "Zihua bro, is Master Bing here?" Fabai was relieved to see Zihua's enthusiasm. It seemed like there was still hope for him. "Master Bing fought with 3 girls until midnight last night. He hasn't woken up yet," Zihua said casually. Fabai was considered one of his own now, so Zihua didn't hide anything. "Hee, Master Bing is really something. We're no match for this kind of combat power." Zhong Fabai gave a thumbs up and complimented without showing any emotion. "Of course, who is Master Bing?" Zihua smiled faintly. "Bro Zhong, do you need something from him?" "I don't need to trouble Master Bing with my matters. Zihua bro can help me." Fabai flattered. "What is it? Tell me." Zihua didn't let Fabai's flattery get to his head. He asked directly. "Zihua bro, this time, Peng Zhan's really messing with my head. You have to get justice for me." Fabai sat in front of Zihua and said sternly, "I'm Master Bing's man now. As the saying goes, you have to look at the master before you hit the dog. He's gone too far." Fabai's face darkened. "What happened to Peng Zhan?" Zihua asked faintly. "My son, Pin Liang, was only chasing after his daughter, Meng Yao, but Peng Zhan cut off one of his kidneys. Wasn't Peng Zhan being too ruthless? He doesn't even put Zihua bro and Master Bing in his eyes." Fabai said angrily. "Wait, what did you say? Cut off one of his kidneys?" Zihua froze. If it was something else, it might be possible to say that Peng Zhan did it, but cutting off a kidney? Wasn't that a little too much? Moreover, Fabai's words reminded Zihua of another person. "Are you sure it's Peng Zhan?" "Oh, I don't have proof yet, but it's definitely him." Fabai cried. "My son said that the person who cut off his kidney warned him to stay away from Peng Zhan, or else he would kill him. This must be Peng Zhan's doing." "I see." Zihua nodded. "All right, you can go back first. I'll discuss this with Master Bing when he wakes up." Zihua was a tactful man. Naturally, he wouldn't promise Zhong Fabai anything directly, even if Zhong Fabai was one of them now. "Zihua bro, you can't just ignore this. Peng Zhan has gone too far this time." Fabai saw that Zihua's attitude was neither warm nor cold, and he didn't express whether he was going to help or not. He wouldn't be a match for Peng Zhan if Zihua didn't do anything. "I understand. If this is really Peng Zhan's doing, Master Bing will definitely help you," Zihua said faintly, implying that there was nothing he could do if it had nothing to do with Peng Zhan. Master Bing had been eyeing Peng Zhan's property for a long time. Even without Fabai, Master Bing would still want to deal with Peng Zhan. He might as well do Peng Zhan a favor. "All right, I'll go back and wait for Master Bing and Zihua bro's good news." Fabai knew that there was no point in saying anything now. He had to wait for Master Bing to wake up first. Something big had happened in Kang Xiaobo's house recently. Someone had come to cause trouble in their tea house. Kang Xiaobo had wanted to look for Lin Yi, but Lin Yi had gone to Yanjing. He didn't know if he was back yet, and Kang Xiaobo didn't want to disturb Lin Yi. He could only deal with it himself. Kung Fu was an intellectual. He had always been doing his business honestly, and his business was quite good. So even if Kang Xiaobo's family wasn't rich, they were at least moderately well off. However, this tranquility was broken. Ever since a month ago, Kang Xiaobo's tea house opened a leisure club opposite their tea house. House Kang's tea house hadn't been peaceful for a long time. House Kang's tea house had been open for many years, and it was considered an old brand in this area. There were quite a lot of customers, and naturally, the new tea house didn't have as many customers as Kang Xiaobo's tea house. The owner of the tea house, Zhang Baji, got some gangsters to harass House Kang's tea house every day, making it hard for the tea house to continue doing business. Although House Kang's tea house was an old brand, it couldn't handle a group of red-haired, green-haired, and yellow-haired people making noise in the tea house every day. The tea house was an elegant place, and most of the people who went there were couples and businessmen. Who could stand these gangsters playing cards and gambling inside? But unfortunately, although these gangsters were making noise in the tea house, they didn't do anything else. Even if Kung Fu wanted to call the police, he couldn't do anything about it. They were customers and they came here to drink tea. It was just a pot of tea for a day. As for playing cards, the tea house originally provided free chess and card services. It was just that these people played too intensely, and their voices were a little too loud. To put it bluntly, they were customers. Don't care what they did, they were here to spend money. Therefore, even though Kung Fu knew that he had offended someone, he didn't have any temper. Seeing that the tea house's profits were declining day by day, Kung Fu couldn't do anything about it. The money these gangsters spent on tea wasn't even enough to cover their daily expenses. After a month, Kung Fu really couldn't take it anymore. He wanted to change the situation, but he didn't expect the other party to come looking for him. However, Zhang Baji didn't come alone. The person who came with him was a big shot in Songshan. Kung Fu also heard of this big shot's name. Seeing that he came with Zhang Baji, he knew what happened to his tea house previously. President Kong, we're in the same industry. Although we haven't met before, I've heard a lot about you. Zhang Baji came in and greeted Kung Fu enthusiastically. Come, let me introduce you to a friend. This is President Zhou from Tiandi Entertainment Company. This is his eldest son Zhou Ruoguang from our North District. If President Kong has any trouble in the future, you can look for him. We're iron friends. As he said that, Zhang Baji gave a thumbs up. Kung Fu couldn't help but frown. Isn't this an obvious threat? However, facing these people, Kung Fu didn't have any temper at all. He wasn't a kid anymore. He knew the rules of society. They were powerful and it was obvious that they were bullying him. What could he do to them? President Zhou, President Zhang, may I know why the two of you are here? Are you here to drink tea or to compare notes on business? Although Kung Fu was annoyed, he knew that he couldn't afford to offend these people, so he spoke in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Chapter 561. Forced buying and selling. A trace of anger flashed in Mr. Kang's eyes, but he knew very well what would happen to him if he went against these people. At this moment he could only swallow his anger and smile apologetically. Brother Zhou, don't be angry, I didn't mean that. Bro? What bro? How am I small? You motherfucker, are you looking down on people? Zhou Ruoguang slapped Mr. Kang's face with a paw sound, and 5 red marks appeared on his face directly. Kang Mu heard the commotion and ran out. She was furious when she saw her man getting slapped. Who are you? Why are you causing trouble here? Kung Fu jumped when he saw Kang Mu. He quickly gave her a look. These people were not people he could mess with. He introduced them with a smile. This is Mr. Zhang, this is Mr. Zhou, and this is Brother Zhou. Kung Fu didn't dare call Zhou Ruoguang little bro Zhou anymore. He could only call him Brother Zhou. Although it was infuriating to call someone younger than him and not much older than his son, he couldn't do anything about it. Old Kong, what are you doing? They're here to cause trouble, aren't they? Call the police. I don't believe they're more powerful than the police. Kang Mu panicked when she saw Kung Fu being so submissive. Ha 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 ha. Zhou Qiandi laughed. Call the police? Of course. I'd like to see what the police can do to me. We're customers here to drink tea. You hit people. Kang Mu pointed at Zhou Ruoguang. Hit people. Did you? Did you see that? Old man, did I hit you? Zhou Ruoguang glared at Kung Fu. No. Kung Fu knew that these hooligans couldn't do anything to them even if they called the police. They didn't do anything to them. They only slapped them. It wasn't even a security issue. But when the police leave, you'll be in trouble. They'll come and harass you every day. Kang Mu was stunned. She immediately realized that these people in front of her were not ordinary people who came to drink tea. If her man was afraid of them to this extent, they must have a strong background. However, she did not know the identity of these people, so she looked at Kung Fu with some doubts. Kung Fu sighed and walked over, whispering, Mr. Zhang is the owner of the level 8 tea house across the street, Mr. Zhou is Tiandi Entertainment CEO, and that blonde is Zhou Ruoguang, the leader of the North District's gangsters. We can't afford to mess with him. What? It's them? This time Kang Mu was shocked. Kang Mu knew about Zhang Baji's dirty tricks, but she didn't expect his backer to be so powerful. Zhang Baji, Zhou Qiandi, and Zhou Ruoguang naturally saw Kang Mu's expression. They knew that Kung Fu had told her about their identities. Zhang Baji said proudly, Boss Kang, I heard that your tea house is about to be sold due to poor management? I'm interested in taking over. Let's have a chat? Sold? Kung Fu froze. He saw Zhang Baji's expression and knew what he was up to. Wasn't this the real-life version of forced buying and selling? Although he felt uncomfortable, Kung Fu knew that his tea house would lose money if he continued to run it like this. He might as well sell it. He nodded. That's what I mean. How much do you want to take over, Mr. Zhang? Well, I don't know how much it is. So bro, can you estimate it for me? Zhang Baji pretended to not know and looked at Zhou Qiandi. Kung Fu and Kong Mu's hearts went cold. Zhang Baji owned a tea house. Did he know how much it was? Who was he trying to fool? But Zhang Baji's attitude was obviously telling Zhou Qiandi to set the price so that he wouldn't dare to bargain. I think that the retail houses on this street are around 10,000 per square meter. The ones above and below you are around 200 square meters. I'll give you a fixed price. Round it up, 2 million, Zhou Qiandi said faintly. What? Kung Fu looked at Zhou Qiandi stunned. The retail houses on this street were indeed 10,000 per square meter, but that was the floor space. His tea house was 200 square meters, and the floor space was close to 300 square meters. That was at least 7 or 8 million, and that was just the price of the house. The decorations, the tea set, and the precious tea leaves were all worth at least 1 million. There was once someone who wanted to buy the tea house and offered 4 million to Kung Fu, but he didn't budge. Zhou Qiandi was willing to sell half of it at once? Ha Dad, this old thing is scared out of his wits by your price. I told you you're offering too much. This tea house is only worth 1 million at most. Zhou Ruoguang interrupted, Uncle Zhang runs a tea house, he knows the price. Am I right? If Master Zhou says it's worth, then it's worth it. Zhang Baji nodded and said, but since Zhou Bro has spoken, I can't just give that much. Let's go with 2 million. What do you think, Boss Kong? I have a title certificate for this house, and the floor space is 280 square meters. I'm still renovating. There was no way Kung Fu would sell the tea house for 2 million. He thought that if Zhang Baji offered 4 million yuan he would sell it. But 2 million yuan was too much of a difference. His family lived in a tea house, and if he sold the tea house he would have to buy a new house. Even if he didn't buy it in a good location in the city and bought it near Ningshi Road near the slums, it would still cost more than 8,000 per square meter. A house would cost more than 1 million. What was left with 2 million for a house? Would his family still be able to live? Who buys a house and renovates it? Zhou Ruoguang spoke again. Old man, are you stupid? Haven't you heard? The money spent on renovations is the compensation money. Who would buy a second-hand house and let you renovate it? Kung Fu was speechless from Zhou Ruoguang's words, but he didn't dare to refute. After all, Zhou Ruoguang was the leader of the gangsters, and he might start a fight if he wasn't careful. Kung Fu didn't dare to provoke him. I think it's settled. Since you said 280 square meters, then 280 it is. I'll give you 280,000. Zhang Baji's price was actually 4 million, but he asked someone to ask Kung Fu before, and he said that he wouldn't sell it for 4 million. Alright, since you won't sell it, then I can only think of a way to make you sell it. Zhang Baji naturally couldn't give Kung Fu 4 million because he had already given Zhou Qiandi 500,000 to settle this matter, and Zhou Qiandi promised to buy the tea house within 3 million. Chapter 562. Chapter 562. My boss is Lin Yi. Zhang Baji laughed coldly in his heart. What were you doing earlier? You refused to sell when I offered you 4 million and now you want to sell? But it was too late. The highest I can offer is 8 million. If you don't want to sell, then I can't do anything about it. You can sell it to someone else for 4 million, Zhang Baji said calmly. However, with the way your tea house is doing, I'm afraid no one will buy it. You. Kung Fu knew that Zhang Baji was threatening him. He was furious. He glared at Zhang Baji with bloodshot eyes. This wasn't a matter of cowering or being afraid. It was a matter of his family's future. Kung Fu was stubborn. You can't kill me if I don't want to sell, can you? Hence he said, don't bully an honest man. I don't want to provoke you, but that doesn't mean I'm afraid. Old man, did we bully you? Zhou Ruoguang looked at Kung Fu with interest. You don't want to sell, right? We'll come here every day to drink tea. When Kang Xiaobo returned to the tea house after school, he realized that the atmosphere wasn't right the moment he pushed the door open. When he heard that the person in front of him wanted to force his father to sell the tea house, he was furious. What were these people doing? Don't bully my dad. Kang Xiaobo ran over and stood in front of Kung Fu, glaring at Zhou Ruoguang, Zhou Qiandi and Zhang Baji. Why did this person look familiar? Kang Xiaobo was taken aback. Zhou Ruoguang and Zhou Qindi thought that Kang Xiaobo looked familiar as well, but they couldn't remember where they had seen him before. Kid, where are you from? There's nothing for you to do here. Go back to your room and do your homework. Zhou Ruoguang mocked. He didn't care about Kang Xiaobo at all. Kang Xiaobo wanted to look for Lin Yi, but Lin Yi had gone out. He had no choice but to step forward. He couldn't let these people bully his father, could he? Kang Xiaobo had been with Lin Yi recently, so he wasn't as cowardly as before. He felt that he was a responsible man. I'm with Boss Lin. Where are you from? Xiaobo knew that Lin Yi was strong, but that was only limited to within the school. He didn't know if he could scare these people. Xiaobo, stop fooling around. Go back to your room and read. When Mr. Kang saw his son coming back from school and confronting these people, he was immediately frightened. He was afraid that his son was young and impetuous and would cause some trouble. Lin? Which Boss Lin? Zhou Ruoguang paused. He was just trying to make fun of Kang Xiaobo. He didn't know that Kang Xiaobo would actually come up with a Boss Lin. But after thinking about it, he realized that there wasn't a Boss Lin among the more powerful people in Songshan. Lin Yi, Boss Lin. Kang Xiaobo forced himself to say. He added, he just came to Songshan recently and he's very powerful. I advise you not to mess with my boss. I'm his #1 follower. Wah. Ruoguang jumped up as if someone stepped on his tail the moment he heard Lin Yi's name. His face turned white as he turned to look at his old man Zhou Qindi in fear. Lin Yi's name is Ruoguang. Zhou Qindi was shocked as well. No way? Why was Lin Yi haunting her like a ghost? You can see his shadow everywhere you go? Why did he have a #1 follower? But Zhou Qindi was a man of his word, and he kept his composure. Was the kid talking nonsense? He quickly took out his phone and called his son, Zhou Ruoming. If Lin Yi had a follower, Zhou Ruoming should know. No matter what, he had to make sure that the kid wasn't bluffing. If Lin Yi didn't have a follower, Zhou Qindi would beat the hell out of Kang Xiaobo. Who told him to scare people? Zhou Qindi almost lost his mind when he heard Lin Yi's name. Hey Ruoming? Can I ask you something? Does Boss Lin Yi have a follower? Zhou Qindi didn't dare disrespect Lin Yi, so he called Lin Yi boss. He was afraid that the person in front of him had something to do with Lin Yi. Zhou Ruoming didn't know why his father was calling him, but he answered anyway. There's one Kang Xiaobo or something. He used to be a coward, but he got cocky after following Lin Yi. Kang? Zhou Qindi heard Kang Fu call him Xiaobo. This kid in front of him was, without a doubt, Lin Yi's follower. Zhou Qindi didn't know how he ended the call, but his face was filled with fear. In that moment he finally remembered where he'd seen this Kang Xiaobo before. It was at the hospital. It was at the hospital when he had a conflict with Lin Yi. This Kang Xiaobo was there. Motherfucker. Zhou Qindi turned around and kicked Zhang Baji in the chest, sending him sprawling on the ground. His head hit the foot of the table and blood flowed out. But Zhou Qindi wasn't satisfied yet. He went up and gave Zhang Baji a good kick. On the other side, Zhou Ruoguang also reacted. He went up to Zhang Baji and started to fight. Zhou bro, Master Zhou, why are you hitting me? Zhang Baji was confused. What was wrong with the Zhou father and son? Why did they suddenly go crazy? Hitting you? You almost fucking killed me. Motherfucker, didn't you hear me? This guy has something to do with Boss Lin Yi. How dare you do anything to him? Why didn't I kill you? Zhou Qindi was pissed. Weren't you trying to harm him? Lin Yi was already pissed off by what he'd done recently, and now he came to bully his follower. Wasn't he looking for death? A few days ago he bullied Tang Yun's brother's girlfriend and Zhou Qindi was worried. He didn't know if Lin Yi would come looking for trouble with him. He had just calmed down and now he provoked Lin Yi's follower. Why was he so lucky? What kind of bad luck did he have to encounter? This sudden turn of events caused the Kang family's people to be dumbfounded. Kang Fu and Kang Mu looked at the furious Zhou father and son in shock. What surprised them even more was that when their son mentioned Lin Yi's name, the Zhou father and son immediately turned around and started beating up Zhang Baji. However, Kang Xiaobo finally understood that these two knew Lin Yi. Not only did they know Lin Yi, but they were also afraid of Lin Yi. Otherwise they wouldn't be so angry. Zhou Qindi and Zhou Ruoguang only stopped when Zhang Baji almost fainted. It wasn't because they were afraid of crippling Zhang Baji, but because they were tired. Both of them were big brothers and fighting was usually done by their subordinates. They rarely fought long battles. The main purpose of their visit today was to scare Mr. Kang. They didn't expect to make a move. Chapter 563. Mystic Class Master. Misunderstanding? Who hit my dad? Kang Xiaobo was furious. He saw the 5 fingers on his father's face the moment he entered the room. Now was the chance for him to vent his anger. I, I hit him. Bro Kong, it's an accident. I'm sorry. Zhou Ruoguang had no choice but to step forward. Your dad calls me Bro Kong and you call me Bro Kong too? Your family's seniority is messy. Kong Xiaobo finally found a chance to vent his anger. These people were bullying him. He did not dare to do anything in the past. But now he was Lin Yi's #1 follower. He was also a powerful person. Uncle Kong, I'm sorry. Please slap me. I didn't mean it. It's an accident. Zhou Ruoguang was afraid of Lin Yi. When he heard that Kong Xiaobo was unhappy, he immediately changed his words. Dad, you should do it. Kong Xiaobo wanted his father to vent his anger. Kung Fu's emotions were complicated. He was surprised that his son's classmate was so powerful. Why were the Zhou's father and son so afraid of him? But no matter what, he was excited and happy. Zhou Ruoguang, who asked him to call him brother just a moment ago, was now his grandson, because he called his son uncle. However, Kung Fu was not a brute. He did not plan to let Zhou Ruoguang off. He said sarcastically, forget it. Brother Zhou said that he didn't mean it. I'm sorry, bro Zhou. I said it wrong again. It's not brother Zhou, it's brother Zhou. Huh. Zhou Ruoguang's face turned purple. I'm a bro. Isn't he mocking me? But after a moment's hesitation, he understood that Father Kong was really mocking him. Zhou Ruoguang was not stupid. He kneeled on the ground. Grandpa Kong, I'm not a bro. I'm a grandson in front of you. Was a child. Please don't lower yourself to a child's level. Ruoguang, since Bro Kong and Uncle Kong aren't doing anything, you can slap yourself. Qindi wanted to calm Kong Xiaobo down a little, so he decided to let him slap himself. Yes. After Zhou Ruoguang heard it, he slapped himself in the face with a clear and loud sound. Brother Kong, Uncle Kong, I'm sorry. I'll definitely give you an explanation. Don't worry, I will definitely make that 8th grade tea house disappear. If Zhou Qindi wanted to escape, he had to give House Kong an explanation. I was tricked by Zhang Baji, I won't forgive him. Kong Xiaobo didn't want them to stay either, so he sent them away after hearing Qindi's words. After Qindi left, Kung Fu and Kong Mu let out a sigh of relief. But they still dragged Kong Xiaobo along, asking him about Lin Yi. Kong Xiaobo didn't know much, so he could only pick out some things that happened in school. After 3 days of recovery, Lin Yi's strength had returned to the late phase of the golden class, but there was still some distance between him and the peak of the late phase of the golden class. In fact, on the second night, Lin Yi had already recovered to the late phase of the golden class, but on the third night he seemed to have stagnated. Lin Yi was a little depressed. On the fourth night, Lin Yi couldn't help but ask Jiao Yazi, Jiao Lao, why is the energy in my body not increasing? I don't know. Jiao Yazi's voice gave Lin Yi a rude awakening. No way? Lin Yi sweated. Well, our arts are different and I haven't practiced the art of dragon mastery before. I can only answer some common questions, but I don't know about your progress and physical condition after practicing the art of dragon mastery, Jiao Yazi said straightforwardly. Alright, I'll practice it myself. Lin Yi knew that Jiao Yazi was telling the truth. It seemed like he had to find his way forward. Lin Yi sat cross-legged in the jade space as usual, silently channeling the chant of the art of dragon mastery. The energy in his body was immediately mobilized, as if it was responding to Lin Yi's art of dragon mastery. The energy flowed into Lin Yi's body at an unbelievable speed, but Lin Yi could feel the energy being absorbed, and he could feel the instant the energy entered his body. But the total amount of energy in his body didn't increase. This was what made Lin Yi depressed and confused. If it was like before, when the energy was saturated to a certain extent, then it wouldn't increase. Because once the energy was saturated, it wouldn't be absorbed anymore. But this time the situation was different. Although Lin Yi felt that the energy in his body was no longer increasing, the energy outside his body was still surging into his body. Luckily, the energy in the jade space was sufficient, and it didn't cost money. Otherwise Lin Yi would die of heartache. The light absorption didn't increase and it was a little depressing. It was like a skinny man eating delicacies every day, but he didn't gain any weight. However, regardless of whether it was depressing or not, since Jiao Yazi didn't know, Lin Yi could only explore and continue to practice. Anyway, he didn't know where the energy was absorbed, and Lin Yi didn't have anything else to do, so he treated it as a way to kill time. Time passed second by second, and the sky was already bright. The night was almost over. Lin Yi was still crazily absorbing energy in the jade space. Just when Lin Yi wanted to stop cultivating and return to reality, he suddenly realized that the energy around him was still surging into his body at the same speed. Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat, but he suddenly remembered the first time he entered the jade space. This situation happened once, and that was when the art of dragon mastery broke through the first stage to the second stage. Could it be that I'm going to break through this time? Thinking of this, Lin Yi was surprised and happy, and his heart felt a lot more at ease. After all, Lin Yi knew that this must be the sign of a breakthrough. Boom! Lin Yi's body finally couldn't withstand the huge amount of energy and it felt like it was going to explode. However, Lin Yi wasn't afraid. An unprecedented feeling of energy surged into Lin Yi's body. This was a very mysterious feeling and he had never felt it before. In an instant, Lin Yi felt that not only was the energy in his body more abundant than ever, but his movements also seemed to have become much more agile. As for how agile, Lin Yi didn't know because everything was just a feeling and he didn't put it into practice. So you're about to break through early stage mystic class, not bad. Jiao Yazi's voice rang. The physique of you humans determines that other than the level of your skills, there's also your own level. I forgot about this. You humans? Jiao Lao, are you not a human? Lin Yi was stunned. Chapter 564. Meeting an old Taoist, ugh. I don't think so. You look like a spirit. Lin Yi didn't know what kind of existence Jiao Yazi was. Theoretically speaking, he was no longer a human. Congratulations, you got it right. Jiao Yazi nodded. I'm a ghost. Are you afraid? Lin Yi was speechless. He didn't know how much time he spent on the breakthrough, but suddenly he heard footsteps coming from outside the room. Lin Yi jumped and quickly came back to reality from the jade space. He looked at the alarm clock on the bedside. It was already 6:30 a.m. He usually woke up at this time, but because of the breakthrough today he was delayed for a while. Lin Yi put on his clothes and pushed the door open. He saw Mengyao and Yushu talking in the kitchen. Why didn't Shield Bro prepare breakfast today? Yushu rubbed her abdomen with one hand as she searched the table with the other. Did you hide it somewhere? All right, Shu. Lin Yi hasn't woken up yet. He rushed back to save us. He must be tired after the past 2 days. Let's go to school and have breakfast. Mengyao shook her head. Oh Yao sis, are you worried about Shield Bro? Yushu was startled and looked at Mengyao curiously. Mengyao blushed and coughed. Why would I be worried? He's our savior, so we have to treat him better. Oh okay. Yushu nodded. But the school's breakfast isn't good. We should ask Uncle Chu to get a new manager. That manager is a relative of mine. We can't change him. Mengyao said. Alright, we're graduating soon anyway. We can't eat too many times. Lin Yi stood at the door and smiled. The miss is still the same. She always cares about people behind their backs but acts cold on the surface. It's still early. I'll make something for you guys. Lin Yi walked out of the room and went to the kitchen. You're awake? Mengyao jumped in fright, her eyes wide open. Did he hear what she just said? Mengyao felt shy and looked at Lin Yi fiercely. Why didn't you make a sound? Are you trying to scare me? Lin Yi didn't say anything and went to the kitchen. Li Fu had bought a lot of half-finished products ever since he moved into the villa. He opened the freezer to find some frozen dumplings, and took one out and put it in a steamer basket. He then took out some day-lily and enoki mushrooms from the freezer compartment, washed them clean and cut them into sections. He then poured in some pepper oil, salt, sugar and chili and stirred it all up, turning it into a delicious pickled vegetable. On the other side, the soup dumplings were done as well. Lin Yi quickly picked them up from the pot and placed them on the table with the pickled vegetables. Alright, time to eat. Wow, as expected of Shield Bro, you're amazing. Yushu had been starving for a long time, and she reached for the bun. Shu, how can you eat like that? Didn't you wash your hands when you peed? Mengyao stopped her. I think I didn't pee on my hands. Yushu blushed a little. Think? Mengyao asked. Just a little bit. I got it on my hands when I was wiping them. Yushu stuck her tongue out. Then why aren't you washing your hands? Mengyao glared. Then this dumpling. You can have it, Yao. Yushu wanted to give the dumpling to Mengyao. I don't want it. Mengyao waved her hands. Shield Bro, this is for you. Yushu put the dumpling on Lin Yi's plate. Lin Yi was speechless. When Yushu came back from washing her hands, Lin Yi was still staring at the dumpling, speechless. It wasn't that Lin Yi disliked Yushu. Quite the contrary, he was excited about it. Lin Yi wasn't a prankster. He couldn't bring himself to do it and he couldn't bring himself to eat it. Throw it away. Mengyao said as she looked at Lin Yi. I'm not hungry, you guys eat. Lin Yi said with a sigh. Living with Yushu meant that he had to bring out some courage. Yushu seemed to have realized that something was wrong with Lin Yi. She looked at Lin Yi and then at the dumpling in front of Lin Yi. She started laughing. Shield bro, I used my left hand to hold the dumpling and I used my right hand to pee. With that, Yushu took the dumpling in front of Lin Yi and took a big bite. It tasted really good. Lin Yi and Meng Yao looked at each other. They could see the helplessness in each other's eyes. After breakfast, Faubert came to pick Meng Yao and Yushu up. Lin Yi, on the other hand, drove his crappy van. Lin Yi was feeling pretty good after breaking through from Golden to Mystic. Mystic Masters were rare in the common world now, weren't they? He wouldn't be afraid of Gong Gao the next time he saw him. Physical practitioners were always a little weaker than spiritual practitioners. It wasn't a big difference, but there was still a difference. Lin Yi was feeling happy when he turned his head. He jumped in shock. This was because, in the van that originally had only one person, an old man had sat in the front passenger seat without anyone noticing. The old man was dressed very fashionably in a t-shirt, jeans, sunglasses and slicked back hair. Shit. Lin Yi slammed on the brakes. Who are you? How and when did the old man get in the car? Lin Yi didn't notice at all. He was originally happy about his breakthrough to Mystic early phase, but his mood dropped to the bottom. A monk Mo Kongwen. The old man nodded to Lin Yi. Amateus Buddha. Amateus Buddha? Are you a Taoist or a monk? Lin Yi didn't understand. Who was this old man? Was he a master? However, Lin Yi couldn't feel a single bit of energy coming from him. Neither. The old man shook his head. Then why do you call yourself a monk? Lin Yi blinked. My surname is Monk, my name is Mo Kongwen. The old man said. Lin Yi was speechless. The old man was obviously bullshitting. I don't know you. You can get out. Mister, you have too much hostility. It's a bad sign. The old man kept talking. Lin Yi opened the door to the passenger seat and kicked the old man out. He started the car quickly and stepped on the gas pedal, speeding away. He was an old liar. Lin Yi was just relieved when he heard someone knocking on the window. He turned his head and saw Mo Kongwen running outside the car. He even knocked on the window. Lin Yi looked at the speed of the car and his eyes widened. 60 miles per hour. How did this old man keep up? Chapter 565. Chapter 565. Not coming to school? Lin Yi felt that there was something wrong with this old man. He immediately stepped on the gas pedal. Mo Kongwen gave Lin Yi an unfathomable feeling. Lin Yi didn't want to have anything to do with him. How could someone who could run this fast be an ordinary person? Although Lin Yi was confident that he could reach this speed after reaching Mystic class, this old man didn't seem to have any strength at all. Lin Yi drove the broken van like a sports car. In the blink of an eye, Mo Kongwen finally disappeared. Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. However, good things didn't last long. While Lin Yi was waiting at a red light, a head popped out from the windshield, followed by a hand knocking on the windshield. Fuck. Lin Yi was thankful that he was mentally strong. If it was someone else, they would have been scared to death by this old man. How did this guy get on top of his car? Did he get on top of his car the moment he sped up? Lin Yi knew that he couldn't avoid it. He had no choice but to stop the car by the roadside and get out. As expected, he saw Mo Kongwen sitting on top of the car leisurely with half a chicken claw in his hand. Old man, what do you want? Do I know you? Lin Yi felt that he was really unlucky. Why did he bump into someone like this? I don't know you, but my master asked me to come and see you. Mo Kongwen jumped down from the car. There's too much evil chi in your body. It's affecting your true chi. If you don't get rid of it in time, you'll be in big trouble. Lin Yi frowned. Lin Yi would have turned around and left if he heard this old man say this. However, after seeing this old man's terrifying speed and hearing him mention true chi, Lin Yi felt that this old man was a little strange. You know about true chi? Of course, I also know that you're at the peak of the late phase of the golden class and you're about to break through. However, there's too much murderous aura around you and it'll affect the absorption of true chi. If you try to break through by force, you'll be heavily injured at best and you'll die at worst, Mo Kongwen said slowly. Lin Yi frowned again. How could this old man know about the golden class? But Lin Yi laughed coldly in his heart when he heard him say that he was at the peak of the late phase of the golden class. He thought that Lin Yi had some ability, but it seemed like he heard it from somewhere and used it to fool him. If it was before today, Lin Yi might have believed him, but Lin Yi had just reached the mystic class, so naturally he wouldn't believe this old man's words. Oh, is that so? Lin Yi asked faintly, but his hand suddenly moved and slapped at the old man. Of course, Lin Yi didn't really want to do anything to this old man, but he wanted to use this opportunity to test the old man's depth. He wanted to see if he really had some ability or if he was a complete liar. Mo Kongwen saw Lin Yi's attack, but he didn't care and casually blocked it. Then he gasped and looked at Lin Yi in surprise. You broke through? You're at the early phase of the mystic class? Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. It was already amazing that this old man could easily resolve his attack, and he could even say his current level, which meant that this old man wasn't simple. Although Lin Yi didn't use his full strength, it was impossible for him to resolve a Mystic Class Master's attack so easily without the strength of a Mystic Class Master. But what kind of level was this old man at? Lin Yi was really shocked. When Lin Yi was at the Golden Class, he could clearly see Wu Gonggao's strength. Now that Lin Yi was already a Mystic Class Master, he still couldn't see the old man's strength. Who are you? Thinking of this, Lin Yi looked at the old man vigilantly. That's strange, you actually broke through and you're still fine. Mo Kongwen looked puzzled and shook his head. Master said that you're in danger, he wouldn't lie to me, right? Old man, what are you talking about? Who's your master? Lin Yi asked. You're fine, goodbye. Mo Kongwen waved his hand, turned around and ran away. In an instant, he turned into a shadow and disappeared from Lin Yi's sight. Lin Yi was envious of this speed, but he couldn't catch up even if he wanted to. Although he was a little surprised by Mo Kongwen's identity, Lin Yi couldn't do anything about it. Fortunately, Mo Kongwen didn't seem to be hostile towards him, and he really wanted to help him. After all, he was only at the late stage of Golden Class yesterday, and he only broke through in one night. And this master that Mo Kongwen mentioned actually knew him so well. This made Lin Yi wonder who this master was. However, these questions couldn't be answered for the time being, because Mo Kongwen had disappeared. There was no point for Lin Yi to think about it, so he could only put these strange things to the back of his mind. He returned to the car and drove in the direction of the school. After the first class in the morning, Lin Yi went to grade 12 class 9 to look for Tang Yun, but unexpectedly, Tang Yun didn't come to school today. Lin Yi then called Tang Yun's phone, but it was still turned off. He wanted to ask Lu Xinwen, but she didn't come to school either. This time Lin Yi was a little confused. Did the two of them make an appointment? Why didn't they come to school? But no matter what, Lin Yi couldn't find them, so he could only go back to the class. Kang Xiaobo was eager to tell Lin Yi about yesterday's encounter, but Lin Yi went out after class. When he saw Lin Yi coming back, Kang Xiaobo wanted to say something, but the homeroom teacher Ms. Lu walked to the podium and said, "Everyone please be quiet. I have something important to tell you." The class immediately quieted down. Although it was the end of class, no one dared to disobey the homeroom teacher. Let me tell you a piece of unfortunate news. Our classmate, Zhong Pingliang, was kidnapped by unknown people yesterday morning outside the school. One of his kidneys was removed, and he was placed in front of the Songshan First People's Hospital. Ms. Lu just received a call from Zhong Fabai, and it was to ask for leave for Zhong Pingliang. The whole class was in an uproar. This news was too shocking. Such a tragedy happened to Zhong Pingliang. This made the students sympathize with him, but at the same time, they were worried that something like this would happen to them. Although the 12th year students didn't really care about the news, they were aware of the recent cases of homeless people, beggars and disabled people who were kidnapped and had their kidneys cut off. After all, the rumors spread like wildfire and it was scary. Chapter 566. Chapter 566. Making a deal? Aw. Yayao's shield bro is so awesome. Zhong Pingliang's kidney was cut off. Yushu didn't expect Lin Yi to be so ruthless as to cut off one of Zhong Pingliang's kidneys. He didn't do it, did he? He wouldn't do such a thing, would he? Mengyao was confused. After all, it was too cruel. She subconsciously thought that Lin Yi wasn't such a cruel person. Eee. Who cares, Zhong Pingliang is done for. He won't harass Yao Sis anymore. Yushu didn't mind. From her point of view, Lin Yi should be more aggressive towards his enemies in order to chase them away. Not necessarily. I heard that losing a kidney doesn't kill him, right? Mengyao frowned. I don't know about that. But I saw on the internet that losing a kidney means you can't have sex. I wonder if it's true? Yushu blinked and smiled evilly. Shu, don't say such dirty words. Mengyao's face turned red as she lectured. No, I'm just saying the truth. I didn't say it, it's from the internet. Yushu felt wronged. Anyway, don't say it again. Girls who are so dirty won't be able to get married. Mengyao said sternly. Oh, Yao Sis will take care of it. Buy one get one free. People will buy it even if it's dirty. Yushu didn't care. Didn't they say that all men like perverted girls? Mengyao ignored her. Zhong Pingliang is out of danger now. He's receiving treatment at the hospital. I want to organize a group of students to visit Zhong Pingliang in the hospital. Everyone is free to participate. Those who don't want to go can study in the classroom. Ms. Lu continued. I've already arranged for a bus. It'll be here soon. Those who want to go, prepare to go downstairs with me now. Zhong Pingliang wasn't very popular. He was one of the bad students in the class. Many serious students didn't even spare him a glance. However, Zhong Pingliang had organized a trip to the beach last time. This made him a lot more popular. Everyone was indebted to him. Now that he was in trouble, they couldn't miss him. Therefore, everyone put down the books in their hands and got up to go downstairs. After Fabai left, Sihua pondered for a bit before calling Jianghu. "Master, and do you know Fabai?" Sihua asked. "Zhong Fabai? I don't know you mahjong players?" Jianghu had just gotten rid of his love rival and was celebrating in the hotel. "No, he's someone with some power in Songshan. His son's called Zhong Pingliang," Sihua said. "Zhong Pingliang?" Jianghu interrupted Sihua before he could finish. "Sihua bro, you're not here to scold me, are you? But I can tell you that I was the one who cut off Pingliang's kidney." Jianghu's tone made Sihua pause. It seemed like Pingliang and Jianghu had quite a deep grudge. "Young master, and that's not what I mean." Sihua naturally didn't want to offend Jianghu. "Masterin, but this Zhong Fabai came to me just now, asking for an explanation for his son." "Oh, then what do you mean, Sihua bro?" Jianghu asked faintly. "I don't mind, but this Zhong Fabai is working for Master Bing now, so Master Bing has to ask about this." Sihua was in a difficult position. He didn't want to offend Jianghu. After all, Housen was backed by the firewolves. But he had to give an explanation for Fabai's situation. "Oh, then let Master Bing come to me. I've been wanting to meet Master Bing anyway," Jianghu said nonchalantly. "So be it. Even if it was Master Bing's dog, he would still do it. What else could he do? Would Master Bing become enemies with Housen because of this? After all, the firewolves weren't any weaker than the family of the person behind Master Bing. It was hard to say who would win if they really went against each other." "Master, and you've misunderstood." Sihua was depressed. What was going on? He didn't know what Pingliang did to piss Jianghu off, but he had to act as a mediator. But it wasn't easy to mediate. He and Jianghu were working well together, and there was no need to ruin their relationship because of Pingliang. He could only ask, "Master, and what kind of grudge do you have with Pingliang? Why did you have to do this?" "I'm not afraid to tell you." Jianghu didn't plan to hide it from Sihua. He told Sihua about the recording he heard from Lin Yi. "He kidnapped my childhood sweetheart, how could I let him go?" "That's true. This Zhong Pingliang has gone too far." Sihua sighed. If what Jianghu said was true, then it wouldn't be too much to teach Pingliang a lesson. But now that the conflict had started, it wouldn't be easy to mediate. "We need to give Zhong Fabai an explanation. Why don't we just hand Lin Yi over? This kid is obviously trying to provoke you and use you to get rid of Pingliang. He's Mengyao bodyguard. Naturally, he wouldn't allow a bomb like Pingliang to be around Mengyao. I know, but Lin Yi is my informant. It's not good to hand him over like this, is it?" Jianghu said faintly. "I'll give you another 10% of our business. Can you give Zhong Fabai an explanation?" Sihua gritted his teeth. This Zhong Fabai really was useful right now. He couldn't ignore him for now. Sihua had no choice but to come up with this plan. "Deal. Let Zhong Fabai call me." Jianghu laughed in his heart. What did Lin Yi's death have to do with him? He was just messing with Sihua a little. After knowing that Lin Yi was just a bodyguard, Jianghu didn't really put Lin Yi in his eyes anymore. He just wanted to use him to get some information about Mengyao. Not long after Fabai's call came. He asked directly, "Masterin, how did my son offend you? Why did you do this?" It seemed that Sihua didn't say much. He only told Fabai that it was Jianghu who did it. As for the specifics, he would ask Fabai himself. Fabai, naturally, had heard of Jianghu's name. He used to be one of Songshan's 4 young masters, and was now the leader of House and in Songshan. He had the firewolves behind him. So Fabai didn't make a fuss. He held back his anger and asked Jianghu why he did it. Jianghu had already made a deal with Sihua. He wasn't impatient at all. He told him the reason why he did it. What kind of person was Jianghu? One of Songshan's 4 young masters. How famous was he? His name was even more famous than Fabai's. Chapter 567. How to deal with him. Fabai didn't have anything else he could do. He didn't dare to offend Jianghu. He was someone who was on par with Master Bing, and he had the support of the firewolves. Who would dare to offend him? Although Fabai dared to call himself one of the big bosses of Songshan City's underworld, he was just a small fry compared to the firewolf gang. It was Lin Yi who instigated me to do this. Lin Yi is Mingyao's bodyguard. In the end, Jianghu pushed the blame to Lin Yi for Tsihua's sake and told Fabai to take revenge on Lin Yi. Fabai now had a way out. He didn't dare to go against Jianghu, but against a small bodyguard, wasn't it a piece of cake? With that in mind, Fabai didn't dwell on Jiangwen's actions anymore. Master, and my son's actions are indeed offensive, but can you please return the kidney to my son for the sake of Master Bing and Sihua Bro? Fabai asked. Return the kidney? Jiangwen smiled coldly. How was that possible? The kidney had been sent abroad to find a recipient. Why would it be returned to him? I'm sorry, Mr. Zhong. I was so angry that I fed your son's kidney to the dogs. I'm really sorry. Jiangwen naturally wouldn't reveal the kidney company behind him. Fabai froze, but he didn't suspect anything. If it was him, he wouldn't keep his enemy's kidney and put it back, right? Fabai could only accept his bad luck. He wouldn't die from losing a kidney anyway. It was better to find a way to take revenge on Lin Yi. Although he wanted to kill Jiangwen to vent his anger, he was no match for him. After hanging up the phone, Fabai told his son the truth. His son was the victim, so he had the right to know. On one hand, Fabai wanted to warn his son not to do anything reckless. He needed to think about the consequences before doing anything. He only had one kidney left. That's what happened. Jiangwen did it, but he said that it was Lin Yi who told him. Fabai said gloomily. Who's Jiangwen? Yes, I vaguely heard someone call him young Master Wen. Pin Liang had woken up by now. Losing a kidney was serious, but it wouldn't affect his life. Jiangwen used to be one of the 4 young masters of Songshan, and Yushu's brother, Qin Yutian, is the leader of the 4 young masters. Fabai sighed. None of them can be underestimated. It's not that I'm belittling myself, but compared to them, I'm still far behind. This time, Yushu's brother didn't cause you any trouble. Otherwise, you might have lost your other kidney. He had to scare his son. Otherwise, who knew what kind of trouble this kid would cause? Zhong Pingliang's face changed instantly, and he started to feel scared. He remembered what happened to Wu Xiaoqian. Qin Yuqian broke both of Wu Xiaocan's legs. Son, we can only endure this hatred for now. Fabai said, we're no match for Jiangwen. He has the firewolves behind him. Even Master Bing has to give him face. We can only take this lying down. That I understand. I won't use force, but I'll remember this. Pin Liang gritted his teeth, and a sinister look flashed across his eyes. The day Naipeo returns from his training will be the day of Jiangwen's death. Yes, a little impatience will spoil a great plan. We must endure it. Fabai nodded. Right, Dad, you said that Lin Yi gave you the information? How does Lin Yi know Jiangwen? Why would he do that? Pin Liang suddenly remembered what his father said about Lin Yi. This kid is Meng Yao's bodyguard. Fabai said, he's the one who told Jiangwen about Meng Yao. What? He's Meng Yao's bodyguard? Pin Liang froze. How could Lin Yi be Meng Yao's bodyguard? The two of them didn't seem to be on the same wavelength. What was going on? Yes. He's hired by Peng Zhan to protect Meng Yao and Yushu in the dark. Fabai nodded. Every debt has a debtor, but this time we can only target Peng Zhan and Lin Yi. We can't touch Peng Zhan for now, but as for Lin Yi, we can make an example out of him. Fuck. Pin Liang almost jumped up from his bed. I was wondering why Yushu had Lin Yi's photo in her phone. So he's Meng Yao's bodyguard. Fuck, I didn't realize this. This kid always seems to be ruining things between Meng Yao and me in school. So he's Meng Yao's bodyguard. This kid sure is good at hiding his strength. Son, Meng Yao isn't your type. Don't go after her anymore. Fabai sighed. Jiangwen isn't someone we can touch right now. We'll focus on Lin Yi first. We'll think about other things when we're stronger. Dad, I understand. At this point, Pin Liang understood that it was impossible for him to pursue Meng Yao. At least, it was impossible before Zhang Naipeo appeared out of nowhere. As reluctant as he was, Pin Liang gritted his teeth. A man doesn't have to worry about not having a wife. Dad, don't worry, I'll endure it until the day we get rich. Yes, that's right. We'll take revenge for this. But for now, we can only live under Master Bing's protection. Fabai nodded, pleased. Right, Dad, that Lin Yi isn't weak. We need to deal with him. Pin Liang was still worried about Lin Yi's skills. After all, Lin Yi had crippled Heibao Bro. Don't worry, we'll need Master Bing's help to deal with him. We won't stand out. Fabai said, there's no rush. We need to gain Master Bing's trust first. I'll do a good job with the slums. Let Master Bing treat me as his right-hand man. That's the only way we can borrow his power. The slums? Pin Liang's eyes lit up. Dad, I have an idea. I know how to deal with Lin Yi. What do you think? Fabai didn't expect his son to have an idea so soon. He was worried that his son wouldn't come up with another idiotic idea, would he? Luckily, he told him about it beforehand. Otherwise, he'd be in trouble again. Son, think before you act. Don't be impulsive. Chapter 568. Chapter 568. Visiting Pinliang. Pinliang's words stunned Fabai. It was said that great emotions could change a person's personality and make an immature child grow up in an instant. However, he had never seen it with his own eyes. Seeing that Pinliang was much more mature and didn't sound like a child anymore, Fabai was very pleased. Son, I'm glad that you think like that. You didn't lose your kidney for nothing. I won't lose it for nothing. I won't let go of Jiangwen and Pengzhan. Pinliang shook his head. But for now, let's pick the weak ones first. Dad, aren't you going to demolish the slums? I know that Lin Yi's girlfriend lives in the slums. When you demolish the place, make things difficult for her family. Of course, it's best if you direct the conflict to Master Bing. Lin Yi will use Jiangwen to deal with me, so we'll use Master Bing to deal with Lin Yi. If anything happens, Lin Yi and Pengzhan's anger will only be directed at Master Bing, not us. And? Fabai listened to his son's suggestion and nodded. That's a good idea, but if they don't stay in the slums, we won't be able to cause conflict, right? We can create conflict with this. For example, forcefully demolish their house, hee. We can use a bulldozer and let Master Bing do it himself. Pinliang suggested. Okay, I'll try my best. Fabai hated Lin Yi as well. If he could use Master Bing to mess with him, he would be more than happy to do so. As he spoke, his phone rang. It was Pinliang's homeroom teacher. Thus he quickly picked up the call. Hello, Teacher Lu. You organized a group of students to visit Pinliang? Thank you so much. Are you at the hospital already? Alright, come over. He's in room 418 of the 4th ward. After hanging up, Fabai said to Pinliang, your teacher and classmates are here to visit you. I'm going out for a smoke. Pinliang nodded and felt warmth in his heart. It seemed like his teacher and classmates didn't forget about him. The last time he treated them to a trip, he had repaid the favor. Otherwise, how miserable would it be if not a single classmate came to his hospital? He waited for a while, but the students didn't show up. It would take some time to get to the 4th hospital from the entrance. Pinliang picked up his iPad too and logged into the mobile reading base's website. He started reading a novel called Very Pure Very Flirtatious Prequel. This was a very YY school novel, and the main character in the novel was very powerful. It was super fun to step on people, and Pinliang had fallen in love with this novel. He kept fantasizing about being the main character in the novel, wondering when he'd be able to step on Lin Yi and Jiangwen like that. However, the more he read, the more depressed he became. Why did he feel like a supporting character in a novel who was stepped on? And so, Pinliang fantasized that this side character could get strong enough to take down the main character. He didn't know how long had passed, but when he was enjoying himself, footsteps came from outside the ward. Then the ward door was pushed open and his classmates filed into the ward. Pinliang put his apple aside and raised his head with a smile. Although he saw Yushu and Mengyao walking in front of him, he didn't see anything wrong with their presence. He had learned how to hide himself, and he wasn't surprised that Mengyao and Yushu were rescued safely. If they weren't, Jiangwen wouldn't dare to act recklessly. As for the process of being rescued, Pinliang didn't think about it. It was meaningless. Oh, Liangyi, I heard that you lost a kidney? Yushu exclaimed as soon as she entered the ward. Does that mean that I'm not a man anymore? Pinliang heard Yushu's words and felt embarrassed, but he didn't throw a tantrum. After all, he was the one who kidnapped them first. Yushu was probably here to insult him. But Yushu's expression was innocent, and no one would think that she was insulting him. Ahem, Shu, don't talk nonsense. Of course he's a man, he just doesn't have a kidney. Mengyao wanted to laugh, but she played along with Yushu's act for once. She hated Pinliang very much. Oh, I got it. Then he's not a complete man. Yushu nodded as she realized what Lin Yi meant. Yushu and Mingyao's conversation made the students laugh. They couldn't help it. Although they sympathized with Pinliang, Yushu's words were too funny. Not a complete man? That was very ambiguous. Pinliang's face turned red, but he couldn't refute it. How could he? He was missing a kidney, so he wasn't a complete man. Yushu was right. Wow. Liangyi, isn't this an iPad too? I saw a news article about a guy selling his kidney to buy an iPad. You're not that guy, are you? Yushu looked at Pinliang, surprised. Pinliang was speechless. He wanted to smash the iPad on the spot. His family was rich, okay? Did he need to sell his kidney? It was cut off by someone, okay? Pinliang wanted to say that Yushu knew how he lost his kidney, but he couldn't say that. But he couldn't say that out loud. Wouldn't that be admitting that he'd kidnapped Mengyao and Yushu? He couldn't admit it. Admitting it was another matter. Pinliang wasn't an idiot. He could only let Yushu talk nonsense. At that moment, Ms. Lu came in and Yushu stopped talking nonsense. She stood at the side with a smile, holding Mingyao's hand. Her eyes were full of curiosity. Shu, let's go. I don't feel good when I see him. Mingyao frowned. She didn't want to be too close to Pinliang. Okay, let's go. Yushu nodded. I just wanted to see what a person without a kidney looks like. He looks normal. It's nothing, right? Mingyao shook her head and the two walked out hand in hand. Linny didn't go forward at all. He only followed Mingyao and Yushu. Pinliang didn't have much of a relationship with most people. They only came to see him out of sympathy. Now that they were done, they were ready to go back to school. After all, the 12th grade was very tight. Many people had to go back to study. Xiaofu came with everyone trembling. He didn't know the truth behind Pinliang's kidney being cut off, but he had a feeling that it had something to do with Mingyao's kidnapping. He was scared that he would be the next target. Chapter 569. The Secret Theft Plan. Fuck, who else could it be? It's all because of Mingyao. Pinliang said hatefully. But it wasn't Pingzhan, it was someone else. Have you heard of the Songshan 4 young masters? Yeah, but wasn't that a long time ago? Didn't they all go their separate ways now? Xiaofu said. It was one of the 4 young masters, Jianghu. I didn't expect Mingyao to be his childhood sweetheart. Looks like I've fallen into his hands this time. Pinliang said helplessly. Looks like I can't get back at him anymore. No way he's that strong? Xiaofu paused. What do we do? What else can we do? Just bear with it for now. Pinliang said faintly. Don't worry, it's over. You won't be dragged into this. Liang bro, that's not what I meant. I'm not scared, it's just that this is too cruel. Cutting out a kidney for you. Xiaofu said, but he was afraid. Forget it, we'll just keep quiet from now on. Let's see who dares to go against us after Naipeo leaves the mountain. Pinliang said, gritting his teeth. Yeah, who do we have to be afraid of when Naipeo comes back? We'll be the new Songshan 3 young masters. We'll kill whoever dares to go against us. Xiaofu was looking forward to Naipeo as well. Alright Xiaofu, focus on your studies. Let's not cause any more trouble for now, Pinliang said. Pinliang didn't mention that he was going to cause trouble for Lin Yi through Master Bing. He was afraid that Xiaofu would leak it out. Pinliang was much calmer now. Donghai, Dr. Kang's villa. Dr. Kang's face was very unfriendly. House Kang didn't get anything out of this auction at all. Not only did they buy a pill of life extension and toxin cleansing at a high price, but they also spent most of their money. That was not all. The most important thing was that there was basically no hope for him to become an aristocratic family. The skin-beautifying golden creation, which they had high hopes for, became dispensable in front of the special edition injury medicine from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. The 1,000-year snow lotus that they bought at a high price might not even be able to recoup the cost. Grandpa, I think Grandpa must have given the formula to Kang Xiaobo. Otherwise, why would Miracle Dr. Guan's company have the formula for the injury medicine and the special edition? Xiaolong said carefully as he looked at his grandpa who was walking around the room. I've asked. Boss said that he hasn't seen the formula. Kang Xiaobo doesn't have any formula either. Dr. Kang shook his head. I know Boss's character. If he wanted to make money, he wouldn't have quarreled with me in the first place. Grandpa, times have changed. Kang Ming stood up and said, at that time Big Grandpa didn't have a grandson, so he didn't think too much. He only thought about himself. But now he was thinking about the future of his children and grandchildren. Look at how pitiful Kang Xiaobo is right now. His women are all my leftovers. Big Grandpa wouldn't want his grandson to be poor, would he? That's why he gave the formula to Kang Xiaobo. But he's afraid of losing face in front of you, so he won't admit it to you. Xiaoming, what you're saying is possible. Dr. Kang nodded. Then what do you think we should do? Kang Ming was a sinister person himself, so it wasn't a problem for him to think of sinister things. But it was a bit hard for him to come up with a plan. Grandpa, I think we should get to the bottom of this. First, we need to see how they got the formula, and second, we need to get the formula for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing, Xiaolong said. Of course, we can't stop researching the formula for the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. If we can make this pill, there's still hope for us to become a noble house. Of course, but we don't have our own people there. How are we supposed to get to the bottom of this? Dr. Kang nodded. Grandpa, didn't I tell you? There's a powerful person in our house. Xiaolong said as he looked at Kang Ming. Dr. Kang paused, remembering what Xiaolong said in Yanjing. He nodded. Xiaolong, tell me your plan. Xiaoming, I have a serious mission for you, Xiaolong said seriously, looking at Kang Ming. What mission? Kang Ming was getting goosebumps from Xiaolong's stare. He didn't know what he wanted. Hit on Guan Shuamin's granddaughter, Guan Xan. What do you think? Can you complete this mission? Xiaolong asked, looking at Kang Mingming. Hit on girls? Kang Mingming paused, then smiled. I can't say for other things, but I'm pretty good at hitting on girls. That's my forte, just leave it to me. Dr. Kang didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Kang Mingming's words, but this grandson of his wasn't completely useless. He really had to let him handle these side tasks. Guan Shuamin's granddaughter isn't that bad, unlike the girls you play around with. You'll have to put in more effort, Xiaolong said. According to my research, this Guan Xan became a nurse in the hospital after graduating from medical school, but she's pretty pure. I don't think she's had a boyfriend before, so this type of girl has a pure heart. It's not easy to get her, but once you get her, she'll be completely loyal to you. If you ask her to help you with some secrets, she'll be more than willing to help you. Ah, big bro, I didn't know you were this good. You know how girls think? Kang Mingming was quite surprised. He didn't think that his big bro, who'd never had a girlfriend, would know so much about women. This is just theoretical knowledge, and you're the one who's put it into practice. So, we still have to rely on you for this. If you get the recipe, you'll have done a great job, Xiaolong said. Alright, big bro, I don't have much talent in management, but I'm confident in doing things like this. Just send me out for these kinds of things in the future, it'll be a piece of cake for me. Kang Mingming had always been worried about not having a chance to show off his skills, and now he had a chance. After finalizing the plan, the Kang family discussed the analysis of the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing's formula. Xiaolong, based on the current situation, this Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing is different from the previous one, be it in terms of color or taste. Dr. Kang said. Could it be that we got it wrong last time? That the one we brought back was just dog shit? Chapter 570. Chapter 570 Eaten by Dogs. This time, we can't afford to make any more mistakes. We need to work hard on researching the ingredients of the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing. If we have the recipe, there's still hope for us to become a noble house, Dr. Kang said. Grandpa, what about me and Wang Xinyan? Xiaolong hadn't planned on interacting with Wang Xinyan at first, but things had changed so quickly. Becoming a noble house was a sure thing, but it was all gone in the blink of an eye. This made Xiaolong very depressed. We still have to interact with her. Our family is in a troubled state right now, and we can't cut off contact with the Xiao family. Dr. Kang's voice was filled with helplessness. Xiaolong nodded. He was still very interested in Wang Xinyan, but he couldn't decide how far he should go with her because of the benefits of his family. He was afraid that House Kang would become too powerful, and he would be tied down by Wang Xinyan. He was also afraid that House Kang would lose the support of the Xiao family and become even more miserable. And so, Xiaolong didn't get a good night's sleep. He woke up early in the morning, planning to bring the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing to the lab to study its ingredients. If he really couldn't figure out what it was, then he'd have to go back to Wang Xinyan. He came to the living room where his grandpa had placed the pill yesterday. Xiaolong was just about to reach for it when he realized that the box with the pill was open. The Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing inside had disappeared without a trace. Oh no. Where was the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing? Grandpa? Xiaolong yelped in fright. This was over 400 million. It wasn't a joke. Xiaolong's voice alerted Dr. Kang, Kang Guifeng, Kang Cuepu and Kang Mingming. They all rushed to the living room and looked at the empty box on the coffee table, their mouths agape. Why is it gone? Who touched the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing? Dr. Kang's first thought was that someone in his family had secretly stolen the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing, so his expression immediately darkened. Everyone was stunned, but they shook their heads. They were all members of the Kang family. Although Kang Guifeng and Kang Cuepu had some conflicts in the dark, it was still a personal grudge. How could they dare to disrupt the family's affairs? Dog fur. Kang Mingming's sharp eyes suddenly noticed a few strands of dog fur beside the box containing the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing. Where's the shepherd dog? Dr. Kang was stunned and frowned. Could it be that his dog had taken it away? Previously, because he had been researching dog poop, he had left the German shepherd dog at home. Later on, he realized that dog poop was useless, so he didn't bother with it and just casually kept it at home. However, he didn't expect that dog to cause trouble and steal the Pill of Life Extension and Toxin Cleansing. Everyone in the Kang family came to their senses and started searching the entire villa for the dog. Finally, they found the German shepherd dog in a corner of the courtyard. The German shepherd dog was curled up next to a pile of broken twigs. Around the dog was a pile of dog poop. It was extremely smelly. However, Dr. Kong couldn't care less about the smell of dog poop. He picked up the German Shepherd dog and started searching around. However, after searching for a long time, he couldn't find the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. The pill of life extension and toxin cleansing had disappeared. Where did this stupid dog take the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing to? Dr. Kong was incomparably anxious. Cold sweat had formed on his forehead. That was bought with shining silver. It was more than 400 million. If it was lost, wouldn't it be a huge loss? Everyone looked at each other in dismay. Where could they find such a small pill? This villa was huge. No matter where it fell, they wouldn't be able to take care of it. However, only Kong Ming Ming's expression changed. Grandpa, could it have been eaten by a dog? What do you mean Grandpa was eaten by a dog? How can you say that? Kong Tsuepu was a little angry when he heard his son's inappropriate words. It's not that Grandpa was eaten by a dog. I'm saying the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was eaten by a dog. Kong Ming Ming hurriedly explained, this dog's condition is similar to the last time I ate it. It's all diarrhea and it's lying there powerlessly. When Dr. Kong heard Kong Ming Ming's words, he looked at the dog's condition. Indeed, it was no different. His head immediately buzzed and his vision went black. He collapsed to the ground and fainted. Anyone in his shoes would faint. The pill of life extension and toxin cleansing that was bought with 400 million was eaten by a dog. How was anyone supposed to live? Dr. Kong fainted was still all right. If it were someone with a weaker mental fortitude, their heart would have exploded. The rest of them weren't much better off than Dr. Kong. He was the Kong family's only hope for ascension, but he was eaten by a dog just like that. The heavens weren't helping the Kong family. However, regardless of what the heavens were thinking, the Kong family hurriedly sent Dr. Kong to the hospital. The pill of life extension and toxin cleansing was gone. If anything happened to Dr. Kong, the Kong family would really be finished. Miracle Dr. Kong, on the other hand, was fine. He'd only fainted because of the anxiety, and woke up when he got to the hospital. He was worried about the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing at home. Even if it was eaten by a dog, he'd kill the dog and extract the pill from its stomach. You bastards, why are you sending me to the hospital? What a waste of time. Why don't you open up the dog's stomach and see if there's any pill inside? Dr. Kong was furious. These wastrels were really infuriating. Didn't they know what was more important? Kong Guifeng and the rest looked at each other. That's right. Why didn't they think of that? It was probably too late to go back now, right? The dog had already digested the pill of life extension and toxin cleansing. But no matter what, Dr. Kong still rushed out of the hospital and brought his family back to the villa. What greeted him was a shepherd dog full of energy. There was no need to mention how energetic this shepherd dog was. It jumped up and down with inexhaustible energy. Dr. Kong regretted it when he saw the dog. The dog must have digested the pill already. How else could it be so energetic? But Miracle Dr. Kong still wanted to give it a try. He killed the dog, but there was nothing left in the dog's stomach. It seemed like it had been digested. Dr. Kong sat on the ground, almost crying himself to death. He almost rolled on the ground. 400 million. That was more than 400 million, gone just like that. There was nothing left. Why was his family so unlucky? Dr. Kong pounded his chest and stamped his feet. The others weren't any better. Kong Guifeng and Kong Tsuepu had dark expressions on their faces, and Xiaolong and Kong Ming Ming were feeling extremely regretful as well. Another good opportunity was missed by the Kong family.